The sound of hurried footsteps echoes down the office corridor. Park Jong-woo reaches out to the elevator filled with people, asking them to hold the doors open. His request is ignored. The elevator doors close as soon as Jong-woo touches them with his palm. He is breathing heavily. Park Jong-woo clears his throat, muttering that the elevator was not full and it would not have been difficult for people to wait for him. It is almost 8 o'clock on his phone screen. Jong-woo decides to take the stairs to avoid conflict with director Choi. Meanwhile, right in front of the director's office door stands Jae-hyun. He is frozen by his crazy lectures addressed to his boss, Joe. Jong-woo's voice distracts him from listening to the director's shouting. Jong-woo awkwardly lands next to Jae-hyun, causing him to jump in surprise. A flustered Park Jong-woo asks why he is standing outside the office. Jae-hyun explains that director Choi took care of boss Joe first, to which Jong-woo assures him to trust him, because he has a solution for everything. Director Choi spares no paper to hit boss Joe over the head with, just as he spares no effort in bullying and devaluing his work. Boss Joe listens silently. At that very moment, Jong-woo and Jae-hyun kneel behind a partition, trying to remain unnoticed by the director. Director Choi throws boss Joe's work in his face, calling it complete crap, and orders him to redo it before lunch. Back at work, Jong-woo asks Hyun-ho why the morning is so tense, to which Hyun-ho replies that investors are dissatisfied with the new project. Suddenly, director Choi interrupts the conversation, calling out to Jong-woo in a nervous tone. Jong-woo barely manages to keep his voice from trembling as he responds to him. Director Choi points his finger at him and yells at Jong-woo for daring to show up at work at such an hour and setting a bad example for his colleagues. Park Jong-woo looks at the clock on his computer, which shows it is 1 minute before 8. He realizes that his attempt to avoid arguments has failed. Director Choi continues to lecture Jong-woo, saying that in his day people worked non-stop, when suddenly a pixelated planet Earth appears in front of him. All the employees are surprised by the sudden pixelated guest. Some theorize about its origin, while others consider it a common bug. The notification screen displays text on behalf of the planet. Earth greets its inhabitants and informs them that it is forced to be the bearer of bad news. Everyone around familiarizes themselves with the program. Some consider it a prank or a test of new technologies. Jong-woo touches the window on the notification screen. He disagrees with his colleagues' claims that it is a normal program because, unlike them, this screen is tangible. The Earth announces that the universe is coming to an end and that a procedure called planet shutdown is about to begin. Everyone should listen to the instructions. After these words, the office room rumbles. The ceiling lights begin to sparkle and everyone is overcome with panic. Jong-hyun watches in fear as Park Jong-woo tries to calm everyone down and get them to take their seats. Unlike his colleagues, Jong-woo feels no fear. He assumes that this may be related to his work developing apocalyptic games. Outside, it's total chaos. Cars are crashing into each other and everything is burning and smoking. Jong-woo wonders if this is real or just a dream. A sharp sound makes everyone cover their ears, unable to withstand such power. No one understands where it came from. Director Choi is the loudest. Clutching his head, he begins to blame his boss Joe for what has happened, adding to the harassment. A few seconds later, everyone, including Director Choi, looks at each other in surprise, realizing that they cannot hear their own voices. Park Jong-woo grabs his throat and realizes he has lost his voice. He realizes that only human voices have been silenced. A notification screen appears in front of Jong-woo and immediately asks a question. For a fatal fight with his bare hands, would he choose 2 medium-sized dogs or a human? Jong-woo thinks about what medium-sized dogs look like, but the program, as if reading his mind, immediately displays a medium-sized Doberman on the screen. A picture immediately pops into his head of 2 dogs running after Jong-woo, leaving him no chance of escape. They will undoubtedly not stand on ceremony. When Jong-woo thinks about a person, the program displays the same text with a countdown of 20 seconds. This means that there is no standard for a person. There was no clear answer regarding the type of fight. Jong-woo recalls the fights he had at school, but at the same time thinks that his opponent could be an MMA fighter. There's little time left. Jong-woo is nervous, but he still shouts out his choice and settles on 2 medium-sized dogs. He doesn't have time to recover before the program asks the next question. If he had to lose 1 kilogram of body weight, what would he choose? Jong-woo is horrified by the immorality of the questions, and the program responds by asking even more questions, changing the windows in a matter of seconds. Finally, the list of questions ends. The program warns that there will now be a reaction test where all sensations must be kept in mind. As soon as Jong-woo sits down in the chair, his shoes instantly begin to freeze. The cold quickly spreads through his legs, rising to the top. Jong-woo can no longer feel anything and can barely move his body. The freezing ice has already reached his numb hands, and the cold breath touches his neck. Jong-woo's face contorts as he tries to hurt him. Jong-woo panics as his body loses the ability to move. He screams for help, but no one responds, which means he is captive to an unknown force. Eventually, only a small glass ball illuminated by a mysterious glow remains on his chair. Gradually, it rolls down and breaks into numerous blue fragments. Jong-woo feels as if he has been reborn. A heavy sigh escapes his chest along with a cry, and he regains consciousness. His ragged breathing barely allows him to collect his thoughts. Park Jong-woo does not understand what is happening, or whether it is all over. Jong-woo turns to his colleagues to check on their well-being, but all he sees is them gasping for air, trying to take at least a sip of air. Some make no sound at all or writhe in agony from an incomprehensible energy. The picture of what is happening throws Park Jong-woo into a chaotic stream of thoughts. Almost everyone around him is looking up and gasping for air. Park Jong-woo does not understand what is happening to people, but for safety's sake, he takes a sharp pen with him, as the consequences of all this are unpredictable. The agonizing cries lead Jong-woo to Jaehyun. He arches his back, waves his arms, and screams in pain. As soon as Jong-woo touches Jaehyun, he comes to his senses, filled with a mixture of suffering, tears, and shock. He asks Jong-woo if he saw the spectacle. Jong-woo replies that it's probably all over and that Jaehyun should catch his breath while he has time. Jaehyun rests his forehead on his palms, agreeing with the suggestion. The program makes itself known again. It explains that depending on their answers, everyone was given essences that are the best weapons and shields. In case of destruction, these essences fall from the person to the ground. The essences can be picked up by other people, so you always have to be vigilant because destruction remains in your memory and can be used against you. The warning system emphasizes that it is better not to lose essences to creatures from other planets. If a person is not sure that they can defeat the enemy, it is better for them to go to the other world alongside their allies. Essences can also become stronger depending on the amount collected. The program finishes its explanation and orders you to find a savior and help him or her. Jong-woo breaks out in a cold sweat. The memory of creatures from another planet sticks in his mind the most. But what does it mean to find a savior? Director Choi fills the room with his shouting again and knocks everything off the table. Irritated, he asks who is behind this devilish prank. Director Choi shouts out the name of his boss, Jo Seon-woon. Hysterically yelling, he orders Jo to find the culprit. Jo Seon-woon approaches with his massive figure, blocking the director. Boss Jo's gaze is menacing, and a sign with the word Predator hangs above his head. Director Choi is visibly afraid of Jo Seon-woon's mysterious sign. The director asks what he is doing and what that thing above his head is. The threatening word frightens the director. He tries to formulate a thought, but is terrified by Jo's sudden movement, thinking that he wants to harm him. But Jo Seon-woon just bows politely to the director, expressing his gratitude for the valuable lessons. After that, he wishes him all the best and leaves. Dripping with sweat, Director Choi watches as Boss Jo turns away from him. He wants to ask what Sun-woon is going to do, but he can no longer hear him. Jo Sun-woon walks through a crowd of colleagues who are actively asking questions about his new role. Park Jong-woo nervously watches Boss Jo. A suspicion arises in his mind that he is looking for someone in this crowd. Pixel Earth says that Jong-woo has been assigned the role of savior. If he doubts his abilities, he can change the role or take it away altogether. Jong-woo does not believe what he hears, but at the same time he realizes that if roles can be changed, only the most adaptable will survive. Suddenly, the familiar eyes of Chief Jo stand out from the crowd. He is looking directly at Jong-woo. The brief eye contact brings clarity to Park Jong-woo's mind. It seems that Sun-woon realizes that he is standing in front of the savior. Park Jong-woo looked around, hoping to find someone else with a title, while wondering if he was the only one who had received the message about the savior. The thought that Chief Jo might really be looking for something or someone did not leave Jong-woo's mind. The employees discussed Chief Jo among themselves, noticing that he seemed more frightened than usual. However, they considered the search for the savior to be a priority. Analyzing his colleagues, Park Jong-woo realized that somehow no one else knew about the title of savior except him, which seemed suspicious. One of the employees said that the savior was supposed to save people, so what did the title of Predator mean? How was Chief Jo involved in this? Sun-woon's confident gait and serious face caused others to feel an uncontrollable tingling sensation. Looking at his head in the mirror, Jong-woo tried to find the title. He thought that maybe it was a system error, or that it wasn't reflected in the mirror. The unexpected appearance of Chief Jo instantly distracted him from his obsessive thoughts. He kept his focused gaze on Jong-woo. Turning in his chair, Park Jong-woo hesitantly asked if he could help him with anything. Chief Jo's gaze was different. With suspicion, Sun-woon said that Jong-woo looked very stiff, and that perhaps the reason for this was what he saw in the mirror. Jong-woo was sure that something had changed in Jo Sung-woo. He assumed that there might be some kind of purpose in his role. Park Jong-woo dismisses his own speculations and denies Chief Jo's guesses about what he saw in the mirror, pretending that he himself does not know what is going on. But at the same time, it is confirmed that no one can see the title of savior. Park Jong-woo decides to hide this fact for now. Chief Jo has only some suspicions because, according to the system window, he must either help the savior or take away his title and become one himself. These words remain in his head. He replies to Jong-woo that if he doesn't understand what he's talking about, then everything is fine. He turns around and leaves, leaving Jong-woo in silent amazement. However, Jo Seong-woon still suspects that Park Jong-woo is the savior. Perhaps he just can't say it. At that moment, the usual noise resumes in the office. Everyone calls their relatives to find out how they are doing and asks them to stay in a safe place. After people began to leave the office, Jong-woo also intended to leave before the crowd began to gather. But the newly formed red number 5 above his head makes him stop in his tracks and freeze in shock. He notices that such numbers have appeared above the heads of other people as well. Recalling the recent alert system message about essences, this leads Jong-woo to conclude that the numbers actually represent the amount of essences each person has. Park Jong-woo immediately wonders if the number 5 above his head represents his own number of essences, and if perhaps only he, as the savior, can see it. But the alert system did not say the most important thing, how to use these essences. They just showed those numbers without any explanation. As soon as Park Jong-woo packed all his things into his backpack and headed for the exit, Chief Joe appeared again, asking if he was going home like the others. But before Jong-woo could finish his answer, the number 10 flashed red above Chief Joe's head. This meant that Seong-woon had 10 essences. Jong-woo stammers that he should hurry because his father is waiting for him at home. But Chief Joe's request stops Park Jong-woo for a moment. Seong-woon offers to give him a ride because the transportation situation is not easy right now. Despite his embarrassment, Park Jong-woo agrees to the offer but does not understand why Jo Sun-woon is suddenly so interested in him. They were not close. The room is once again filled with a strange sound. Everyone screams and falls to the ground, clutching their heads. Sun-woon yells at Jong-woo to hurry to the garage, otherwise his car will be crushed. Passing through the office corridor, Park Jong-woo thinks that his boss Jo sees more. And since Sun-woon has 10 essences, he could be useful. Jo Sun-woon starts pressing the elevator button, but nothing happens. Park Jong-woo says that there is no point in doing so because the elevator is not working. The surrounding atmosphere makes Sun-woon tense up. Jong-woo wonders if Boss Jo can be considered safe because he doesn't know what the title of Predator means. But Jae-hyun, who has just appeared, attracts attention. Jae-hyun looks scared. When Park Jong-woo asks why he is still there, Jae-hyun asks to be taken with them because he doesn't know where to go. Jong-woo relays this to Chief Joe. He agrees, saying they should take the fire escape. The two run after Chief Joe. Park Jong-woo, meanwhile, speculates that Earth is looking for someone who can quickly adapt to absurd situations, and someone who will use all possible means to survive. Jong-woo concludes that this refers to the main character. Park Jong-woo understands that in such a drastic situation, there will be many victims, and it is possible that there may be other roles besides the savior and the predator. Summarizing everything that Earth told Jong-woo, the main point is that the planet will be destroyed in 42 days. Second, the alien creatures are seriously targeting human essences. Third, essences are both weapons and shields. In the event of destruction, they fall out of place and can be picked up by others. Fourth, to prevent disaster, it is necessary to find the saviors and help them. Fifth, Park Jong-woo is enlightened. All the points led to the conclusion that he is the savior. A few floors up, Chief Joe says to stop. He doesn't understand why there is no one in the corridors at such a chaotic moment, and why there has been no sound for a long time. Park Jong-woo agrees, adding that at lunchtime it is impossible to get through here at all. People seem to have disappeared into thin air. Sun-woon presses his ear against the door, hoping to hear something, but there is silence on the other side, prompting him to investigate the situation. Perhaps people have left the building in an organized manner, but Song-woon believes that this is not the case. Slowly turning the doorknob, Chief Joe prepares for the worst. It is unknown what awaits the three of them just a step away from the truth. The door opens slightly. Everyone stares intently into the darkness. Suddenly, Jo Sun-woon's pupils shrink several times in diameter. He is unable to utter a word, shocked by what he sees. The entire floor of the parking lot was covered with a huge amount of essences like pearls. Jae-hyun looked the most surprised, as he had no idea about essences, calling them egg-shaped things. All three sat down at the entrance. Chief Joe said that according to reports, essences fall when someone passes away, and perhaps they were lucky. Jae-hyun, frightened by what he heard, wondered how there was no biological material left from the people, only incomprehensible balls. However, Jo Sun-woon does not claim that they are the ones, even though they look exactly the same. Chief Joe's words lead Jae-hyun to believe that the person who killed all those people may still be in the parking lot. Such a sensational assumption causes him to panic. Park Jong-woo is familiar with his condition and understands that he cannot leave Ji-hyun like this. Chief Joe stands up abruptly, adjusting his tie. His gaze is determined and his actions are unpredictable. Park Jong-woo follows him, guessing his intentions. He forbids anyone from entering the parking lot, arguing that it is too dangerous. Chief Joe is not going to back down, emphasizing the limited resources and time. It is unclear how much longer they can endure mentally and physically. Jo Sung-woon suggests driving the car away before it is buried under a pile of rocks, as this is the best option for moving to another location. The proposal did not inspire much confidence in Jong-woo, but in contrast, a thought arose that reminded him of the imminent shaking of the building. Sun-woon orders Jae-hyun to get up. At his signal, they will all start to leave. Jae-hyun did not expect that he would also be leaving. Fear completely overwhelmed Jae-hyun. Despite his boss's orders, he preferred to drive the car right up to the door instead of going in himself. The frightened voice and insolent suggestion made Jo Sung-woon grimace with anger in his thoughts, accusing Jae-hyun of arrogant ingratitude. Jae-hyun's unstable state does not bother Chief Joe in the least. He tells him to stay here if he doesn't want to go, and calls Park Jong-woo to follow him. Jong-woo watches as Jae-hyun holds his head, completely absorbed in his inner state, but despite this, he leaves him and follows Sun-woon. Boss Joe and Jong-woo carefully walk through the parking lot. Numerous essences are scattered across the floor. Jo Sun-woon concentrates on clearing the way while Park Jong-woo looks around carefully in case of a sudden attack. They continue walking. Jong-woo doubts that anyone is here saying this to Sun-woon and notes a terrible smell coming from somewhere. The essences block the road. Park Jong-woo asks Chief Joe what to do if the entire parking lot is covered with them. It will be impossible to pass without touching them. Jo Seong-woon asks Jung-woo if he remembers the explanation about the essences that appeared after the test. Jeong-woo recalls what the warning system said. The essences can be picked up and used by other people. Following his instructions, Chief Jo leans over the bags and says that he feels sorry for the people, of course, but these essences will help them survive. Park Jung-woo doubts the normality of such actions, to which Seong-yoon sincerely hopes that this is indeed the case. Uncertainly and slowly, Chief Jo reaches for the essence, waiting for a further reaction. As soon as he touches the essence from the shaped object, it turns into blue energy that envelops Chief Jo's hand with its glow. He covered his hand and the essences scattered in different directions, leaving Sunwoo. Park Jung-woo was concerned about his condition, but Chief Jo replied that everything was fine. Sunwoon felt the same energy as during the test, and the number of essences above his head increased to 11. Jung-woo realized that he had absorbed it. Chief Jo suggested collecting as many essences as possible, as this would help them become stronger. While there was such an opportunity, they should touch everyone that was there. Although Park Jung-woo listened to Jo Sunwoo, he still had doubts about the safety of these actions and the actual number of essences in the room. The numbers increased one by one. Jung-woo focused on the larger number, thinking that it would not hurt, even though he did not know how to use them. As soon as Park Jung-woo rejoiced at the large number of essences, his search led him to the destroyed cars that were stacked on top of each other and crushed by additional weight. Jung-woo began to think. The theory of destruction due to an earthquake was ruled out, because then everything around would have been destroyed. He pieced together the facts of the destruction and the scattered essences, which led him to believe that this was clearly not the work of an ordinary person. Jung-woo was shocked by his own conclusions. Something had indeed happened in the parking lot, and it was quite possible that the cause of it all was still there. In addition, Park Jung-woo couldn't get the strange smell out of his head, apart from the familiar smell of burnt rubber. He realized he had to leave. Running up to his boss, Jo Jung-woo ordered him to leave immediately, but he was still focused on the essences. Jung-woo kept talking about the blind spot where everything was destroyed, the strange smell, and the fact that someone was there. Seong-woon asked him to calm down and explain calmly. A familiar, excited voice was heard from the exit. Jung-woo and Sun-woon turned around in unison. It was Jae-hyun who was absorbing the essences. Chief Jo was surprised by his enthusiasm because just a few minutes ago he was trembling with fear. Sun-woon was pleased with Jae-hyun's behavior, assuming that he must have seen him and Jung-woo collecting essences. Jung-woo called him over to them. Jae-hyun, on the other hand, urged them to join him because there was an even greater amount of essence there. Park Jung-woo became wary. The usefulness of the essences remained questionable, and he told Jae-hyun that now was not the time for that. Suddenly, an unknown dark object appeared from above and flew downward at instantaneous speed. Jae-hyun only had time to raise his head. What he saw made him freeze in fear. In a matter of seconds, nothing remained of Jae-hyun except a small crimson puddle. Park Jung-woo screamed at the horrific scene. Before his eyes, an unknown force had just destroyed a human being. Jung-woo and Seong-woon's faces are contorted with horror and fear. Their mouths are agape at what they have seen. Jung-woo tells Chief Jo that something swallowed Jae-hyun alive. His suspicions were confirmed. Someone was indeed hiding in the parking lot. Someone huge. Park Jung-woo's own thoughts cause him to lose touch with reality. Jo Sung-woon tries to bring him back to his senses. Their attention is drawn to the balls falling from the ceiling with a bright light. It was a new batch of essence that belonged to Jae-hyun. Angry, Chief Jo assesses the situation and realizes that all these essences of destroyed people were just bait to lure them into a trap. This means that an unknown force is hunting people. After Sun-woon's conclusion, the only thing left to do is to flee immediately. Jo Sung-woon and Park Jung-woo rush to the exit. Red drops above them seem to be catching up, which means that something is chasing them. After Jae-hyun was destroyed in an instant, Jung-woo realizes that the mysterious force will soon reveal itself to show its true nature. It moves so fast that it already manages to overtake Chief Jo and Jung-woo. They had to brake hard to avoid falling into the trap of the unknown, but it was already ahead of them. A red, star-like creature with more than one row of teeth opened its mouth and covered the entire ceiling. A deafening scream forces Sun-woo and Jung-woo to cover their ears. Everything around them crackled and shook from the abnormal sound. Jung-woo sees a monster hanging upside down from the ceiling, resembling a humanoid with bizarre limbs. Its mouth resembles a funnel with razor-sharp teeth. Chief Jo and Park Jung-woo freeze in fear. The creature is right before their eyes. Dripping with sweat, Jung-woo asks Seong-woon what to do. He replies that it is better not to make any sudden movements so as not to be torn to pieces. But these words did not calm Jung-woo at all, because what can you do when a monster is hanging right above your head? Chief Jo recalls how the program talked about creatures from another planet, which most likely meant monsters like these. Park Jung-woo still wonders why it is not attacking, to which Sun-woon replies without certainty that the creature seems to be afraid of one of them. Suddenly, the creature begins to loosen its grip on the ceiling. It is ready to jump down. Chief Jo reacts quickly. He pushes Jung-woo's shoulder to prevent the impact. The creature flies down, causing Park Jung-woo and Seong-woon to scatter in different directions with the shockwave. Jung-woo caught the flying attack, but if no action is taken, it is unclear how things will turn out. Something had to be done. He calls out to Chief Jo and asks if he has been given any special instructions against monsters as a hunter. Breathing heavily, Sun-eun replies that there were no special instructions. Hope and chances for survival are quickly fading. Park Jong-woo cannot believe that all that remains is to silently await his demise. Suddenly, the monster turns its bizarre head toward Jong-woo. This leads him to believe that he is the creature's true target. The ominous creature looms over Park Jong-woo against a backdrop of red glow and chaotic particles. Noticing this, Chief Joe orders Jong-woo to delay the monster and buy as much time as possible while he drives the car here. Meanwhile, the creature ignores him, trying to hit Jong-woo with its bizarre paw. Park Jong-woo manages to dodge the attack at the last moment. He does not realize how to buy time against the alien monster. Suddenly, a shockwave knocks Jong-woo off balance, and he flies forward between the cars, which have also been blown away by the powerful force. His breathing quickens and fear flashes in his eyes. It's good that at least his body didn't land in the creature's mouth. But Park Jong-woo doesn't have time to recover as the massive carcass jumps and reaches out its clawed paw with an unspeakable desire to destroy him. At the same moment, Chief Joe runs in search of his car. Behind him, he hears the screech of metal flying in all directions, sending adrenaline rushing to his head. Sun-woon is a few steps away from the car, mentally begging Jong-woo to hold on a little longer. The monster's long, bony arm punches through the ground, leaving a crater behind. It doesn't understand where Jong-woo has gone. The creature was sure it had struck him directly. While the creature scans the parking lot with its eyes to find its victim, Park Jong-woo, lying under the car, tries not to make any unnecessary sounds. So far, so good. Jong-woo does not lose his concentration even when in danger. Thoughts about the meaning of essences run through his head if he does not know how to use them. He doesn't care about the title of savior as long as it doesn't bring any change. Jong-woo slowly crawls out from under the car, hoping that he is no longer being followed. The monster moves lightning fast across the roofs of cars. Park Jong-woo's breathing is on the verge of collapse, and he mentally begs the earth to give him a hint, since it has already rewarded him with a title. A weightless blue glow rises before his face again, reminiscent of the moment the notification screen appeared. The notification system informs Jong-woo that his rescuer ability rating has exceeded the average and congratulates him on his achievement. 21 points were awarded for the survival process. An additional 7 points were awarded for rationality, 4 for perseverance, 20 for absorbing essences, and 150 points for the previous fight. In total, the evaluation administrator awarded Park Jong-woo 78 points, thanking him generously. But after that, the windows did not disappear. Instead, new ones began to appear. Jong-woo heard about the evaluation administrator for the first time. The evaluation administrator, whose message appears on the purple window, says that he is now officially assigned to Park Jong-woo. The administrator's voice sounds in Jong-woo's head, hinting that he is now speaking only to him. Chief Joe continues to run. Inside, he blames himself for leaving Park Jong-woo alone as bait, and the title of predator does not suit him at all. Finally, the search is over. Sun-woo finds his car completely intact. Unlocking the car door, he gets behind the wheel with only one thought in mind: to leave this ill-fated place as soon as possible. The parking lot is still filled with loud noises. Sun-woo turns his head, overwhelmed with worry for Jong-woo. The situation does not cause him to withdraw into himself and give in to fear. He hopes that Park Jong-woo is still holding on despite everything. Sun-woo starts the car with the key. At the same time, the image of Jae-hyun, who now appears in the form of an essence, arises in his mind with a burning pain. Upon learning about the administrator, Park Jong-woo begins an internal dialogue with him in order to find out how to defeat the creature. The conversation is interrupted by the monster, who finds Park Jong-woo and crashes the car behind him, causing the windows to explode. Adrenaline forces him to flee, telling the administrator that it is not the right time for introductions, and asking how to fight the monster and use the essences. While the monster is hot on his heels, the administrator replies that Park Jong-woo has enough skills and essences to defeat the servant. Jong-woo learns that the monster's name is Servant and that essences are applied at the subconscious level. The new information does not enlighten Park Jong-woo at all. The servant is still chasing him, and he has no way to use his power. He does not understand how this should help him in battle. Jong-woo asks the administrator to explain more clearly, but does not have time to finish the conversation. An unexpected blow passes through his body, causing him to hang in the air for a few seconds among several cars. Helpless, Jong-woo falls onto the concrete, unable to assess the situation properly. He trembles, battered by the brutal attack, and the clawed paw has already crept up beside him. The servant's head looms menacingly overhead. Park Jong-woo, completely exhausted, looks up and realizes that this is the end. Now he will be destroyed. His body freezes in the face of the potential threat, and his mind begs the administrator to show him how to get rid of the monster. The star-shaped mouth displaying rows of teeth raises its paw, preparing to inflict inevitable damage. Jong-woo begs for help. He does not want to go to the other world, and he is heard. The essence enchants again with blue light, releasing boundless streams of energy. Park Jong-woo's hands freeze in a defensive position, while the essence sources swirl around him, throwing themselves in different directions. The energy reminds him of a warm wind. The sensations are completely different from those during the reaction test or when absorbing the essence. A viscous but at the same time ephemeral substance like a misty veil wraps around Jong-woo's hand. It is hot. The servant's claw was again a second away from attacking, but Park Jong-woo already understood what he had to do. Using essence on a subconscious level means the instinct for self-preservation in the face of destruction. Park Jong-woo grasps the essence of what the administrator said earlier. The method of applying the essence is finally revealed. The fighting stance accumulates internal power. The power of the essence completely envelops Jong-woo's hand, forming a powerful thrust. He submits to its influence and prepares to strike back. The servant's limb reaches for Park Jong-woo, who covers himself with his hands to defend against the attack. Park Jong-woo is determined. The essence fire is already burning in his palm. In a second, the monster's jaw screams in pain. The essence does not allow him to attack. It forces him to retreat. The servant loses his balance, backing away from Park Jong-woo. His toothy mouth opens like petals, howling in pain from the powerful force. For the first time, the monster has suffered physical damage. Park Jong-woo is in shock. The essence has finally shown its power. But the servant manages to slow down and delivers another blow. Jong-woo jumps up. He covers himself with his hands again, creating a barrier in front of him. Jong-woo realizes that the blue energy does not strengthen the body itself, but serves as a kind of shield. Realizing that activating the essence in his body can block the attacks of the alien servant, he gathers his strength again. Another wave of his hand throws the monster back. Jong-woo studies how the essence works and is now confident that he can protect himself. But the aggressive creature has no intention of giving up. Enraged, it once again destroys everything around it and knocks Park Jong-woo off his feet. He finds support. The blow is not blocked due to the significant difference in their bodies. Jong-woo asks the evaluator for advice on this situation. There is no response, and the monster opens its mouth again. Park Jong-woo does not believe that there is no more useful information for him. Fleeing from another pursuit, Jong-woo realizes that he will not escape the creature until he destroys it. If the essence serves as a shield, then it can also be used to attack. But even if this principle is true, how is it possible to strike such a fast monster? Jong-woo is exhausted from the hopelessness of the situation. He silently prays to stop the powerful servant for at least a second. Meanwhile, right behind them, Chief Joe's car is racing at full speed. Despite the danger, Sunwoon grips the steering wheel tightly and presses the gas pedal to the floor. A crash. The hood of the car pushes the monster's body against the wall. Its movements are blocked and its mouth cannot even open completely. The tremors in his body caused by exhaustion and the constant struggle for life do not stop Jong-woo. He manages to climb onto the roof of the car. The emergency situation activates the airbag in Jo Seon-woon's car, saving him from injury. He yells at Park Jong-woo to run away immediately. The monster quickly recovers from the blow and digs its claws into the wall. Jong-woo does not understand how to escape from a creature that is practically invincible. The car is already being hit. Chief Joe quickly opens the door and orders Jong-woo to hurry. Getting to his feet, Park Jong-woo remembers that Jong-woo still doesn't know how to use the essence. However, now he no longer considers it impossible for himself. Jong-woo pulls a pen out of his backpack, assuring himself that he will destroy the monster with his own hands. His determination baffles Chief Joe. He becomes wary, responding to Jong-woo. Park Jong-woo thinks, according to the administrator, he has enough essence and reaction to destroy the enemy. He clenches the pen in his palm almost to the point of breaking. Jong-woo decides to focus all his strength in one spot. All the blue energy envelops his hand along with the object in his hand, focusing the power of the essence in one object. Jong-woo jumps out of the car toward the enemy and, despite his doubts about the weapon, hopes that he will be able to destroy the servant. A small but extremely powerful weapon of destruction pierces the creature's mouth, emitting a blue light and accompanied by a piercing scream. The petal-like mouth opens to its full size. The essence knocks all life out of the monster. In an instant, the creature disappears before our eyes. Not a trace remains of the huge, menacing monster. All that surrounds us is a blue light that blinds our eyes. Chief Joe squints, unable to withstand such a powerful glow. His hands try to cover his face from the painful light. Park Jong-woo has no intention of stopping. The pen in his hand, almost a weapon of universal power, steals the last seconds of the servant's life. And then there is only a crack that resembles the rumble of night thunder. Everything seems to collapse into something single and small. The room is filled with a white light, like the brightest star in the universe. Essences then spill out from the epicenter of the glow. Park Jong-woo and Chief Joe watch closely as they fall from the place where the creature had just been. Sunwoon does not understand how the monster evaporated in an instant. The giant, bizarre creature disappeared with a single blow. One of the essences that had just fallen from the servant carefully touched Chef Joe. Park Jong-woo watched spellbound as many blue balls fell from above and approached to touch the body. He fell to his knees, unable to believe his eyes. Jong-woo had just prevented their destruction, which meant they had survived. Holding the pen in front of him, he was surprised at how powerful the essence was. He couldn't even imagine what it was capable of. The notification screen appears again without warning, announcing the start of the selection of the Savior of Earth. Park Jong-woo, still shocked by the outcome of the battle, is struck by another system notification. What could the selection of Earth's Savior mean? One of the windows opens the Savior's chat. Another says that Park Jong-woo has the ability to seal and is ranked second in his region. Jong-woo finds it difficult to focus on any one piece of information because everything is flying in different directions. The administrator explains that the screens are a support system created by Earth and that Park Jong-woo now has the right to use it. Chief Joe calls out to Jong-woo. He asks him if he is okay and if he has any injuries. Park Jong-woo replies that he only has a few scratches and asks the same question to Sung-woon. Chief Joe is also fine thanks to Jong-woo. Jo Sung-woon asks Jong-woo to take a break while he checks the car. The number 26 floats above his head, which means he has also absorbed several essences. Park Jong-woo is interested in the news about his region's second-place ranking. He asks the administrator which region he belongs to. After a pause, the administrator informs him that Park Jong-woo belongs to South Korea, not a region but the entire country. The administrator clarifies that Jong-woo ranks second among Korea's rescuers. Park Jong-woo is surprised because he thought he was only second in his district or region. At the bottom of the screen, you can click a button to contact other saviors. The region's rating is calculated in real time, so it may change. The administrator continues that each of the top 5 has one ability, and if Jong-woo falls below that, he will lose his sealing ability. Jong-woo barely has time to comprehend everything. When asked about the sealing ability, the administrator explains that his task is to close the gate against invasions. This information reminded Park Jong-woo of typical novels about the opening of gates to the world of evil, from which monsters from classic stories emerge. This meant that the savior was a hunter-like creature whose ability was to close the gates. The chain of thoughts continued, so the servant also came out of the gates, one of which is now open. They need to be closed immediately. Suddenly, the administrator announced that in the first 24 hours after connecting a new savior to the system, his task was to preserve that life. Park Jong-woo doesn't understand anything as a red alert flashes before his eyes, ordering him to leave the Kasan area immediately. He is shocked by the information he has been given because how can he leave a place when there is an open gate to another world somewhere here? But Chief Joe gives him no time to think. Starting the engine, he calls Jong-woo to the car and he obeys, jumping off the roof of the car. Obsessive thoughts about the possibility of action do not leave him. However, Park Jong-woo decides to leave the area, which is entirely justified because there is definitely a reason for it. Getting into the car, Chief Joe and Jong-woo breathe a sigh of relief. Now the only thing that matters is to finally get out of the parking lot. The program interface shows that Park Jong-woo is a user, emphasizing that he is human. The evaluation administrator replies that not only humans can be saviors, and now their ranks include various races. The issuance of essences is a way of selecting the strongest, increasing Earth's chances of survival. The most worthy receive a greater number of essences. Then the meaning of the strange questions in the test becomes clear. Its purpose is to give essence to the relatively stronger species. Driving past the city, Park Jong-woo notices that the city seems to have died. There are no cars or people, and even in the zoos there are no animals. Jong-woo remembers the chat in the system but does not understand if it is working. Hoping to ask other survivors for information, he suddenly sees that a person has been added. He realizes that you can only join the chat after you are assigned a place. Someone has already sent a welcome message. Jong-woo still doesn't believe it's real and wonders if he should reply. A new message adds that you need to come up with a nickname to use the chat. Attempts to name himself Earth or Universe are unsuccessful. These words are prohibited in nicknames. Then Park Jong-woo settles on the option Human. The program approves this nickname but warns that it cannot be changed in the future. Chief Joe notices that Jong-woo is thinking about something, but Jong-woo says he was just thinking about monsters. Sun-woon learns that Park Jong-woo lives in the Pongchon area near Naksong Station. During their conversation, they decide to take the main road. The navigator turns on and the connection appears. The main highway is stuck in traffic, so Chief Joe suggests driving through the center. Park Jong-woo thinks about his father. Although he doesn't have his number, he hopes that he is okay. In the middle of the traffic jam, everyone is honking their horns in the hope that the cars in front will start moving. But it's pointless. Jong-woo loses his patience. He gets out of the car and says he's going to talk to the driver behind him who is honking excessively. Approaching the car, he knocks on the window and asks him to honk moderately, considering the situation around him. A burly man who is several times larger than Jong-woo gets out of the car. Citing his bad mood, he starts to pick a fight. The man continues to harass and point his finger, looming menacingly over him. Jong-woo realizes that the difference in physique and height is too great, and that the man's character will not allow for a peaceful agreement. But Park Jong-woo continues to insist that signaling will provoke danger, and that all the people around will be in danger. The man does not take his words seriously. The man sees no problem with honking, and Jong-woo's words about monsters that may be attracted by the sound do not bother him at all. He clenches his fists. He expected Jong-woo to shut up, but he continued to argue, which enraged the man, and he swung at him expecting to strike a blow. Jong-woo defends himself from the attack, covering himself again with his hand, in which he clenches a handle. The essence makes itself known, serving as a shield. Throwing the powerful energy of the essence, Jong-woo causes his opponent to lose his balance and fall backward. The burst of energy causes a blow to the car, completely destroying its upper part. The man stands there with his mouth agape, completely shocked. Now Jong-woo no longer looks weak in the man's eyes, and when he once again insistently asks him not to honk, the man manages to agree with a trembling voice. But despite the useful lesson, Park Jong-woo does not understand why the essence worked, since there was no threat to his life. As he gets into the car, the appraiser replies that after the first use, the essence can be activated if the owner wishes. Chief Joe asks if it wasn't too much. He remains silent, and Sun-woon understands the rhetorical nature of the question. Sun-woon slams on the brakes on Jong-woo's street. Overturned cars and cracks in buildings indicate a recent attack by monsters. Fearing the close presence of the creatures, Sun-woon tells Park Jong-woo to take whatever can be used as a weapon and then move on. Park Jong-woo thanks his boss Joe for visiting his home, but Joe interrupts him, noting that in such a situation there is no point in addressing him as his boss. He allows him to address him simply as Jo Sun-woon and asks him to take care of him despite the situation. Park Jong-woo responds in kind, asking to be addressed informally and making the same request for care. Jong-woo recommends taking one item each so that extra luggage doesn't slow them down on the way. When Sun-woon asks if they should take more because of the unpredictability of the future, Park Jong-woo objects, adding that he has even cooler things at home. Armed with a hammer and a wrench, they walk down the alley accompanied by several cats running away in fear. Sun-woon notices this, to which Jong-woo replies that there are many stray cats in this area. But this time there are too many of them, and they all seem to be running away from something. When Jong-woo turns back to go around behind Jo Sun-woon, a ball of blue light almost touches the back of his head. The flow of essence knocks the hammer out of Sun-woon's hands, and before he can even recover, he falls and hits a pole. It's all over. The essence light absorbed into Sun-woon's hands protected him from the sudden bullet attack. Jong-woo reaches out and reports that, fortunately, Jo Seon-woon was able to activate the essence, explaining that this is how it works when life is threatened. This leads him to believe that there is a reason that provoked this threat. At that moment, armed strangers emerge from their hiding places. An unknown guy, blaming someone for missing the shot, swings a stick charged with essence. At the last second, Sun-eun and Jong-woo manage to dodge, and the stick swings right between them, separating them by several meters. The stranger did not expect to miss. Surprised, he stands between Sun-woon and Jong-woo, not understanding how he failed to cause any harm. The partners laugh at his failure and accusations against them. Irritated, he orders them to be quiet and complains about the lack of help. Sun-woon and Jong-woo notice that the teenagers are armed. Sun-woon, clutching a wrench in his hands, asks them why they are doing this. One of the teenagers raises a metal pipe and sneers, saying that the essence is power and strength, and the means of obtaining it is not so important. Sun-woon tries to convince them that it is not necessary to destroy people to achieve this. They are still too young, and the world does not need this. The teenager smiles again. He replies that the world Sun-woon is talking about disappeared a couple of hours ago. Another stranger swings an essence bat. Sun-eun and Jong-woo manage to react in time. Sun-woon strikes, knocking the bat out of his hands, and the attacker loses his balance and falls on one of the other boys. The teenager in the orange hoodie attacks Jong-woo, but notices that he has successfully blocked the blow. He notices that Jong-woo must have already collected a lot of essence. The teenager says that in that case, he also enjoys destroying other people. This phrase causes Park Jong-woo to experience a strong emotional surge that transforms into a powerful burst of essence from his hand, causing the others to fall. Jong-woo, trying to cope with his emotions, tells himself that he does not want to destroy others and sends a powerful burst of essence far beyond the alley. This provoked a long, wide trench and a new amount of essence. Most of the attackers disappeared. Park Jong-woo falls helplessly to his knees while one of the attackers pins Seong-woon against the wall. He orders the other to catch Jong-woo immediately. The teenager is about to deliver an irreversible blow to Park Jong-woo. While he is frozen on his knees, the attacker swings and yells for him to disappear. Seong-woon's heart skips a few beats and he screams at Jong-woo to come to his senses immediately. But he doesn't hear him. Jong-woo sits as if hypnotized while an existential threat to his life looms over his head, which could end in an instant. Jong-woo finally gathers his strength. He skillfully dodges the attack, outmaneuvering his opponent and taking his last breaths. The essence pen lies securely in his hand. Jong-woo's thoughts are occupied only with survival, not humanity. The stranger holding Sun-woon grins irritably and lets him go, throwing him against the wall. He realizes Jong-woo's power. He lets go of the stick and nods his heels. The essence still burns in Park Jong-woo's hand while Sun-woon tries to catch his breath. Determined, Jong-woo tells Sun-woon that he will take care of the fugitive and orders him to deal with all the consequences. Sun-woon notices the teenager whom Jong-woo has hurt. He can hear the teenager's agonized breathing mixed with a weak cough. The attacker runs away from Park Jong-woo, who is chasing him step by step. Seeing that he is almost upon him, he begs him to let him go. But Jong-woo is indifferent to his pleas. Catching up with him, he grabs him by the collar and knocks him to the ground, preparing to strike him. The attacker panics. Giving up on trying to reason with him, he tries to force Jong-woo to let him go with aggression and threats. Park Jong-woo's attention is drawn to the notification screen, which says that he has dropped to 4th place in the rankings, threatening to lose his sealing ability. He dismisses the thought. The attacker accuses him of bluffing and says that once he commits destruction, he will become just like them. Jong-woo instantly denies this and delivers the decisive blow, sending the attacker to the other world. All that remains of the attacker are a few balls of essence shining under the crimson mirror. Jong-woo denies the similarity and justifies his actions as survival. Meanwhile, Seong-woon pins another attacker to the ground with his foot. The attacker cries out in agony and helplessness. He apologizes and begs for mercy. He complains of pain in his arm and promises never to do it again, saying that it was the first and last time. Sun-woon swings a wrench, convincing himself that such people enjoy destruction and that their freedom threatens others. He expects the essence to work now, but it doesn't. There is no blue light around the wrench. The attacker realizes that Sun-woon has never destroyed anyone before. Sun-woon does not understand the reason, and the attacker continues to say that he also does not like to destroy. But in fact, his friend forces him to do such terrible things. A notification appears in front of Sunwoon. The predator's ability points have reached a minimum. This makes him think that he can no longer be a predator. The fear of becoming a useless person overwhelms his mind. The system indicates that he must destroy another hunter, or collect twice as much essence to regain his status. Sunwoon convinces himself that he can do it and strikes, again and again, till the wrench turns the right color. Jongwoo stops Sunwoon. He grabs his arm, stopping him from continuing the horrific process, and asks him to stop. Sunwoon falls to his knees. His hand is still holding the wrench, and Jongwoo says that he shouldn't stoop to such a level. In a state of helplessness, he says that he was unable to use the essence, which greatly surprises Jongwoo. He recalls that the essence is activated at will after the first use, and that Sunwoon failed because, unlike him, he does not want to destroy. Jongwoo asks if Seongwoon can stand up, and supporting him helps him walk. He says that there is not much time left. Not far away, a dialogue takes place between the police and a woman. She thanks them for their help, to which they reply that this is what they are there for. Jongwoo and Seongwoon eavesdrop from behind the car. Jongwoo says that the police officers do not look threatening, and that it is worth asking them if it is safe to be here. Apologizing, they try to ask the police their question, but in response they receive only a piercing, frightened scream. One of the police officers immediately points his gun at them, demanding to know who they are. The second police officer uses his whistle to call for backup. Jongwoo tries to explain, but the whistle has already summoned a police squad that is shouting about an emergency situation. In a matter of seconds, Park Jong-woo and Sun Eun-na are surrounded by a police squad. They order them to drop their weapons or they will shoot. Sunwoo asks what to do. Jong-woo recommends doing as they say, citing their safe appearance. After listening, Sunwoo throws the wrench on the ground. The police immediately notice the traces of destruction on it and call Sunwoo and Jongwoo assassins. The police crowd around them, shouting that people like them have made it this far. Jongwoo aggressively swears, saying that he wanted to resolve everything peacefully. Clutching the handle tightly, he watches as the police squad is one step away from catching them. But the police stop when they hear the voice of a man clutching his chest, repeating that they cannot attack without clarifying the situation. The man introduces himself as Young Jun-ho, commander of Self-Defense Brigade No. 2, and asks for identification. He explains to Jongwoo and Seongwoon that the crime rate has risen sharply after the incident, so the police are checking the documents of everyone in the area. Jongwoo hands him his citizen card. Junho carefully studies the contents of the card and intently analyzes the faces of Jongwoo and Seongwoon. Park Jongwoo visibly tenses up under Young Junho's serious gaze. Seongwoon patiently waits behind him for his reaction. Junho smiles as he returns the card and shakes Jongwoo's hand, adding that for some reason he did not recognize his neighbor. He asks a few more questions about whether they walked from the neighboring district and whether they noticed anything dangerous on the way. Junho hints whether Sunwoon and Jongwoo have encountered assassins, which makes Jongwoo suspect that the police officer does not fully trust them. Park Jongwoo decides to hide part of the truth so as not to complicate the situation, and replies that they only saw bodies destroyed by monsters. The information about the monsters surprises and frightens the police officers. This means that they are hearing about them for the first time. Jongwoo continues to tell how they fled from work and nearly died because of these creatures, but despite the difficulties, they managed to survive. Jongwoo explains that the red stains on the wrench are from biological material absorbed by their protective equipment as they hid among the bodies. Junho watched the story unfold without looking away. Jongwoo didn't know if the police officer would believe him, but he relied on the truth in his words. But Young Junho smiled broadly again and simply asked them to be careful, thanking them for their cooperation. Seongwoon exhaled with relief. When Seongwoon and Jongwoo left, one of the police officers asked Junho if they should be released. Junho replied that they were indeed suspicious, but they had no evidence, and if they destroyed them, they would be no different from the assassins in the neighboring district. Jongwoo knew that Junho suspected them, but he let them go anyway. He saw him as a noble person who deserved the title of savior, unlike himself. Climbing the stairs to Seongwoon's apartment, Jongwoo asks if he called his father, with whom he lives. Jongwoo replies that he does not have his number. Seongwoon notices the coldness between Jongwoo and his father, but Jongwoo says his father is a little unusual and asks for understanding if something goes wrong. Jongwoo enters the apartment warning about his colleague, but there is no one inside. Seongwoon assumes that he is hiding, but Jongwoo disagrees. Seongwoon remembers how Jongwoo talked about the weapons in his house, so he thought it was dangerous here, but in his opinion, the house looks normal. There is a noise coming from the room. Jongwoo's father finally comes out, and the title Predator flashes above his head. He is glad that his son is okay and introduces himself to Sunwoon as Park Min-gu. The Predator title makes Sunwoon tense up. Jo Seongwoon also introduces himself and they shake hands. Park Min-gu is happy to meet him but suddenly puts more force into the handshake. Energy essence emanates from Min-gu's hands and with a crazy smile and eyes, he calls Sunwoon a predator too. Sunwoon is shocked by the sudden change in behavior. Jongwoo decides to intervene and tries to calm his father down by loosening his grip. He manages to pry Min-gu's hand away. Sunwoon, still in shock, holds his hand, not understanding what just happened. Park Min-gu abruptly pulls his hand away from his son's grip. Muttering, he accuses them of being overly affectionate. Walking away to the table, Min-gu says that after the morning's events, he first gathered food and put it on the balcony, inviting them to take it if they needed it. Jong-woo and Seon-yoon notice a huge number of boxes of food stacked on top of each other. Jong-woo wonders how he managed to do it so quickly. Noticing red marks on the cans, Jong-woo turns his attention to Min-gu. Above him is the number 73, indicating that the food was obtained at the cost of human lives. Min-gu asks him to take everything he needs and put it next to his backpack. When Jong-woo asks if he did the same, he confirms it and says that his things are in the bedroom. Jong-woo asks if his father wants to go alone. Min-gu replies that with the end of the world, it will no longer be possible to live as before. He calls himself worthless and blames himself for Jong-woo's suffering. This is the main reason why it is time for everyone to go their separate ways. While Seong-woon was gathering supplies, Jong-woo also gave him a stun gun as a weapon. Park Jong-woo himself armed himself with a knife. As soon as the backpack was packed and Park Jong-woo and Jo Seung-woon were ready to leave, a group of self-defense guards suddenly knocked on the door. Jong-woo tensed up. Why would the self-defense group suddenly come to their house? The policeman at the door said that there had been an incident at the Blue Dragon store and that they were now going door to door to find out what had happened. He insisted that they open the door, assuring them that they would just look around the apartment. Suddenly, Park Min-gu stepped between Sun-woo and Jong-woo. As he approached the door, his gaze expressed only determination and readiness to face the consequences. As soon as Min-gu approached the door and the voices of the police became louder, Jong-woo's memories forced him to return to the past. Memories of debt collectors dunking his father's head in the toilet and demanding immediate repayment of the loan with interest. Min-gu promised to pay the money back as soon as his business took off. These words were followed by blows and harassment. The debt collectors did not believe that he had no money. Jong-woo sat behind the door clutching his head while the debt collectors, after beating him up, realized that Min-gu really had nothing. The boss pressed Min-gu's foot and threatened that if he didn't pay back the money in a week, he would end up in the same grave as his wife. They left him saying that he shouldn't have borrowed money in the first place. They also accused him of causing Nai to throw herself under a car because of his fraud. Min-gu cried uncontrollably as soon as the debt collectors left. He knew that Jong-woo was sitting behind the door and turned to him, assuring him that his mother had died in an accident. Powerless, he continued to cry and, as if seeking approval from Jong-woo, said that he was not to blame for Nai's death. Park Min-gu opened the door. The police officers froze as soon as they saw the Predator's title above his head. The police officer says that the Blue Dragon destroyed people and took all their belongings. His finger is tense on the holster. His stern gaze makes the police hold their breath, but Min-gu immediately smiles, inviting them into the room and thanking them for their hard work. The police officers enter the apartment. They promise not to take much time and disperse throughout the rooms. One of them opens the door to the balcony. A multitude of boxes filled with food immediately catches the eye. The cop yells that he's found the criminals and pulls his gun out of its holster, but as soon as he tries to shoot, his whole life flashes before his eyes in a second. With just one touch of his finger, Park Min-gu takes the policeman's life, leaving traces of essence mixed with red clots around him. The cop's partner presses his back against the wall as soon as Min-gu approaches him. Sweat runs down his face and his body trembles with fear. Min-gu promises not to touch the others in return if they don't come here anymore, adding that he won't be here much longer anyway. The policeman runs away. Min-gu tells Jong-woo and Seong-woo that even though he promised not to come back, the place is still dangerous. Handing his son a gun, Min-gu orders him to leave as soon as possible. Jong-woo offers to go with him and confesses that he is the savior. He assures him that he knows how to solve everything, but his father says that he does not need to be saved. Min-gu is confident in the advantages of the end of the world. Looking at a photo of a woman, he tells Jong-woo to go out into the street and save people there if he wants to so badly. Jong-woo tries to get through to him, but to no avail. His father's behavior reminds Park Jong-woo of his mother. As soon as they leave the apartment, Seung-woo asks Jong-woo if he is sure he wants to go, since his father is left alone. He replies that he is sure of his condition and that even in such a world, if they stay together, neither of them will find anything good. Out on the street, their path was blocked by a crowd of frightened cats running away. A sudden voice from nowhere orders them to follow him. Son, Un looks around trying to find the source of the sound. The voice says it is right in front of him. 3 cats stand in front of him, and the one in front continues to say that there is little time left and they must immediately go to a high place. San-woon cannot believe his ears. A cat is talking to them. Jong-woo understands that essences are distributed to different species, but he did not expect that they could talk. Jong-woo decides to trust the cats and follow them, since he doesn't have a specific plan anyway. The cats running around is noticeably tiring. San-woon leans on his knees to catch his breath, while Park Jong-woo is stunned by what he sees. San-woon asks what it is, but Jong-woo cannot believe that right in front of him is a gate that has grown even larger. The administrator informs them that the gate will soon be activated and they must leave the area immediately. Jong-woo touches the handle, ready to go. Suddenly, a loud bang shakes the already tense atmosphere. A clawed paw digs into the concrete. Sun-woon and Jong-woo recognize the creature as a servant. Before they can recover, a crowd of cats runs past them, calling out to each other, ordering each other to stop attacking and defend. The servant opens its toothy maw, and the cats rush straight into the epicenter of danger, not drowning out their main slogan of unquestionably stopping it. The monster swings its claw and destroys several cats at once. The essence immediately seeps out of the fluffy creatures. Seeing all this chaos, Jong-woo throws Sunwoo's backpack and rushes into battle with a pen charged with essence, asking the administrator to explain how to close the gate. The administrator says that the gate will close if the monsters from another dimension are destroyed, and then a certain amount of essence is sent there at once. Jong-woo approaches the portal and asks how much essence is needed, to which the administrator replies that it depends on the gate itself. When Jong-woo looks at the gate, the administrator continues, but this time it sounds like he is trying to intimidate him. The amount of essence that Jong-woo currently possesses is insufficient. With this amount, it is impossible to close any gate, as the required amount is many times greater. The servant continues to destroy. Jong-woo does not realize how it is even possible to collect so much. His amount is not even close to what is needed. The leader of the cats turns to Park Jong-woo, saying that he is the strongest because he has the most essence. He must fight, not run away. Jong-woo notices a scar on his face and wonders how an ordinary cat can see the amount of essence he has. Courage and an unrelenting desire to go into battle lead Jong-woo to believe that this cat is a savior, and when he asks him about it, the cat continues to sneak towards the gate. The cat confirms Jong-woo's assumptions. He calls himself a savior and sets himself the task of going into battle and closing the gate. Jong-woo tries to stop the cat, but it no longer hears him. Bravely, it leaps on its hind legs into the center of the fight, leaving Jong-woo to watch. The gate widens each time. Park Jong-woo realizes that even if he continues to fight, he will not be able to close the gate. The servant destroys the animals one by one. Jong-woo realizes that this is a battle of attrition. The cats are becoming fewer and fewer, and the situation needs to be resolved. The monster's bottomless mouth pulls Park Jong-woo out of his thoughts. The servant looms menacingly over his head, preparing to attack, but fails. The pack of cats soars synchronously through the air, moving toward the servant and Jong-woo. They all cry out to defend themselves and sink their teeth into the creature's body. They knock the servant off his feet. Each cat lands on a different part of the monster's body to restrain it and pull it away from Jong-woo. One of the cats shouts at Jong-woo to destroy the creature as quickly as possible while they hold it. Park Jong-woo shouts that if he attacks, the cats will immediately go to the other world, but they rush him, saying that it is difficult for them to restrain the monster. Despite his inner turmoil, Jong-woo uses the essence and throws a blue stream at the monster. He screams to save the survivors. As if responding to a call from the battlefield, the leader of the cats flies straight at Jong-woo. He grabs the cat with his hands so that it does not get hurt, and they land together. Park Jong-woo accuses the cat of acting rashly and making ill-considered decisions. The difference in size and strength will lead to their destruction. But the cat is serious. He orders Jong-woo to fight, and even when Jong-woo objects, citing the small amount of essence, the cat does not back down. He says to take their essences, and when Jong-woo says that even if they collect the essences of all those who have died, it will not be enough, the cat screams to find more. The cat continues to scream while the others continue to stop the servant. He demands more and more essence. Jong-woo tries to reason with the cats, telling them that they will now die, but they continue to faithfully serve their cause, giving their lives. The administrator intervenes, reminding them that in order to preserve the essence, they must go to the other world alongside their allies. This angers Jong-woo, and he disagrees. The cat resumes the fight, reminding Jong-woo of his mission as a savior. Jong-woo understands why Earth apologized, knowing how many victims there would be. The essence in his hand reignites, this time stronger and more confident. Jong-woo knew what he would do, even though he tried to overcome himself. A colossal energy leak provokes a powerful blow. The servant is thrown into two pieces, and all the cats are thrown up into the air, twisting into complete chaos. Eventually, nothing remains of them but essence, and a long trench bears witness to the sacrificial struggle. After the deed is done, the system reports that Jong-woo has risen to 4th place in the rankings. Sun-woon asks if Jong-woo is okay and recommends leaving as soon as possible before the monsters get even more aggressive. The number above Song-woon's head makes Jong-woo tense up. He grips the handle tighter than usual, which surprises Song-woon. Park Jong-woo aims his weapon directly at Sun-woon, but the shot hits the servant behind him, who was just about to attack. The essence falls out of the creature. While Sun-woon is in emotional shock, Park Jong-woo confidently heads towards the blue balls. He picks up the essences one by one, both from the creature and from the destroyed cats, until the number exceeds 1,000. Jong-woo collects everything to the last and notices that he is rising to 3rd place in the rankings. But this does not solve the main problem. The gates are still open, and their number exceeds Park Jong-woo's by several dozen times. However, he agrees with Seong-woon that it is time to leave, and there is nothing more to do here. But he cannot get the thought of his mission as a savior out of his head. Behind Jong-woo is a dug trench leading to the open portal. Park Jong-woo sets himself the goal of obtaining 10,000 essences at any cost. Jong-woo is in a hurry, but Seong-woon asks him to slow down. Fearing a loss in ratings, Jong-woo hesitates but eventually agrees. Sun-woon asks where they are going. Jong-woo replies that they are going to a crowded place. Sun-woon assumes that this is due to Park Jong-woo's safety and responsibilities as a savior. Park Jong-woo adds that they need to head towards the Gangnam area because that is where the largest number of people are likely to be. Suddenly, Yang Jun-ho appears. He anxiously reports an explosion in the upper part of the district and notes that Jong-woo and Seong-yoon are coming down from there. Seong-woo replies that they are coming down because they saw an open gate and a monster coming out of it. Jong-woo notices a number above Junho's head, and images of the gate and a mountain of destroyed cats immediately pop into his head. This leads him to only one conclusion. Only Sunwoon begins to assure the police officers of Jong-woo's status as a savior, as he throws himself at them with charged essence and hurls a powerful stream. Park Jong-woo thinks only of one number in closing the gate. The more victims there are, the faster the number will increase. 10,000 is nothing. The essence quickly engulfs everyone present. Sunwoon is forced to watch in shock, as the police officers are absorbed by the light of the essence one by one. A few seconds later, the usual consequences of the attack appear. A long trench and the remains of destroyed people, essence balls scattered around the perimeter of the battlefield. The powerful outpouring of energy causes Sun-woon to lose his balance. Stunned, he marvels at the actions of Jong-woo, who also bears the title of savior. With his last breath, Jung-ho turns to his partner, who manages to utter a few words. The essence has severely affected them, but it has not destroyed them. A bloodied Yang Jung-ho sees Jong-woo crouching next to him and looking at him insolently. He calls him an assassin and does not understand how he can save anyone. But Park Jong-woo is not affected by his words. He puts the handle to his throat and says that even though he doesn't believe it, this is what a savior must do. Yang Jung-ho manages to grab the gun and aims it at his face. A shot rings out. Smoke billows from the barrel of the gun, but the bullet only ricochets off Jong-woo. The essence envelops his throat, protecting him from injury. Park Jong-woo still believes that he has no choice but to destroy it. The amount of essence will only increase at the expense of human lives. In a fit of rage, Song-woon grabs Jung-woo by the collar and pushes him against the wall. He calls him crazy and does not understand the motivation behind his actions. Jong-woo's face remains calm. Sun-woon's aggression surprises him while he tries to understand how a savior can commit such atrocities. Jong-woo suggests that destruction may be part of the savior's role because it helps to collect more essence. Seong-woon indignantly replies that this is absurd, but Jong-woo insists that the savior's mission is to close the gate, which requires 10,000 essences, and the method of collecting them is irrelevant. What he hears makes Song-woo cry out. He argues that it is not necessary to destroy the innocent. It is possible to join forces with other saviors and close the gate together. Jong-woo also shouts, saying that Sun-woo's version will not work because the essence must be collected in one vessel for it to make sense. He continues to remind Sun-woon of how Earth asked for forgiveness because its real goal was to save itself, not people. Only those saviors who have the power of sealing can do this, as well as those who will do it simply because they are obliged to, and Jong-woo will go for it. Park Jong-woo tries to assure Sun-woo that this situation will now be a normal way of life, but Sun-woon cannot wrap his head around these last words. Jong-woo's cold-bloodedness greatly unsettles him. Jong-woo decides that if Seong-woon does not accept this fact, their journey together will become a heavy burden, and the thought of taking his essence crosses his mind. But the vibration of the phone in Jong-woo's pocket distracts him from his alarming thoughts. An emergency notification is sounding. The Kwanak District Administration informs that due to the anomalies, anyone who needs help can contact the Citizen and Agency Support Center. Among the reports of evacuations and road closures, Jong-woo notices that the government is currently looking for rescuers and asking them to contact them. Sun-woo is surprised that in the emergency message, Jong-woo is only interested in the fact that the government is looking for rescuers. In addition, Jong-woo's attention is drawn to messages in the chat from other rescuers. Most are inclined to believe that the government will not help them. He thinks that now the struggle for essence between the saviors will only intensify, and during sleep an assault may begin that will quickly end everything. This leads him to conclude that they need someone who can cover for them and who they can trust. Jong-woo changes his mind and decides to take Seong-woon after all. Only Park Jong-woo tries to say something, but a familiar sound makes him hold his breath. The servant has returned. Jong-woo yells to leave immediately and suggests that Seong-woon go with him to a place where there are as many people as possible. Sun-woon asks if this is to destroy them. When he confirms this and talks about the essence again, Sun-woon suggests that maybe he shouldn't go with him. These words do not suit Park Jong-woo. He points his gun at Sun-woo and says that in that case, he will be forced to take his essence. Without taking his weapon, Jong-woo gives him a choice. Either go with him or refuse and die right there. Meanwhile, the monsters are getting even more aggressive, rushing towards them at breakneck speed with their claws outstretched. The instinct for self-preservation forces Sun-woon to agree with Jong-woo. He asks him where they should go now. Amidst the screams and shouts of the servants, Park Jong-woo orders them to move towards Sadong Station. The speed of the creatures following behind them forces them to run. Already at Sadong Station, Jong-woo and Sun-woon notice mountains of destroyed people and numerous ruins. This indicated that someone had already been here. Jong-woo leans over one of the victims and picks up a drop of crimson liquid with his finger. He notices that it is still fresh, meaning that the thief who took all the essences is still here. Passing by the aftermath of the attacks, Jong-woo thinks that if the essence thief is nearby, a fight is inevitable, so he needs to analyze everything. He realizes that his physical training leaves much to be desired, and that restoring essence takes seconds. Therefore, significant use of it causes similar damage. Jong-woo realizes that even when the essence is restored, it is not certain that what remains will be sufficient for further defense. That is, even if there is a lot of essence and physical training is insufficient, the chances of a successful fight may be zero. In addition, if the process is not controlled and the essence is used as one pleases, it will be completely unwise and disadvantageous in a long battle. Park Jong-woo decides to focus on this information, but despite this, he notices a store. His phone is already half out of battery, so he tells Seong-woo to go into the store and get an external battery and writing utensils. Upon entering the store, Jong-woo and Seong-woon are horrified by what they see. Inside, there are dead people and traces of an attack. Sun-woo suggests that it is the servant's fault. Jong-woo disagrees because then the entrance would have been completely destroyed. This leads to the conclusion that the perpetrator is human. At first glance, Jong-woo thinks that weapons were used, but he notices that there are almost no traces of destruction on the object. Summing up, Park Jong-woo realizes that due to the similarity of the destruction at the Sadong station, it was all done by one person who is also skilled in using essences. In the flow of analysis and thoughts, Jong-woo finally decides to take everything he needs and focus on collecting essences. While Park Jong-woo is choosing a battery, Sun-eun approaches the destroyed man whose body is lying on the cash register. For some reason, this makes him sad. Out of nowhere, there is a noise. In the dark room and oppressive atmosphere, the figures of unknown people stand out. The crowd of unknown people shout at Jong-woo and Seong-woon, asking who they are and ordering them to leave their territory. Sun-woon raises his hands in a gesture of submission and asks them to calm down, saying that they are not here to fight and have only come to take the battery. The unknown people notice Sun-woon's predator rank and refuse to believe his words. One of them shouts not to be afraid and points to someone who is in charge of them. Jong-woo notices that they all have little essence. This means that the person who collected all the essence at the Sadong station is someone else's business and is most likely their leader. Unexpectedly, Park Jong-woo stands up for Sun-woon and assures people that despite his title, he helped him escape from the monster at work. One of them tensely asks how they can believe them if it could all have been planned in advance. With a smile, Park Jong-woo agrees that what he said sounds unthinkable, but continues to assure them that they fled from the monster without any weapons. The people believe the smiling Jong-woo and apologize. Despite this, they dare to ask if they have seen the monster anywhere nearby. Jong-woo, averting his gaze, says that they saw the monster in the Yeonung area near Naxion Station. People are horrified by how close it was. One of them worries that the creatures will soon reach them, while another accuses him of cowardice. They argue about whether they should go back despite their responsibilities. They can't return empty-handed, and the information about the monsters is much more important. One of them is concerned about the reliability of the plan, and says that if they get caught, the one who came up with it will be the one to take the blame. In the end, they leave. Jong-woo says to follow them while keeping their distance because they will meet other people there. Seong-woo is furious at what he has heard. He realizes that Jong-woo did this on purpose, only pretending to protect him. His real goal is to tell everyone about the servant and destroy all the people at once. Jong-woo confirms this and assures him that this is the most effective way. The group of people checks to see if they are being followed. After making sure that no one is following them, they continue on their way. But suddenly, before entering the building, they are stopped by a man's voice asking if it is true that a monster has appeared. He scares people. They ask him not to shout so loudly and, despite his apologies, tell him to go inside. Meanwhile, Jong-woo and Seong-eun eavesdrop on them. Hiding behind cars, they carefully follow their direction. Jong-woo did not expect so many people, so he gives Seong-woon his backpack and asks him to hide. He decides to go there alone. Seong-woon suggests that if he takes the backpack and runs away, it might be a good idea to leave him alone. But Jong-woo disagrees. He says that Seong-woon is a witness to what is happening in the world right now and how much it has changed. Park Jong-woo asks if Sun-woon is really sure he can survive on his own. Sun-woon's frowning gaze shows that he is really thinking about it. People discussed what had happened in the Inun area. Not everyone was convinced that the monster really existed. Some doubted the veracity of the news. Some mentioned the strange beads that fell out of people after their destruction, so the likelihood of the monster's existence was not so small. The older man briefly silenced the incessant chatter. He asked everyone to be quiet and pay close attention to the seriousness of the conversation. When the man was told about the monsters, he did not hear any normal confirmation of their existence, and on top of that, they had not brought any food supplies. The young man immediately replied that those they met in the store were unarmed among the lifeless bodies, and could be trusted. Food was not even considered. They did not believe him because he had to verify the information. The man added that he would now give up his monthly food supply and report it to the person in charge. This caused outrage in the young man because he did not understand how it was possible to think only about food when at any moment one could die from a monster. Someone from the crowd said that no one had seen the monster with their own eyes, and even if it did exist, there was no need to worry because the same person was behind them. This person would protect them while everyone else was gathering food. So the older man ordered the others to follow his instructions and not worry about trifles. The guy in the cap shouted that a video of the monster had appeared on the internet, so it must exist. This casts doubt on blindly following orders. But suddenly, the heated discussion is interrupted by Jong-woo entering the room. Everyone's eyes immediately fall on him. Jong-woo immediately raises his hands in the air, showing his affection for those present, and despite his apologies, asks if he can stay here for a while. Everyone begins to whisper. They do not understand who he is and do not recognize him as the person behind them. The young man shouts at Jong-woo, asking how he ended up here. The older man realizes that it was Jong-woo who told them about the creature and is outraged that they brought him here. Fearing that the leader will find out about this, the young man points a bat at Jong-woo and asks him how he found them and whether the predator is involved. Jong-woo fearfully replies that the predator took all his belongings and decided to go alone, and he headed for a populated area, thinking that he would be able to survive that way. The older man notices Jong-woo's fear as he has no backpack or weapons. He does not look dangerous, and his information about the monsters may be useful. The man forces the boy to put down his bat and invites Park Jong-woo to join them, saying that it is more or less safe here and he has nothing to worry about. Jong-woo asks if it is really safe here. The older man assures him that their leader is a very strong person who provides protection. The man leads Jong-woo to the warehouse, shows him the food supplies, and offers protection in exchange for food. Jong-woo is impressed by the amount of food gathered in such a short time. In addition, Park Jong-woo wonders if their leader is so concerned only about food supplies, he can hardly be a savior. Jong-woo asks who destroyed the people. The man replies that it was the leader who eliminated his rivals and justified his actions by saying that food is now more important than anything else. Jong-woo's theory is confirmed by their leader, who is the one who collects all the essences. The man defends him, saying that obtaining food proves his goodness. He says he will introduce Jong-woo to the leader, but instead asks for information about the monsters. Jong-woo realizes that this is their goal. He begins his story about how he first encountered the monster when he was at home with his family, and barely managed to escape, unlike them. Suddenly, his eyes light up at the number of essences above the heads of everyone present. The total is 300, which is not enough to close the gate. Jong-woo calls the people innocent, which suggests that perhaps the leader, who may have more essences than he does, is in control of them. Tensing his hand in his pocket, Jong-woo wonders whether he should take all the essences before the leader arrives. But his attention is distracted by the essences that have activated on their own. He realizes that the essences have been activated solely by his thought of taking them from others. He turns away, trying to suppress this power. The older man is concerned about Jong-woo's condition. He asks him if some kind of pain provoked such actions. Despite his considerable efforts, Jong-woo realizes that he cannot attack so recklessly until he checks the number of essences in the leader. But the man's hand is already reaching out to check Jong-woo's temperature, assuming that he is most likely experiencing symptoms of shock. The likely touch of the hand causes Jong-woo to freeze in the moment. An innocent gesture projects in his mind the intention to harm and even destroy. He immediately recalls all the moments when he was one step away from destruction, when the servant was a meter above his head, when an inadequate man in a traffic jam almost smeared him, the police officers who rushed at him in a crowd, not yet aware of the whole situation, and how the monster's bizarre paws smashed the asphalt to pieces before his eyes. This was imprinted as a painful memory in his mind. Jong-woo could no longer control the power of the essence that was already burning brightly in his hands. The man's eyes bulged. Everyone around him was framed by streams of essential light that flew out of his hand in rays. Park Jong-woo just held onto it confidently, not moving away from the people. Eventually, people turned into blue shadows, and the power of the essence was so strong that its spill spread beyond the safe room. Sun-eun, who had been waiting for Jong-woo all this time, realized that innocent people had once again become victims. Suddenly, someone's footsteps caught his attention. He pressed himself against the wall as much as possible, afraid to reveal his presence, while an unknown man passed by. Sun-eun noticed that the man was covered in blood. The man confidently moved past the pedestrian crossing toward the shelter with people, leaving behind crimson footprints as his clothes were soaked with blood. After the attack, the floor was again covered with essence balls. Jong-woo realizes that he was unable to suppress the power, but he will still collect the essences until the leader returns. The survivors flee upstairs. This leads Jong-woo to conclude that there is another exit on the second floor, but his priority now is the essences. He doesn't have time to touch the balls before a powerful blow knocks him off his feet, forcing him to use the essence as a shield. He wonders if the blow was delivered by the essence. People pay attention to the source of the attack. The man standing opposite Jong-woo is their leader, and they say that he has finally arrived. The man, whose gaze expresses both readiness to attack and seriousness, carefully measures his opponent with his eyes. People call him Mr. Zong-hoon. They ask him to destroy Jong-woo, just as he destroyed almost everyone present. Park Jong-woo finally sees their leader with his own eyes. In his hand, he sees an essential knife, which suggests that San-hong can recreate any form without using an object that will serve as a core. But at the same moment, he remembers his father, who used essence like threads, which may indicate that everyone uses essence differently. Sang-hoon looks over to where the food is stored. Everything is turned upside down. The bottles are empty, and almost all the food has been destroyed. This infuriates him. Enraged, he confidently grips his sword and rushes straight at Jong-woo, calling him a scumbag who dared to touch his food. The knife grows to such a size that it almost touches Park Jong-woo. He is interested in how much essence San-hong has if he seems so strong. Jong-woo notices 311 essences above his head, followed immediately by a blow. The essence shield protects and disperses the energetic flows, cutting through the air. The attack does not stop, but Jong-woo expected San-hoon to have more essence. Most likely, he was just interested in how to use them and how to fight. Park Jong-woo continues to think that in order to fight with only 300 essences, almost all of them must be concentrated on the sword. Song-hoon strikes, but Jong-woo dodges him, disappearing from view. The tip of the sword hits the ground and breaks in half. While San-hong does not understand what has happened, Park Jong-woo realizes that if he destroys the sword, he will not be able to defend himself, and directs the essence at him, striking a blow. San-hong is thrown back by a powerful stream of essence. In agony, he screams, trying to resist the attack in any way he can, but eventually the blue light engulfs him completely. Eventually, all that remains of him are balls of essence floating chaotically around Park Jong-woo, whose hand is still pointing forward. The people watching from above freeze in fear, dripping with sweat. Their leader was destroyed seconds ago, and they waste no time in fleeing upstairs. Adding up the amount of essence in San-hoon and the people who remained alive, Jong-woo estimates it to be about 200,000. He follows the people to the second floor, remembering how dangerous the sudden attack was and that he should get used to using protection. People are thinking about how to break the tempered glass. Some suggest taking something from the cash register on the first floor. Others suggest throwing a table at it and trying to break it. But Jong-woo beats them to it, saying that he has no hatred for them, but that this is his mission. Unexpectedly, people begin to bargain with Jong-woo, declaring their best qualities. Some study at prestigious universities, some are chefs, and some are engineers. They rush to convince him that they will be of some use and should not be destroyed. The people begging for mercy made Jong-woo think about how much they wanted to survive, offering their usefulness as if they were goods on display. The frightened people freeze on their knees, waiting for the verdict. Jong-woo thinks about their offer and asks if there is a doctor among them. Everyone is silent. Park Jong-woo realizes that there is no doctor and directs the essence at everyone. In an instant, the group of people turns into another scent of essence for Jong-woo, which he collects by touching it with his foot. But as soon as his foot touches the last ball, an alert system suddenly appears, informing him that Jong-woo has unlocked the ability of a tracker. The system informs him why this ability was discovered. Third place in the ranking of the owner of the ability to seal the vessel with the largest amount of essence. Jong-woo ironically notes how the destruction of over 100 people became his achievement, for which he also received double fighting spirit and extra points. Jong-woo finds himself in a yellow ring with pointers. The evaluation administrator says that tracking is a system created to help strong rescuers. There are two modes. The first is gate tracking, and the second is essence tracking. It is not possible to use both modes at the same time. Gate tracking identifies up to 30 nearby gates, and the essence search mode within a 10-kilometer radius leads to the highest concentration of essences. Jong-woo notices that the ring points towards the Gangnam station, indicating that whoever swept away all the essences has not yet reached there. Before leaving, he thinks that those who are in first and third place in the ranking also received titles, so this feature will help find the strongest. The evaluation administrator clarifies to Jong-woo that the arrow only points in the direction of the largest amount of essence. It is not a specific area or object. Park Jong-woo understands that if the arrow changes course before he arrives, it means that it is pointing to someone with more essence. Thanks to this feature, Jong-woo will no longer worry about his next target. He leaves the room and decides to head to Gangnam Station. Sung-woo calls out to him, saying that he just saw a man covered in blood, but Jong-woo stops him and says that everything has already been taken care of. At Gangnam Station, Jong-woo sees that the road has turned into complete chaos. The thought occurs to him to get there faster via the Supreme Court. Sun-woon, as if reading his thoughts, advises him to bypass the Supreme Court. It turns out that animals have escaped from the Seoul Zoo, and a group of lions has broken in. Jong-woo ignores Sung-woon's advice to go around and insists on going through the Supreme Court. Sung-woon is surprised and asks if he really plans to compete with lions. He replies that lions are strong and without essence, and even if they have it, it will be much more difficult to eliminate them than people. Jong-woo says that lions could be formidable competitors, but he has already destroyed powerful competitors before, so this will not be anything new. As soon as Jong-woo and Seong-woon approach the Supreme Court, they immediately notice a crowd of people armed with sticks and bats. They do not appear frightened, but Jong-woo is sure that he and these people have similar goals and that they probably didn't come just to look at the lions. Most people have at least 100 essences, which gives Jong-woo confidence, and most of them are scum who took the essences from others. A man with over 1,000 essences catches his attention. This person could be dangerous and unpredictable in battle. Jong-woo asks Seong-woon to step aside because there is a potential threat nearby, and things are not so simple here. Sun-woon notices the excitement in Jong-woo's voice when he emphasizes the power of the man with the most essence. Suddenly, all eyes turn to Sun-woon. His title of Predator instantly attracts the attention of those around him, and they immediately begin to shout, "Predator." This does not escape the man's attention, but he is more surprised by the amount of essence Jong-woo has than by Sun-woon's title of Predator. Jong-woo notices his interest. But instead of attacking, the man opens a chat in the system. Jong-woo doesn't understand what he is doing, so he also pays attention to the chat. Unexpectedly, the man asks for mercy in the chat because he has not yet found his daughter. Jong-woo assumes that she is in the court where the pack of lions has gathered. He notices that the man's nickname sounds like a woman's name, but considering that he is a savior and ranks 4th in the ratings, it is difficult to simply believe him. Jong-woo notices a participant who jumped from 16th place to 12th in 2 hours. He appreciates his quick wit, but at the same time realizes that he cannot fall behind. However, his main mission is this unknown man. He responds aloud that he understands his situation, but the crowd of people will be a big hindrance. Jong-woo asks him to help him get rid of the people, and only then will he decide whether to spare the man or not. A man from the crowd began to accuse Jong-woo of being crazy. He was not friendly, so he wanted to teach him a lesson until a hand touched his shoulder. Before he could take a step, the man with the most essence sent him to the other world with one swift swipe of his hand. That was just the beginning. One by one, he took their lives and, sparing no effort, absorbed more and more essence into himself. After destroying everyone, Jong-woo and Seong-eun watched as the man said he knew they would not spare him, but he could not die here. The man began to shout and added that he would not die until he found his daughter. Jong-woo just frowned intently. Jong-woo said he would have spared him if he hadn't taken the essences, but the man replied that he knew his true goals because he himself was a savior. The man knows that everything has already been decided in advance, but he still enters into a fight with Jong-woo, simultaneously using the essence from his weapon. Park Jong-woo uses all the essence he has and attacks the man until the blue light completely envelops his body. Expecting him to be dead, he lowers his hand, but is immediately struck by the fact that the man managed to block his blow by creating an essence shield. Despite his surprise and indignation, Jong-woo comes to the conclusion that it all comes down to the different densities of the essence. Jong-woo used an extended attack with 2,000 essences, and the man gathered them into a single form, increasing their intensity and strength. However, the man did not take into account that cracks would eventually appear and everything would fly apart. Realizing his defeat and the absence of a shield, the man immediately rushes to the essences that remain lying on the ground. Jong-woo throws the essence leak. Park Jong-woo notices that only 3 of the large number of essences fell out of the man, and their color is much brighter. Suddenly, the essence that fell out of the man is absorbed into Jong-woo, but the number has increased by as much as 600. However, he realizes that density increases brightness. Opening the chat, Jong-woo noticed that those who were below 4th place in the ranking had moved up a place, and people were actively discussing it. In addition, if 2 saviors who are at the top of the ranking die fighting each other, no notification will be sent. To fill the empty space in the chat, the person who was in 51st place rises. He replied to the others that he noticed that the environment had changed. This message reminded Jong-woo of the manner of communication of the cat with a scar on its eye, and gave the impression that the person in 50th place was a predatory animal. Despite being in 2nd place in the rankings and having over 5,000 essences, Jong-woo understood that a new battle with animals was ahead, for which he needed to train on lions. Approaching the Supreme Court, Song-woo noted that this place seemed to scream that the time of lawlessness had come. Numerous lifeless bodies lay around. Inside, it was even worse. Song-woo suggested that to find the pride of lions, they should follow the trail of bodies, as the court was too large to search blindly. But Jong-woo put forward another version. If all the people were gathered together, the lions would make themselves known, and there would be no point in looking for them deliberately. Son-woon had not yet recovered from Jong-woo's words when Jong-woo began shouting, pretending to be the police and asking if there were any survivors. People who had heard the noise of the police coming to rescue them came out of their hiding places. Song-woon noticed that they were students. Jong-woo's attention is drawn to a girl with a badge that says Choi Yeon-ji, so the man wasn't lying, but that doesn't change anything. Just as Jong-woo raised his pen, Seong-woon grabbed his hand and asked him to stop for the sake of the children. He asked if he wasn't afraid of punishment from above. But Jong-woo replies that it was those above who ordered him to do such things, and asks Seong-woon to let him go. The crowd's cries interrupt them. They all point to one spot above where a pack of lions is already preparing to attack. Without any fear and with a ready supply of essence, Jong-woo is only more confident in his tactics. The lions take the bait. Noticing their prey, the lions slowly begin to spread out on both sides, with the aim of surrounding the people from all sides. Jong-woo notices that there are only lionesses in the pride, and there are only 6 of them. The number of essences above their heads does not exceed 40, which greatly surprises Jong-woo, because the lionesses should have been collecting essence since early morning, and the numbers are significantly smaller. One of the lionesses jumps sharply from the upper floor, her paws threatening with their presence. Her muzzle bears menacing fangs. The crowd of students rushes in different directions. They scream in fear, urging each other to run away or hide immediately, while some seek help. Only Jong-woo stood motionless, completely unafraid of the predators. The light of the essence completely enveloped his body like a shield, and his gaze expressed cold-bloodedness. The predators slowly approach their prey, surrounding it on all sides. Suddenly, Jong-woo shouts at them to bring the male, as they probably understand him. Only the lead female responds to his words. The others step aside to make way for her. One of the females suddenly pounces on him, preparing to devour Jong-woo, but he stands motionless without a trace of fear or excitement. Jong-woo immediately uses a powerful stream of essence, throwing the lioness several meters away, and she subsequently explodes into several pieces. Without hesitation, he throws essence at all the lionesses standing next to the leader. The lioness curls her back, fearing an attack from a man she doesn't know. Lifeless bodies, or even what's left of them, lie around her. Pointing his weapon at the lioness, Jong-woo insists once again that she understands him, and demands that the leader be called here immediately. A loud roar distracts from the fight. It is a lion gracefully descending the stairs. Above his head is the title of Predator. Jong-woo notices that he has more than 1,000 essences but denies that he uses them as a shield due to certain differences. He decides to first figure out how the lion uses the essence while his paw is already breaking through the asphalt beneath him. In an instant, nothing remains of the lion. With insane speed, it moves from point to point, throwing Jong-woo off balance. In a matter of seconds, the lion is behind Park Jong-woo, opening its wide mouth, preparing to bite his head to pieces with its teeth, but Jong-woo manages to intercept the attack. He puts his hand, wrapped in an essence shield, in front of the lion's mouth and does not allow it to bite him, even though he does not give up. Jong-woo realizes that if it weren't for the protection, it could be dangerous, especially considering that the lion is a predator and has so much strength. He begins to understand that the lion was not actually using a shield, but was strengthening its body with essence, given its insane speed. Gradually, the lion began to bite through Jong-woo's defense, but despite his titanic efforts, he is not afraid of this and, on the contrary, believes that it will be better. Jong-woo devises a strategy to first maintain his defense with a minimal amount of essence and then strike with what remains. The lion suddenly breaks away from Jong-woo and roars loudly in pain. He severed his paw, leaving him to drown in his own crimson pool. Jong-woo realizes that even though he used enough essence for defense, it could still be risky. In addition, he wonders if he can strengthen his body in the same way and become as strong as this lion. Suddenly, the lion finds the strength to get up and gather essence. Jong-woo worries that he will regenerate his leg with their help. But the miracle does not happen, and the lion falls to the ground, breathing his last breath. Park Jong-woo realizes that regeneration through essence is impossible after all. The lioness, trembling with fear, comes out of the shadows and covers the body of the destroyed leader with her own. She begs to save him. Jong-woo only assesses the lion's appearance, afraid of looking the same, which prompts him to find a doctor after all. He uses the essence again. Before the essence engulfs the lioness, Jong-woo says that thanks to them, he understands what he needs to do next. The use of the essence provokes a powerful sound wave. The Supreme Court shakes and collapses. The impact creates a deep crater. Several essences fall into the subway. Jong-woo sees no point in going down after them, as they were not bright, and the fall would be a waste of essences. Park Jong-woo realizes that he needs to learn how to strengthen his body with essences and use them to create various objects during battle. However, he does not yet know when he should master all this. The most important thing for him at the moment is how to survive in such chaos. The evaluation administrator informs him that Jong-woo will be able to read the methods of attacking with essences after unlocking the tutorial, which requires 10,000 essences. Park Jong-woo is outraged by this sudden information, so all the things he did were just to gain access to some kind of guide. He wonders if there are other gates, but even more than the ones he has seen before. Destroying so many people seems like child's play to him. Jong-woo does not understand how many more people he must destroy and how large the number must be. Is it possible that it must reach 1 million? Passing by dozens of dead people, he wonders if he can really consider himself an assassin, if he has already decided to do this for his own survival. As soon as Park Jong-woo leaves the Supreme Court, a young man grabs his arm. He calls him his mentor and asks to be taken on as a student. Jong-woo is surprised, but Sun Woong approaches them and explains that the young man saw Jong-woo fighting and said he wanted to be like him. Realizing Jong-woo's cruelty and cold-bloodedness, Seung-won urgently asks him to simply let the young man go, avoiding unnecessary violence. But the boy does not give up on his chances of reaching Park Jong-woo. He insists that he will go with him and considers their meeting today to be fateful. The boy's eyes burn with sincere interest and a desire to join Jong-woo. He asks for help in becoming a hero like him. The boy's hand, which was firmly holding onto Jong-woo, proving his loyalty and interest, slips off with a slap because Jong-woo is not impressed by his reaction. He turns to Song-woon and asks him what he did with the survivors. Despite his doubts, Song-woon says he took them to a safe place. Jong-woo is not satisfied with his actions. Suddenly, he presses the handle against the young man's throat and gives him a chance to escape since his friends were able to survive. He asks him to return home immediately with his parents, hoping that he will listen, but the young man abruptly interrupts and refuses to go. The boy says that even if he returns, he will still die, and he does not want the destruction that has affected hundreds of innocent people. He squeezes Jong-woo's hand, saying that such tests do not scare him, because he is sure that thanks to him, he will become a real hero. Jong-woo says that the boy has misunderstood everything. There are no heroes and weak people must die. They have no other choice. After that, the pen with the essence catches up with the boy's throat, destroying him in a matter of seconds. A powerful wave of essence again pours out beyond the epicenter of the strike. Park Jong-woo says he gave him a chance. Jong-woo's shadow stretches into the darkness, taking the form of the servant's head, hinting at who he has become. Leaving the Supreme Court, Jong-woo asks Seong-woon if he minds having another companion. Seong-woon speculates about his father, but Jong-woo denies it, saying that he intends to find a doctor because, based on the example of lions, he sees and understands that essences are not omnipotent. Seong-woon suddenly asks if these lions could talk like cats, because he himself only heard roars, which made it quite strange to watch Jong-woo talk to them. Jong-woo is surprised by this. He thinks that despite this, most of the lionesses did not understand him, and he did not understand why. The system administrator explains that it is due to the difference in the essence's subordination. The stronger the influence, the more different types can be understood. The essences acted as translators. Jong-woo accuses the administrator of mischief, emphasizing that such information should be disclosed in advance. The rescuers' chat is stirred up by a message from an unknown person asking for help in rescuing a family at the Gangnam station because there are people with 1,000 essences next to him. Chief Park addresses the unknown person, informing him that all the essences around Gangnam station have already been collected. He is asked what to do next. Chief Park asks him not to worry because he has already spread honey in the rescuers' chat, after which he is sure that the cockroaches will come running to the information he has given them. He adds that given how things have turned out, it would be good if people of stronger build gathered at the Gangnam station. The man calls Chief Park a genius worthy of the title of savior, but he replies that despite this, he is still only in 39th place. Chief Park asserts that his main task is to make a plan, and that the implementation of this plan is the job of a specialist. Already at Gangnam Station, Sun-woon and Jong-woo watch as the bodies of people clinging to each other are thrown down like a bloody mountain. Sun-woon doubts whether their destruction was necessary, while Jong-woo is convinced that the assassin understood the need for destruction after the message from Earth. Seeing the horrific scene, Sun-woon asks Jong-woo if he really still hopes to find a doctor here, when most likely everyone has already died. But he replies that a doctor must be found in any case. A sign under their feet catches Jong-woo's attention. Jong-woo confidently follows the pointer and asks Sun-woon to stay put, realizing that their target is somewhere nearby. A man in a suit is standing near the subway entrance. He reports into his earpiece that the shift in Zone A11 is over, but notices Jong-woo approaching. He stops him and says that Jong-woo cannot pass at this moment, and since he is sure that he has come from another area, asks him to wait a little. Jong-woo notices a badge with the letters DS on it, which leads him to believe that they have taken over the entire area, since they are wearing ID badges and prohibiting people from walking here. The man speaks into his earpiece again, addressing Mr. Park, saying that a person has arrived in Zone A11. He ambiguously asks to check him. Jong-woo does not understand what the check entails, but he sees a man referred to as the boss coming out of the subway, accompanied by another person. Chief Park is satisfied with the information he has received and tells the man in the suit that he has done a good job. Jong-woo realizes that he is looking at his savior. He remembers how he wrote in the chat that no trap was expected, but he turned out to be one of those who just throws words to the wind. Jong-woo addresses the man as Mr. Armed, guessing that this is his nickname in the chat. He adds that he has a perfect understanding of what is going on here. Chief Park's eyes widen several times as his pupils almost disappear into the white of his eyes, realizing that he is standing in front of a VIP. Park Jong-woo's essence count reaches almost 7,000, and so far, no one can match him. Chief Park asks everyone to behave politely and calmly. Jong-woo notices that these people have too little essence for those who are trying to lure people here from the chat. However, the tracker accurately indicates the direction where the largest amount of essence is located within a 10-kilometer radius. Suddenly, someone's image begins to emerge from the shadows. The man with 3,000 essences and a staff behind him lets Jong-woo know that this is the person who collected all the essences in this area. Jong-woo points the essence at them and asks if they always eliminate their rivals in this way. Chief Park tenses up, muttering something incomprehensible. The man with the stick, clearly preparing to attack, rhetorically asks Chief Park if the scumbag standing in front of him is his target, but Chief Park stops him. He doesn't understand what the problem is since this is his job, but Chief Park yells at him to shut up if he doesn't want to break his contract. Jong-woo notices the intrigue of this spectacle and does not understand how a person with 3,000 essences can take orders from someone who has only 300. Chief Park backs down, saying that there has been a misunderstanding. In fact, his goal was to call on people to find a true savior like Jong-woo. But Jong-woo sees through the lie and does not believe that this was done solely to meet with high-ranking saviors, putting himself in danger. Besides, they have never met saviors who have more than 3,000 essences. They arrogantly thought that with a man with a stick, they could easily get rid of their rival. But in his mind, Jong-woo thinks they are right to some extent, because the man at the Supreme Court had only 1,000 essences but was in 4th place. Chief Park strongly disagrees with this version, suggesting that Jong-woo listen to the proposal that DS will make. He says that if people are cold-bloodedly destroyed, humanity will soon simply die out. And if Jong-woo does not want this, then he should look a little further ahead. Chief Park says that at the very least, the infrastructure that people need to live must be preserved, and that DS was simply looking for a true savior. Jong-woo asks if, based on this information, they are trying to say that they want to be his sponsors. Chief Park confirms this. He assures him that they will provide everything from food to housing and equipment, and after it's all over, Jong-woo will be able to live in luxury. This does not suit Jong-woo, and he throws the essence at Chief Park, saying that if he thinks that everything can be solved with money, let him try to close the gate. Jong-woo asks the man with the cane why he serves such people like a dog, even though he has 3,000 essences and understands how the world works. The title of lapdog greatly angers the man, and in that very second, he launches a powerful attack, cutting through the air with essences. The instant light that blinded Jong-woo's figure assured the man that he had destroyed him, but but he appeared among the dust completely unharmed. The man realizes that he has used up all his essence for the attack, and retreats in fear until Jong-woo's essence catches up with him and destroys him in a second. Looking at the bright balls, Jong-woo listens to new information. The evaluation administrator reports that his number of essences has approached 10,000. As soon as Jong-woo touches the essence, a pixelated earth appears in front of his face, informing him that the first person to complete the tutorial has appeared. After hearing this information, Jong-woo immediately opens the Savior's chat and sees that he is in first place in the regional ranking. But he realizes that before he collected the essences, he had about 7,000, meaning that the previous top one had about 8 or 9,000 essences. Behind him, Sun-un rushes up and asks Jong-woo how he is feeling, but Jong-woo thinks it is more important to ask him the same question. Sun-un replies that he is fine and is more interested in whether Jong-woo has seen the notification about the first person to complete the tutorial. Jong-woo is shocked by what he hears. He didn't know that Sun-un could see such notifications. This takes him back to a few hours ago. In the morning, when everyone was shaken by a sudden tragedy, it turned out that the notification had come to everyone. In other words, the message had notified the entire country. Sun-woo asks if Jong-woo is the first pioneer, to which he replies that he is indeed. Jong-woo notices that the message caused confusion in the rescuers' chat, and most of them did not even suspect that they were undergoing training. Most likely, the tutorial notification was sent to everyone to urge others to hurry up. Now, not only the rescuers, but everyone understands that in order to survive, it doesn't matter who your opponent is or what kind of person they are. The main thing is to destroy and collect essences. Nothing has been said yet about the conditions for completing the tutorial in the chat. Jong-woo assumes that even greater chaos will begin in the near future. Despite his priority in the ranking, namely first place, Jong-woo does not allow himself to relax in any way. Sun-woo notices that everyone on the internet is talking about the tutorial. Jong-woo ironically remarks that the world is on the brink of destruction, but the media is still alive and well. But Seong-woon says that it is not the press, but a live broadcast from the channel. Jong-woo takes his phone and realizes that the broadcast is private. The man on the screen says that he has brought in an influential lawyer to figure out the tutorial, but suggests starting the conversation as soon as there are 25,000 viewers. Jong-woo is surprised that despite the crisis situation in the world, about 20,000 people continue to watch some kind of live broadcast. He gives Sun-woo the phone, saying that such people probably have nothing else to do, or that this is just their way of escaping reality. Although Sung-woon replies that he does not know their motivation, he believes that people simply do not know how to act because of fear and behave in this way. Sun-woon wonders if there are people who know what to do and are ready to act like Park Jong-woo. The evaluation administrator suddenly asks Jong-woo if he has resigned and is ready to explain the reward for completing the tutorial. Jong-woo is surprised by the sudden concern from the evaluation administrator because previously everything was explained to him without any interest in whether he was busy or not. He assumes that this is because he is a pioneer. The administrator replies that when a planet is on the verge of destruction, the words first and best have the same meaning. Jong-woo notices that the administrator favors strength. Unlike Earth, which submitted to the saviors, he thinks like a living being, which seems strange. The system administrator begins to explain and says that Jong-woo now has access to all the abilities of using essence. Jong-woo feels something entering him, but despite the strange sensations, he thinks that his body is as it should be. Jong-woo also discovers new abilities such as creating objects and strengthening himself. Jong-woo knows that he can now create objects like the top 4 did and strengthen his body like the lion from the Supreme Court. All abilities are at his disposal. Seong-woo notices the similarity between his abilities and those of the lion, and considering that he now has such capabilities, Jong-woo seems to him to be more than just a human being. Jong-woo hears Sun-un's footsteps as if they were echoing nearby. This makes him think that not only is his strength increasing, but all 5 senses are becoming more acute. In addition, he concludes that the volume of essences will begin to decrease rapidly if he uses 5,000 essences for strengthening. And the difference in the amount of essence does not give such an advantage, which means that individuals such as lions will always be stronger from a physical point of view. The system administrator informs him, based on his first place in the ceiling ability ranking and his title of savior, Jong-woo is given an arc. Jong-woo immediately recalls the biblical ark, with the help of which a minimal number of living beings were saved and relocated to another world. According to the evaluation administrator, the ark is a kind of advantage that saviors can use after the gate is closed. After closing one gate, the savior can choose 10 individuals as passengers of the ark, so to speak. Thus, the monsters that came to Earth through the gate will not be able to pursue the chosen passengers. However, the administrator warns that there is one caveat. If the owner of the ark is destroyed, the protection is automatically cancelled. Jong-woo wonders if, in that case, the saviors can be considered the ark if they can close the gate. A memory from earlier pops into his head about how many people Jong-woo would take with him for a new life if the world were to be reset. In contrast, thoughts arise about the true meaning of the ark. Jong-woo initially thinks that the real goal of Earth is simply to survive. Chief Park emphasized that in order to restore everything, it was necessary to at least preserve the infrastructure, which is why DS was focused on finding the true savior. This leads Jong-woo to assume that Earth did not want to survive simply as a planet, but as a planet on which life exists. and the passengers of the Ark are precisely the minimum infrastructure necessary for the restoration of Earth. Jong-woo ironically notes that in order to prolong the life of beings, it is necessary to destroy them. He asks if it is possible not to take anyone onto the Ark at all. The administrator is silent for a few seconds, but then replies that it is possible, just as it is possible for Jong-woo to get rid of the passengers who are already there. Jong-woo dismisses the idea of not taking anyone at all and does not understand what criteria he should use to select beings for the Ark. He thinks deeply about this and realizes that he must weigh everything carefully, because his decision will have consequences that will affect the entire country. Jong-woo suggests that Seong-woon take a break, but suddenly the arrow starts pointing towards the opposite side of the river. This means that it should be safe here. He suddenly suggests resting in the DS company office, which makes Sun-un nervously tense up. Sun-woo tries to convince Jong-woo that this is not the best option, suggesting that an empty building would be safer. Jong-woo says he has checked the area and there is no one dangerous here. At most, there will be a few people who have been restricted from moving by DS. This means that if DS who use people with essences are suppressed, then it will be safe to relax there. Sun-woo does not give up on convincing him, emphasizing that it could be dangerous because DS is a serious company that can send reinforcements. Jong-woo argues that reinforcements won't arrive because all the roads are blocked and inaccessible, and even if someone does come, it won't be until tomorrow morning. Jong-woo's strategy shocks Seong-woon because he has never seen this before. He notices the changes in Jong-woo and assumes that this is the reason why he is still alive. Seong-woon catches himself justifying his destruction because earlier in the day he was furious about his methods, but in a few hours he changed his mind. Jong-woo interrupts his thoughts and tells him to hurry because they will be taking turns standing night watch. The sooner they arrive, the longer they will be able to sleep. As soon as they approach the office, Jong-woo sees shadows in the room and does not understand how, despite the situation, these people still remain loyal to the organization. Jong-woo wonders what kind of luxurious life DS guarantees that people still remain in the room and do not run away. But Seong-woon suggests that perhaps DS did not promise anything special, as they probably took measures as soon as everything happened. The firm gathered all the geniuses of the Republic of Korea, who summed up the situation and proposed a solution to the problem. Sun-woon is sure that in a situation like this, when you're shaking with anxiety, it's just impossible to get such an offer and not agree to it. He adds that during the war, businesses benefit the most, but Jong-woo calls it more serious than war because humanity is on the brink of destruction. But even considering that DS is a very successful company, one cannot be sure that it will be able to manage the best rescuers. Jong-woo believes that this is not the case. He looks at the clock and thinks that he should go to bed before 10 o'clock in the evening. Taking the pen out of his pocket, Jong-woo intends to test his new skills by gradually approaching the DS office security. The guards immediately notice him and order him to stop, forbidding him to proceed further. One of them asks what brought Jong-woo and Seong-woon here. Jong-woo remarks that the agitator probably wasn't here yet, while filling himself with essence. The guards, sensing a threat, prepare to shoot. But a powerful blow from Jong-woo's weapon destroys one of the guards in a matter of seconds. The other is overcome with fear. Jong-woo tells him that if he tries to contact the Gangnam station by radio, no one will answer given his fears. As soon as the guard sees the mutilated body of his partner riddled with essence bullets, he immediately shouts into his headset about the emergency. Reinforcements rush out of the lobby and immediately point several guns at Jong-woo. He looks around carefully, studying his opponents. Their essences do not exceed double digits. Jong-woo does not understand what they are hoping for while standing guard until he notices the firearms. He realizes that in order to block a bullet, he would need 1,000 essences, so the guards would probably not be able to get close to him. One of the guards addresses Jong-woo as a savior and offers to talk to them a little, but still keeps his weapon pointed at him. But these words, which have long been familiar to Park Jong-woo's ears, make no sense to him. He directs a powerful stream of essences at everyone around him. His acquired skills increase the force of the blow several times over, causing the guards' bodies to fly in different directions, dropping their firearms. The floor is once again littered with essence balls reflected in crimson puddles as a reminder of the crime committed. Jong-woo approaches each of the essences and absorbs them with his foot. He turns to Seong-un and, clearing the way, invites her to enter the office. Upon entering the room, Jong-woo immediately begins to examine it. Almost the entire office is empty. The people who stood out as shadows from the street are gone. The only ones left are two girls. The girl with the bob cut is moving her hands suspiciously. Jong-woo assumes that she is pressing the emergency button. He realizes that even if reinforcements arrive in this huge building, most of them will come from the elevator, which should make it easy to eliminate them. Jong-woo approaches the girls and wants to ask the girl with long hair how many more people are in the room. She is so frightened that she can barely speak. Her friend immediately stands up for her and replies that there are many people, but they are all ordinary and have neither the strength nor the intention to harm Jong-woo. Park Jong-woo is surprised by her fearlessness and appreciates that she is not trembling with fear but is bravely resisting. He catches himself thinking that if it weren't for the situation, he would find the girl quite attractive, but that is not a good enough reason to put her on the Ark. Suddenly, a noise comes from the elevator. Jong-woo pays attention to it and assumes that the source of the sounds is reinforcements that are already rushing to attack. He sneaks up to the wall, and as soon as the guards come out of the elevator, he immediately uses the essence. He manages to destroy several of them, but the others, seeing where Jong-woo is, give each other the command and prepare to shoot. Jong-woo's essence scatters everyone to the sides, knocking their weapons away. However, he notices that there are too many guards and considers eliminating them all by releasing the essence. Rejecting this idea, Jong-woo continues to destroy the guards. In case he loses control, he decides to break the elevator because he does not even consider the stairs. Meanwhile, at the reception desk, Song-eun silently watches the essence spill out, while one of the girls huddles fearfully against her friend. Tears betrayingly stream down her face, and she keeps repeating how scared she is and doesn't understand why this is happening while she is there. Song-eun tells them that Jong-woo is the savior their company has been looking for. Jong-woo is the first savior and the only person who can close the gate through which the monsters pass. The girl with the bob cut doesn't understand what gate he is talking about. Sun-woon explains to her that the gate resembles a tunnel that serves as a passage for monsters, and if it is not closed, the world will face destruction, and humanity even more so. The girl with the bob, without a trace of fear, asks if they are really going to destroy absolutely everyone, including women, in order to close the gate. Jong-woo, who has already dealt with the guards, interrupts the conversation. In response, he asks if there is any good reason why this cannot be done. He adds that he destroys all those who have no value without prejudice, and women are no exception. Jong-woo directs the essence at the girls and says that in a situation where he has become an enemy of DS, he can do this without any remorse. The girl with the bob, who was holding back her fear a few minutes ago, suddenly falls to her knees, begging Jong-woo for mercy and promising to do anything. This angers Park Jong-woo. He aggressively asks the girl if she means what she says when she says she is ready to do anything. Raising her palms in a prayerful gesture, she confirms her earlier words and asks to be spared. Jong-woo is surprised that this girl, who just a few minutes ago was so brave as to defend another, has now spat on her honor and is begging for mercy. He thinks about the very concept of destruction. Is it really so scary that you decide to give up everything you have? Clutching the handle tightly, he asks the girl if she thinks it is better to die than to stoop to such actions. The girl bows her head, shaking helplessly with fear, and says she doesn't know if there is such a person who would prefer destruction. Jong-woo tells her that the world is no longer what they knew it to be. She will not be able to survive, and life itself has lost its value. But suddenly the girl stands up and throws herself at him with her whole body. Jong-woo throws his arms back and stares at her, shouting at her for what she is doing. She replies that the desire to live is not strange, and that Jong-woo, as the top rescuer in the region, should know this and take responsibility for his decision. In addition, Jong-woo stares at the girl but quickly catches himself and pushes her away with all his might. He directs his essence at the girls and releases a powerful burst of energy. They are immediately engulfed in blue light, taking away any hope of survival. Jong-woo catches himself thinking that he almost hugged the girl, and for the first time in such a short period of time, he has some doubts. He thinks that if they hadn't started talking in the first place, she probably wouldn't have thought of seducing him by taking advantage of the fact that she is a woman. This situation makes Jong-woo blame himself for what happened for the first time. But despite this, he quickly regains his composure and calls out to Seung-woon. He asks her to find the emergency signal device because they cannot search for everyone in the building, and this way people will come to the sound themselves. Sun-woon doesn't get what Jong-woo is up to at first, but after listening to the end, he agrees with the plan and goes to find the alarm, saying he'll activate it. When he presses the button, a loud sound echoes throughout the building. Sun-woon approaches Jong-woo, who is standing among lifeless, isolated bodies, and they enter the elevator. Jong-woo says that they have more or less put things in order, and notices that his essence has reached 12,000, which means that he can now close the small gate. Sun-woon asks him if he will be looking for the gate tomorrow, and he replies that he will have to see how things are tomorrow morning. However, he adds that in order to check the arc, it is probably necessary to close one gate. But Sun-woon is hearing about the arc for the first time. Jong-woo says he will tell him more after the break, because he would like to take a shower first. Entering the boss's office, Jong-woo says he would like to find documents with the structure or strategy of DS, and Sun-woon asks him to find a restroom. They begin to familiarize themselves with the documents. Jong-woo realizes that the documents contain no useful information, and that it would be good to find out where DS keeps them. Suddenly, Sun-woo calls out to him, pressing a handle that opens a secret door. Turning on the light, Sun-woon notices a furnished room. Jong-woo offers to take a shower first. Sun-woon refuses, saying that Jong-woo is more tired. Jong-woo falls helplessly into a chair and says that if he goes first, the bath will be unusable, after which Seung-woon agrees. Eventually, the room darkens. Jong-woo goes to bed, while Seung-woon sits on his phone, thinking about the competition among the rescuers over the tracker rating and the arc. All this information weighs heavily on his mind, and his head feels like it is about to explode. Sun-woon is surprised that Jong-woo can sleep so peacefully knowing all this. He remembers how Jong-woo said that when he is unconscious, he cannot use essences, but Seung-woon understands that he would not be able to sleep at all due to anxiety. Thoughts creep into his head that perhaps rest is also part of the Savior's mission for Jong-woo and Sun-woon, who were left alive to prepare for their vulnerability. Sun-woo considers him an incredible person, who gathered the necessary amount of essence to close the gate in less than a day. He does not believe that he has done anything useful because, due to his desire to live, Sun Woon did not leave Jong-woo and only followed him uncomfortably. Obsessive thoughts tell him that Jong-woo is only thinking about how to close the gate, and his presence only evokes feelings of pity. Suddenly, Sun Woon's phone vibrates. He receives an urgent notification that suggests something more serious has happened. The government announces the most effective way to close the gate. A live report is planned for 7 o'clock, which will be broadcast on all channels and on the internet. By morning, Jong-woo has already learned about the broadcast. Looking at his phone, he says that the broadcast is about to begin. Sung-woo said that since Jong-woo is still in first place and the authorities have announced the closure of the gate, it appears that the second and third places in the rankings have joined forces with the government. Jong-woo does not rule out this possibility, as it could be true if the saviors in second and third place have more than 10,000 essences. Sun-woon suggests that they are now in danger because the government has powerful rescuers who can close the gate and punish those who have been committing crimes all along. In response to Sun-woon's fears, Jong-woo says that the government is expecting such a reaction. If they hired top saviors, they would want to close the gate first. Once the saviors unite with the authorities, they will become instruments that will close the gates and also propaganda resources for the government. The authorities will announce that they possess such power and reassure the people, but in reality, they will want to control everything. The problem remains that it is impossible to know the maximum limit of the gate, and in the real game, it will probably take much more than 10,000 essences. The only way to collect the missing essences is to destroy, which the government cannot allow. Therefore, the removal of the state savior is only a matter of time. A savior who has lost the ability to close the gate for the government is just an unpleasant former assassin. Jong-woo notes that perhaps the saviors were not hired because the authorities said they would block the gate, not close it, and they will find out what that means on the air. Turning on the TV, Kang Yeon-tae reports that the gates that appeared yesterday at 8 a.m. across the country have been closed by the South Korean government. Kang Yeon-tae continues, standing 103 meters from the gate, saying that it is so safe here that it is actually possible to live here permanently. He explains that this black hole is a gate for monsters, and as soon as he says this, monsters come pouring out of the gate. Jong-woo notices that there are no rescuers there. The authorities cannot close the gate, so they forcibly block it with the help of the army. The monsters continue to fall, and there are quite a few of them, which will help to see how the government will be able to close the gate. One of the soldiers orders to take aim and open fire. The bullets immediately rush into the bodies of the monsters, who open their mouths and scream in pain. In addition to the military and weapons, a tank also rushes into battle and opens fire. Bullets fly one after another, and ammunition is replaced in seconds. Sun-un cannot believe that weapons are effective against the monsters, but Jong-woo thinks about it and does not consider it very strange. The servant in the parking lot couldn't move because of the car, and as a result, 23 essences fell out of him. But he still had one doubt. Yeon-tae stands in front of the destroyed monsters and says fearfully that in just over 10 seconds, a huge number of creatures were destroyed. Jong-woo notices that no essences fall out of the creatures, to which the system administrator replies that the monsters that came through the gate have no essences. After the monsters are destroyed, the essences are taken from the creatures of the earth. Jong-woo is surprised because if they are taken away, they must also be important to the servants. His fellow countrymen said not to give away the essences, and for her, the servants are a kind of destructive force sent from space, so their main goal is to take away the essences of the earth. The soldier says that the amount everyone saw is the maximum, and if they all come out at once, then one appears every 40 minutes. He says that if all the gates are monitored, there will be no security problems, but Jong-woo considers it a matter of time because the servants are only a bargaining chip. The military officer shows a map of all the remaining gates. He says that the army is holding them, and that the gates in the country are under control. Each gate has a military headquarters assigned to it, and not a single military operation has ever failed. The country has the capacity to produce bullets and gunpowder in huge quantities, and the defense can be maintained not only for 42 days, but for 10 years. Jong-woo notices that they are focusing on reassuring the people. Monsters can be suppressed with firearms, but the real problem is the lawlessness of society. The faster lawlessness spreads, the more aggregators appear, and the government will not be able to suppress the huge number of essences they possess with weapons. That is why Earth chose saviors, because from the very beginning it was impossible to accomplish everything with human strength alone. Sun-un knocks him out of his thoughts and shouts. He points to the TV and asks him to pay attention to the gate. Something strange is happening with the gate. Yeon-tae asks if the military has analyzed it, but he just tries to prove that everything is fine. Jong-woo watches this closely. He thinks that everything has actually gotten worse when suddenly he and Sun-woon are interrupted by a noise. Sun-woo doesn't understand what's going on. He notes that the sound is not coming from the TV. Suddenly, a pixelated Earth appears in front of them, addressing the inhabitants and announcing that the second day has begun. Jong-woo and Sun-woon find similarities between this message and the previous one, as it can also be traced with the eye. They wonder what will happen this time. Earth says that first, it wants to convey the protocol that it was informed about. The fact that Earth was informed surprises Jong-woo. Could it be that the one who did this is the universe itself, which has taken measures to destroy Earth? The protocol includes 3 points. Restrictions on the gate have been reduced to the level of essences, which is 6% less, and there are 41 days left until the destruction of Earth. Jong-woo understands that if the restrictions on the gate are reduced to this level, other beings that previously could not enter due to these restrictions will now be able to enter Earth. Since Earth has lost 6% of its essence due to the servants, who could be destroyed with weapons, it is now possible that all of the essence will be lost, not in 41 days, but in 17. Jong-woo draws an analogy with a guide. If you are not sure of victory, it is better to be among friends, because the essence that has been lost cannot be returned. Judging by the analyzed information, Jong-woo realizes that the essences must be preserved at any cost. Meanwhile, the army, seeing that many creatures are falling from the gate, orders each other to shoot and retreat. Among the creatures, one particularly large one stands out. Jong-woo sees how the battle has turned around 180 degrees, and meanwhile, something unknown and very different in size lands from the gate. The unknown creature stands in front of the soldiers, causing them to panic. In an instant, it pierces the men's bodies with its sharp claws, scattering them to the sides. He crushes his victims with his paw, and Jong-woo realizes that this is not a servant at all, but a completely new creature that has come through the gate. Everything around takes on the crimson colors of the soldiers' bodies, who have already lost their chance at life, scattering in pieces while the creature continues to crush them. The broadcast is suddenly interrupted. Sun-woo is shocked by what he has seen and asks Jong-woo what just happened. Jong-woo explains that most likely, due to the reduced restrictions at the gate, something stronger than the servants has arrived. Sun-woo cannot believe it. How can there be a monster that is several times more powerful than a servant? Confirming his guesses, Jong-woo says that in order not to die at the hands of these invaders, all living creatures must become them themselves and fight. There is also an exception in the form of the possibility of boarding the Ark of a powerful savior. Sun-eun says that it is impossible to track the passengers of the Ark. Jong-woo confirms his words, but reminds him that there is also an exception in the form of the number of people, and that not everyone can get there. The system administrator reports that head preference will begin soon, as Jong-woo is in the top 18 in his region, and can choose the content of the benefits himself. He explains that head preference is when the universe gives limited powers to the top rescuers every day. Earth cannot reject or change the choice. Jong-woo does not understand how privileges can be given if it is more profitable for Earth not to provide anything. The supreme saviors of the region are already choosing their privileges. For Jong-woo, protective measures have been put in place for the selection of privileges. He is given 10 minutes to make his entire selection, and if he does not finish in time, the selection will be made at random. The administrator says there is a single preference for the entire planet, and the decision is agreed upon depending on the number of votes of the top one savior of the regions. The first reduction in the planet's destruction time by 1 day, the second increase in the speed of gate generation by 30%, the third increase in the number of gates by 10%, the fourth is a reduction in the restrictions on the gate for Earth to the first level, the fifth is the random destruction of one of those who chooses the benefits. Jong-woo does not believe that the choice automatically becomes a privilege, and each answer option carries a huge risk. He does not understand how he should choose every day. There are 7 minutes left. Jong-woo does not know how many options are left, so he decides to hurry. He thinks about the fifth option. Jong-woo assumes that the criteria for selecting regions are the 195 countries, and the chance of his death is 1 in 195, or approximately 0.5%. Options 1 through 4 also interest him, and Jong-woo thinks that the top rescuer with the largest population in the country must be very upset right now. Jong-woo asks the administrator if he chooses the fifth option, and one of the saviors dies, what will happen to the essences? Will the universe take them away? No one answers, so Jong-woo decides that the most rational choice is to choose the fifth option. The status of the tablet begins to change. The system announces that the selection of personal privileges is beginning, and that it will only be activated for those who choose. The first is called the exact answer. It shows all the gates that he can close at this moment. The second is the advent. Jong-woo will be able to move with a specific object within the region to any point. The third is the all-seeing eye. This is the ability to see a creature that meets his requirements twice. The fourth privilege is called incognito. The advantage is that the invaders will not be able to see Jong-woo first. The fifth is sacred territory. It is forbidden to use foreign essences in a certain territory. Now, Jong-woo recognizes the advantages of the privileges, but he doubts the fourth option because the choice of privileges is given to the strongest saviors of the region. Then, how strong can the scum be who can claim such a choice with the possibility of avoiding the invaders? There is little time. Jong-woo considers the stronger invaders, doubts about closing the gate, the dangerous atmosphere around him, and the limits of his physical abilities. In the end, Jong-woo, immersed in his own thoughts, settles on the only option and presses the screen. He does not consider it a priority to move with a specific object to any point in the region, and to prohibit the use of foreign essences in a certain territory. Jong-woo considers the skill of accurate response useful only when the number of essences significantly exceeds what he currently has. Jong-woo settles on the all-seeing eye option because it can be used to search for 2 people in order of the largest number of essences. In addition, it will help him find a doctor, so he presses the screen but immediately recoils from the sudden loud sounds ringing in his ears. Jiangwu notices that all the little sounds and lights in the room that he hadn't paid attention to suddenly become very acute. As soon as Jiangwu sits down on the bed to come to his senses, Xiang Yun immediately rushes around him, trying to convey his condition. But Jiangwu stops him, saying that there is no need to explain anything because he already understands what he wants to say. He thinks that when he was choosing his preferences, his senses were blocked, and when they began to return, everything around him sounded so sharp. And the fact that Jiangwu seemed to see all the inscriptions on the screen was most likely because the universe blocked his senses and put these inscriptions into his consciousness. This makes Jiangwu think. Understanding the situation, it seems to him that he has met in person someone he should never have met. A hologram of a pixelated Earth appears in front of him. It informs him that the supreme saviors of the region have completed their selection of preferences. Following the results of the vote, one of the saviors who chose the privileges will be destroyed today. Jiangwu realizes that all the saviors also chose the fifth option. In the saviors chat, everyone is confused except for one who has risen sharply to 7th place. Jiangwu has no idea what will happen if he gains the ability to seal. Earth warns that the launch of the single privilege will begin soon, which means the beginning of destruction. Everything around Jiangwu freezes. He calculates the probability of destruction and cannot even imagine how it will all turn out. When the system administrator reports that the supreme savior of the second region has died, Jiangwu breathes a sigh of relief. He understands the principle of preferences and cannot accept that the savior who is at the very top has died, even though the event is very significant. Jiangwu is given a preference. It turns out that it is not necessary to use it immediately, and the ability to accumulate benefits is a very good advantage. In addition, Jiangwu does not entertain the idea of giving up first place, as this would mean that he would become someone's target. And since the government has failed to take control, now everyone will start to truly collect essences. Jiangwu immediately begins searching for specialists. By pressing the eye, the system starts working like a survey. It asks if Jiangwu knows the name of the person he wants to find. He replies that he does not. Jiangwu chooses to search for the object within a 5-kilometer radius, and when asked for a detailed description of the person he wants to find, he realizes that it is not so simple. He dismisses the surgeon and chooses a doctor who can perform therapeutic procedures with extensive experience. In addition, he must have so much regret in his life that he would be happy to walk side by side with an assassin. He must be under 50 years old because in 41 days he may be the only person with medical knowledge. He will not die until he can pass on his knowledge to someone else. Jiangwu stops there because a more detailed description would complicate the search. The system accepts the requirements and begins to search for the object. During the search, a strange sound is heard, which slightly annoys Jiangwu, and he is also surprised by the fact that it takes some time to find the object. Jiangwu suggests eating, explaining that the day will be busy while they search for a doctor, and as soon as they have results, they will continue on their way. Suddenly, a sound catches his attention. Jiangwu leaves the room and sees an eye outside the window, which is not so far away. Approaching the elevator, Seong-woon and Jiangwu notice that it is moving, which means there are still people in the building. As soon as the elevator stops, Jiangwu lights his essence, preparing for a possible attack, but his high expectations are not met. In the elevator is a man who has only 3 essences. He introduces himself as Kim Yeon-ho, head of the strategy department at DS headquarters. Jiangwu does not understand his actions, saying only that Yeon-hoon was unable to hire him by force, so he decided to kneel. Yeon-hoon does not deny this, apologizing for his rudeness yesterday. But the situation has also caused them great harm, so he came here. Given that the company is under threat, Jiangwu wonders if at least an official representative should have come in such a situation. Yeon-hoon agrees, but he explains that even if people die here now, no one from above will show up. He suggests that Jiangwu talk to him. In the elevator, Jiangwu asks Yeon-ho what his trump card is because he hardly came here to kill himself. Yeon-hoon explains that he flew here by helicopter 2 hours ago from Busan. Jiangwu realizes that he wants to give him a helicopter if he doesn't show off. The chief says that although Jiangwu is a savior, he cannot fly, so if he keeps the airports intact, Yeon-hoon will be able to provide him with a private plane. Jiangwu understands that having a plane will definitely give him an advantage over other saviors, but on the other hand, he will be considered a puppet of DS. Advising his boss, Jiangwu says that his proposal is not much different from what he has heard before. He asks where the helicopter and pilot are. Chief Yeon-hoon, with the essence at his throat, replies that the helicopter is on the roof. Jiangwu gets tense when he delays answering about the pilot. Finally, Yeon-hong reveals that he is the pilot. Yeon-hoon says that without him, they won't be able to manage, as he is the only pilot who has arrived. But Jiangwu replies that he can find another pilot since he already has the helicopter, to which the chief says that his arrival will save time. The chief is ready. If they have a helicopter, there is no need to wait for help to arrive. He realizes that Yeon-hoon may be more useful than a doctor. Jiangwu gives Chief Kim a choice. Either he leaves his company and follows him, or he will die right there. In addition, he adds that if Yeon-hoon agrees to follow him, he will put him on the Ark. Jiangwu plans to close 1 gate today. 2 people will board the Ark, and the chief will be able to take one of the remaining spots, depending on his choice. Chief Kim says that judging by his words, the number of places on the Ark will increase each time he closes the gate. He doesn't see the point in abandoning DS because the more people there are on the Ark, the longer the company will be able to sponsor Jiangwu. But Jiangwu explains that in that case, he will first have to put DS people on the Ark, and the bosses will be the priority, while he will be a puppet. He says he will eliminate monsters and rivals and close the gates across the country. Either Chief Kim goes with him, or Jong-woo will look for another pilot. Despite his doubts, Yeon-hoon agrees to help, considering that it will not be easy to find a pilot in the center of Gangnam. Throwing away his DS employee badge, Yeon-hoon says he has one condition. He wants to put his wife on the ark, even though they are divorced. Jong-woo is surprised that he still calls her his wife and wonders if she will agree to this. Yeon-seong says he can convince her if he is given half an hour. Chief Kim's cool-headedness impresses Jong-woo as it indicates that he will boldly fly the helicopter to the very gates. Jong-woo is tempted to give him permission to take a companion, but he says that if the woman refuses, it is not worth trying again. Chief Kim agrees. Jong-woo says they are heading to the Gangnam Station. Despite the fact that the helicopter is on the roof, Jong-woo is in no hurry to go there, saying that there is one more person who will be their companion and they are going to pick her up. Walking down an empty, ruined street, Sung-woo compares it to a ghost town. He assumes that everyone has already watched the broadcast, but thought that someone would still be here. Suddenly, among the wrecked cars, they notice a man with a child in his arms. He is climbing over obstacles with a backpack on his back. Jong-woo is already moving towards them. When Sun-woon points out that there is a child there, Chief Kim does not understand what this has to do with anything. Thinking about it, Jong-woo remembers that yesterday the DS forbade people from walking here, which indicates that the man is not from around here. He has 441 essences above his head. When Jong-woo asks him where he is from, the man with the stick in his hands replies that he came from the Cheongro district. Jong-woo notices that the tracker is pointing towards Cheongro and Itaewon, and if a man with 400 essences escaped from there, it means that the situation there is not simple either. The man tries to pass. Jong-woo sees that the child also has one essence, which indicates that everyone has passed the test. He feels sorry that the man fled from there with the child, but that is not a reason to let him live. Jong-woo directs the essence. But Yeon-hoon stops him. Holding his shoulder, he tries to bring him to his senses, arguing that the man has a child. Jong-woo realizes this, but it does not stop him. Chief Kim says that it is not necessary to destroy absolutely everyone. Meanwhile, the man puts a hood over the child's head, covering his eyes, and asks him to wait for him. Taking advantage of the fact that Jong-woo and Yeon-hoon are arguing, the man takes off his backpack and, filled with essence, reaches out to them with his hand. Jong-woo realizes that the man has strengthened his body, but despite this, he clutches the essence pen in his hands, while Chief Kim is confused. A powerful leak of essence engulfs the man's body, and eventually all that remains of him are balls of essence and traces of blood. All this happened in front of the child. The boy raises his hood, completely speechless. Jong-woo directs the essence at the child, apologizing and saying that this sight is the last thing his eyes will ever see. Chief Kim lowers his hand, saying that if he really feels sorry, he should stop immediately. He understands Jong-woo's principle of destroying all unnecessary people, but he doesn't understand how it can be applied to a small child. Jong-woo says that according to this logic, he will have to spare all the children he meets along the way, as well as their parents, so that they have a chance to survive. It is logical that people who do not have children deserve to be destroyed, but this is not the case. Jong-woo tells Yeon-hoon that if he tries to save everyone, no one will survive. But Chief Kim continues to say that even if they survive by destroying the children, what will be left when they reach the Ark? Yeon-hoon understands that it is natural when the whole world changes, and with it, the rules and ways of thinking. The destruction of a child and an adult are equally important. Jong-woo explains to him that the problem lies in his conscience. Following this principle, he destroyed several dozen DS employees yesterday. He asks Yeon-hoon to tell him if he has changed his mind, but in that case, he will destroy him too. Chief Kim lets go of his hand and says he understands him. Jong-woo moves towards the child. Pointing the essence at him, Jong-woo suddenly tells him that if he wants to live, he should leave immediately. The child freezes at first, then turns around and runs away as fast as he can. Jong-woo urges him on and tells him to move faster. Turning to Chief Kim, Jong-woo tells him that this was the last time and if it happens again, he will destroy him. Kim Yeon-hoon obediently bows his head and says he will remember his words. Entering the building, Jong-woo realizes that he still doesn't have enough essence, while at the same time tormented by his own emotions. He realizes that he needs to bury them deeper because when a similar situation arises, all he will have to do is destroy. Riding the elevator, Jong-woo notices a large number of people who look frightened but do not seem to pose a threat. However, he does not see the doctor yet. Among the crowd, his eye catches a woman sitting with her hand covering her face. Jong-woo asks her if she is a doctor. She does not understand how he found out about it and came here, but the woman says that she no longer does that. Jong-woo says that they needed a doctor who could treat him, so they came. He also asks what her area of expertise is. The woman skeptically asks if he is offering her to join their group and what she would gain from it. He replies that it depends on what she wants, but the woman still hasn't said what her specialty is. Unexpectedly, she replies that she is a urologist. This answer is surprising. Jong-woo was expecting a surgeon or a therapist. He does not understand how, of all the doctors in Gangnam, she was the one who was suitable. However, he does not consider it a mistake, because the universe did not choose this woman for no reason. Jong-woo recalls that she is the only person who agreed to follow the savior knowing what he does. Or perhaps this indicates her hidden potential. Still, this does not convince Jong-woo. He turns to the crowd and asks them if there are any other doctors among them. The people learn for the first time that the woman is a doctor. They laugh at her and say that if she weren't a doctor, she would have a hard time. At the same time, they whisper that a doctor should be the #1 candidate for a wife, and that this woman did not choose urology for no reason. Jong-woo repeats the question and clarifies that people with irreplaceable skills, even engineers, would be suitable. A man starts to question Jong-woo. He doesn't understand who he thinks he is if he's not a police officer. But Jong-woo just uses the essence, throwing the man down along with the window. Jong-woo asks again about narrow specialties, and a man responds saying that he is an accountant. Everyone starts shouting out their professions, but none of them are essential. A young woman's voice stands out from the crowd saying she is a nurse. She asks if they need a doctor or if a nurse would be useful. Jong-woo asks the woman if they need a nurse because there are few places, and if they take someone and problems arise, all responsibility will fall on her. The woman asks her name and age. The girl introduces herself as young Hyo-shin and says she is 31 years old. Hyo-shin replies that she graduated from university in Seoul and is currently working in the medical examination department at NEET's hospital. The woman realizes that this is her first job and she has no experience in emergency care. Hyo-shin says she can bring a person out of shock. When the woman asks for more substantial arguments, Hyo-shin mentions her mother's hypoglycemia. The woman asks if she has someone she cannot abandon. Hyo-shin replies that her mother is no longer alive and that the other person is not that important to her. She firmly emphasizes that she wants to live. The woman ends the interrogation and tells Jong-woo that Hyo-shin is right for them and that they will definitely need her. She admits that she doesn't understand the point, but she will care for them with all her heart. But instead she asks for something. Opening her eyes, she looks up at Jong-woo and, without a shred of conscience or remorse, asks him to destroy everyone who just mocked her. This does not evoke any sympathy in Jong-woo. In a moment, everyone in the room is destroyed, and their essence now belongs to Jong-woo. The woman cold-bloodedly examines the severed body part. Jong-woo calls her a psychopath rather than an exception to the rule. She has only 5 essences, but Jong-woo understands that despite this, she is far from an innocent person. However, in any case, he knows that it doesn't matter because those he needs are close to him. He has a nurse and a doctor who can provide first aid, a helicopter pilot, and a person he can trust in the current situation. Jong-woo addresses everyone present and says that it is time to check whether he has chosen the right people. He says to head to the Haenan area to see what happens when he closes the gate. Sung-woo doubts that everyone will fit in the helicopter, but Yeon-hoon says that the whole squad may not fit, but 6 or 7 people are quite possible. Jong-woo urges them to first find a suitable place for the helicopter to land in the Haenan area. Sung-woo notices that Yeon-hoon is acting differently and addresses Jong-woo as if he were his superior. However, he immediately realizes that there is nothing strange about this, because after seeing Jong-woo as a rescuer, it is impossible not to change one's opinion of him. Already near the helicopter, Yeon-hoon explains that it is a medical transport, and the main medical equipment is inside, and if necessary, it can be removed. Yeon-hoon clarifies that the helicopter's fuel tank capacity is negligible, and it will not be possible to fill it with a large amount at once. The maximum flight time is 3 hours, and even taking into account all possible factors, the most reliable solution would be to refuel every 2.5 hours. Jong-woo understands that this is not enough and that they have no choice but to stop periodically to refuel. Yeon-hoon says that refueling a helicopter is a job for a professional. Any mistake could be fatal, so he points to himself, hinting that it's his job. Jong-woo catches his hint, realizing that Yeon-hoon means that if they plan to continue using the helicopter, they need him alive. Understanding the instructions, Jong-woo gets into the helicopter and orders it to take off. Hyo-shin stands next to the woman, clenching his fists, wondering whether to go. The woman asks her if she is coming, adding that if Hyo-shin wants to live, it is better not to slow down and not to get on Jong-woo's nerves. In the end, she gets in after her and the woman. The helicopter finally takes off. In the helicopter, the woman extends her hand to Jong-woo and introduces herself as Choi Dong-hoon. Jong-woo realizes that this is a man's name, but introduces himself in response anyway. Jong-woo still voices his thoughts about her name, to which Dong-hoon replies that she often hears this. When asked about her age, she says that she will be 42 this year. Dong-hoon seems indifferent and uncommunicative to Jong-woo, but he is struck by how soft her palm is. When Yeon-hoon says that they will soon arrive in Yeonan, images of cats fighting monsters immediately come to Jong-woo's mind. Suddenly, Hyo-shin notices something below. Jong-woo notices that the center is completely hidden in darkness. What sticks out between the buildings reminds him of a spine, but he is not sure. He suspects that the creatures have taken over the entire area. Jong-woo asks the administrator to explain what it is, but he replies that the distance is too great to identify the object. When Jong-woo asks to descend a little, the administrator begins to recognize the object. He calls it a resonator and a digger. Jong-woo recognizes them as the monsters that appeared briefly on the morning broadcast, but he feels like they looked different and wonders why they have 2 names. Suddenly, everyone except Jong-woo is overcome by a bout of vomiting. Jong-woo looks around, but he does not have similar symptoms. He runs up to Yeon-ho, who is also vomiting uncontrollably and losing control of the helicopter. Jong-woo tries to bring him to his senses by shaking his shoulder, but to no avail. The helicopter suddenly begins to lose altitude and fall. Everyone continues to feel nauseous. Jong-woo realizes that he is covered by a shield of essence, but it is unknown what will happen if he does nothing. At that moment, he realizes that he is the only one who is not feeling sick, which gives him some ideas, but he dismisses them due to lack of time. Jong-woo decides to act immediately. He touches the helicopter and, using all the power of the essence, causes the helicopter to be enveloped in blue light. Impressed by what they see, everyone seems to forget that they were just feeling nauseous. Jong-woo shouts at Yeon-hoon, trying to bring him to his senses. In an instant, Yeon-hoon awakens from a terrible moan and grabs the steering wheel to stabilize the helicopter. The disaster is averted. Jong-woo sees that the helicopter has been stabilized. In addition, he appreciates Yeon-ho's usefulness because, despite his weak condition, he was able to regain control of the helicopter. They hear the sound again, but Seong-woo notices that this time it does not make them feel sick. Jong-woo sees that the shield of essences is blocking the attack. Seong-woon asks if the sound was a psychological attack. Jong-woo doesn't know, but he is sure that he will have to try very hard to prevent them from dying. He understands that he needs to constantly maintain the shield to move in this area, but he doesn't think that the remaining essences will be enough for an attack. Realizing that it is dangerous to check the density of the shield in the air, Jong-woo asks Yeon-hoon if there is a place nearby to land the helicopter. Yeon-hoon replies that there is a large building 5 hours away where they can land on the roof. Jong-woo approves, and they descend. Once on the roof, Jong-woo remembers that the assessment administrator mentioned a resonator and a digger. The horn reminds him of the resonator, but he does not see the digger. Dong-hoon is grateful to Jong-woo for saving her and notices that the blue veil blocks sound. She asks if it blocks physical attacks, and Jong-woo replies that bullets can. He realizes that 8,000 essences are needed to maintain the shield, and that the overall density is decreasing. If they are surrounded, it will be difficult to block the shots. But Jong-woo is more concerned about whether he will be able to close the gate with more than 13,000 essences, while Haeun needs 10,000 for the gate. He only has 2,300 essences available for defense. This is not enough to protect everyone at once and close the gate. However, Jong-woo cannot simply abandon his companions, given their small number of essences. If one servant gets out, it will be the end of them. And if someone who came for the essences appears, it will be even worse. Jong-woo decides it is more rational to take everyone with him, but he is not sure if everyone will survive. He says to go inside to close the gate, and those who are afraid can stay where they are. But if they are attacked, they will be on their own. Everyone will have to defend themselves until Jong-woo returns, so he says it's their choice whether to go with him or not. But Jong-woo understands that he has no choice, because if you give a person the choice between jumping from a great height or dying from a bullet, 9 out of 10 will choose to jump. Jumping gives at least some chance of survival. He knows that in any case, the scales tip in favor of not staying alone. He also realizes that everyone will be nervous without any certainty. Except for Dong-hong. Jong-woo notices that she is not calm, but rather seems to be anticipating something. It is unknown what she is thinking. Dong-hong asks mischievously if other areas are also overgrown with unknown horns. Jong-woo asks her to refrain from commenting, and Seong-woon asks if Dong-hoon is too happy, because someone is dying from all this. Don-hong responds and apologizes for not appearing to be a good person, but Seong-woon has something else in mind. Jong-woo announces that they have arrived in the Haeun area and orders them to proceed. Everyone calmly awaits further action. But Hyoshin nervously watches the horrific scene and says under the Essence Shield that this is a black city. The deeper they go, the darker the atmosphere around them becomes. On both sides, sharp spikes pierce the ground, but everyone continues to walk tensely. Despite the Essence Shield, Hyoshin continues to behave aloofly and nervously, looking from side to side in anticipation of something terrible. Sun unnotices that it is already 10 in the morning, but the sun is not visible. He assumes that this is due to the black fog. Don-hong is not sure about the fog because she is concerned about something else. Unknown things that resemble plants. She says that it seems they need to spread their spores like ferns, and perhaps in this way they adapt the environment to themselves. Yong-hoon asks if this is her opinion as a medical expert. Dong-hoon replies that perhaps if it weren't for the essential shield, the spores could have gotten inside and sprouted there. Suddenly, Yeon-hoon notices that the barrier is dissipating, to which Jong-woo replies that he is now using less essence for protection. He explains that there are a large number of monsters around the gate, so he needs to save some of the essence to deal with them. Hyoshin is frightened. Yeon-hoon asks if it would be better to clear the area before leaving if it is so dangerous. Jong-woo replies that he would have dealt with them himself anyway, so if they don't trust him, it's not too late to return to the helicopter, where Yeon-hoon will be on his own. He says that if they stay with him, all they need to do is listen to what he says, and the barrier shield will protect them from almost everything, so there is no need to be afraid. Jong-woo also warns them not to get too close or get in his way, because during an attack, there is no time to distinguish between friend and foe. Jong-woo usually strikes with his right hand, so the entire area in front of him is vulnerable. Jong-woo will attack, assuming that they are behind him the whole time. He tells Yeon-hoon to stop worrying about trifles and finally move on. Touching the shield, Yeon-hoon feels pain in his elbow. Suddenly, Hyoshin yells to stop. She sits next to Yeon-hoon, who is breathing heavily on his knees. Looking into his eyes, Hyoshin says that he is in shock. This condition has only just begun, but it can only get worse. Jong-woo realizes that they are almost at the gate. Yeon-hoon wonders how much time has passed since they entered this area. Sung-woon says that his phone has been out of service for some time and he cannot tell the time. Dong-hoon says the same thing. Suddenly, Yeon-sung asks Jong-woo to say something nice to him, something encouraging like that they are in a normal situation. Jong-woo believes that it is safe under the barrier, but given the situation, Yeon-hoon does not think that this information will reassure him. He notices that the black mist is corroding the barrier, but its restoration costs no more than 100 essences at a time, so it is not a problem at the moment. Jong-woo understands that this is all because he is the strongest savior, and most of the awakened ones were not even able to enter here. The main problem is that the closer the resonators are to the center, the more often they occur, and as the fog thickens, the barrier consumes more essence. Jong-woo believes that an ordinary person would not be able to cope with such pressure. Hyo-shin wonders how far they still have to go because it will be very difficult for Yeon-ho to hold on while he is in this state. Dong-hoon notices that Hyo-shin's hands are also shaking. She tells Jong-woo that they are both in shock and will only last 10 minutes at most. Jong-woo says that if they turn back, it will take more than 10 minutes, so it would be easier to walk with them to the gate and figure out what is going on there. He points to the road that will lead them to the gate, saying that there is not much left, but he understands that it is not just a matter of how to get there, but what awaits them there. Hyo-shin agrees to go. When Seon-eun asks if she really agrees, she replies that there is no choice, and standing here is a waste of time. Suddenly, her pupils shrink several sizes. Hyo-shin yells at Jong-woo to watch his back. The monster's huge paw destroys everything around it and tries to attack, attempting to break through the essential shield with its paw. Jong-woo realizes that the giant creature with the thunderous paw is the very same earth cultivator. The monster is at least meters tall. Jong-woo cannot see its head because of the darkness. Looking closely, Jong-woo realizes that it has no head at all, but he can clearly feel the farmer staring at them. The earth farmer slams the essence shield with all his might, trying to break through it. The shield cracks but does not lose its strength. Jong-woo realizes that although it is large, it is only a second-day monster. He believes that the shield cannot be broken, and that the problem is not the attacks. He could strengthen himself with the essences that are being spent on the barrier, but then Jong-woo would have to leave everyone to their fate. The realization that he has only just assembled a team prevents him from even thinking about giving up. Suddenly, the farmer begins to make sounds that provoke powerful sound waves. Despite the shield, they make their way inside. Everyone except Jong-woo is overcome by nausea again. The weakened team is forced to kneel down to suppress the unpleasant sensations. Jong-woo realizes that it was the farmer who attacked them in the helicopter. It is surprising that the resonators did not attack them during the entire journey. The deafening sounds force Jong-woo to literally beg Jong-woo to do something. Jong-woo directs the attack along the shield. He hopes that if this attack does not destroy them instantly, they will have some chance. The power of the essence extends far beyond the shield. The blue light completely engulfs the farmer and he falls helplessly to the ground. Jong-woo rejoices that the farmer was still unable to withstand the power of an attack from 1,000 essences. However, the monster is not completely destroyed due to its enormous size. Jong-woo notices its incredible vitality. After the successful attack, Jong-woo relaxes a little, having solved the problem, and decides to continue on to the gate. Unexpectedly, the servants block the road. Jong-woo does not understand how they got there and assumes that they were hiding in the shadows, waiting for their chance. The servants begin to jump down in a crowd, ready to destroy. Jong-woo is ready to attack, pointing his essence-filled hand, but everything turns out differently. Jong-woo is shocked to see that the servants are actually eating the body of the farmer, which indicates their own ecosystem. This reminds him of the natural chain where small insects pounce on the lifeless bodies of animals. This information gives Jong-woo a certain realization. With one attack, he defeats the servants and tells the others to hurry up and deal with it before the others arrive. But Yeon-hoon stops him. He says he can't go any further because this is not a situation that a human can handle. Dong-hoon intervenes and coldly tells Yeon-hoon to stop freaking out and that if he can't handle it, he shouldn't have crossed the barrier in the first place. She notices a yellow liquid between his legs, assuming that he is behaving this way because he is ashamed of his age. This upsets Yeon-hoon. He yells at Dong-hoon and tries to get up. Dong-hoon smiles at his delicate situation and covers his nose from the unpleasant smell. Jong-woo doesn't understand how Dong-hoon can stand there and argue with Yeon-hoon in such a situation. To him, she seems like a pervert. He orders Dong-hoon to stop arguing and check on the others. He needs to pay special attention to Hyo-shin. Dong-hoon says that Hyo-shin's eyes are unfocused and doesn't finish his sentence after saying it's better to leave this place. She understands that it would be better to leave Hyo-shin here, but she cannot tell Jong-woo this because she suspects that he may have taken her for other reasons. She believes that despite everything, Jong-woo remains a man in his desires, so Hyo-shin is needed for something else. Jong-woo asks Dong-hoon's opinion about Hyo-shin because she said they needed a nurse, but if they leave Hyo-shin here, then they will have to find another one. He continues that it is not a fact that they will find another one. In addition, he asks to patch up Yeon-hoon because he is more important to him than a nurse. He threatens her, saying that if Yeon-hoon dies, then he doesn't need Dong-hoon. Dong-hoon remains indifferent. Soon the gate appears before him. Seon-woon says that they have finally reached the gate. He asks if Jong-woo can really close them. Jong-woo replies that he doesn't know, but he has come all this way to find out. Jong-woo notices that the gate is moving, giving the impression that someone is about to come out. He assumes that the monsters will fight to the last, but Jong-woo realizes that none of that matters and that he will succeed. Placing his hand on the gate, he says decisively that it is time to bring Yeon-woo back. Jong-woo notices that the gate is changing again, just like it did during the live broadcast. The farmer comes out of the gate again. Jong-woo assumes that this is done to stop them. However, something is still wrong. He sees a strange object in the farmer's hands. Unable to believe his eyes, Jong-woo realizes that the farmer is holding a resonator, and that if it takes shape, it will immediately begin to attack. Jong-woo realizes that they must be destroyed before that happens, so he directs a powerful essence leak at them. The farmers remain in place. Jong-woo realizes that an attack of this level does not leave a scratch on them, and thinks to use the essence to close the gate. This gives him the idea to first destroy all the monsters coming out of the gate. There are more and more of them. Jong-woo pours out a huge stream of essence to destroy all the farmers, forcing the team to cover their faces from the blinding light. For Seong-woon, this seems incredible because 2 days ago, Jong-woo was just an ordinary person like himself. However, now Jong-woo is using his abilities to stop the monsters from destroying the whole world. Such thoughts and conclusions shape Sun-un's image of Jong-woo. He believes that this is how legends are born. Sun-un feels that because of this power that Jong-woo possesses, all the people who were destroyed had no choice but to accept their fate. These sacrifices helped Jong-woo transcend human limits. Chosen as a savior thanks to his power, he is now humanity's trump card. For Sun-woo, he is the one who will stop the destruction of Earth. For him, he is the true savior. Meanwhile, during the attack, Jong-woo notices that no one is coming out of the gate anymore, and this is a chance to finally close it. The level and power of Jong-woo's essence are several times greater than the attacks that came before. A huge amount of blue light forms into a single shape. Jong-woo does not understand if it is working. He only notices how the gate completely absorbs all the essences. The power is so strong that it illuminates everything around. When the blue light disappears, the number on the gate immediately decreases to 0. The gate begins to crack and eventually breaks into pieces. Everyone is shocked by what they see and watches as the pieces of the gate fall into a single pile. Everyone is frozen in silent anticipation. Jong-woo notices that the fog and resonators are evaporating. The fog and all the buildings engulfed in darkness begin to disappear. There's only empty space around. Sun-woo says that nothing remains of the Haeun district and asks Jong-woo if they are done here. Despite the paradoxical situation, Jong-woo replies that in a sense, everything has indeed been completed here. An image of a pixelated Earth appears in front of everyone, announcing that the first gate has been closed. The evaluation administrator congratulates Jong-woo on closing the gate and tells him that as soon as he touches the terminal, he will receive a reward. Jong-woo touches the purple ball and assumes that he may have to make another choice now. As soon as Jong-woo touches the ball, notification screens appear in front of him. They inform him that there are no more open gates in this area. Now the arc function is activated, and at this moment there are no passengers in it. Jong-woo realizes that no new gates can appear in this area. This was the meaning of the special preference for designating the area as their own holy land. People outside the arc can still be destroyed. But if this territory is similar to Sacred Land, then it will be possible to cope with the risk posed by people. Jong-woo can build a new civilization here. Jong-woo understands that the ark was given for the safety of those who help her. Therefore, he turns to the team and explains that he is going to put them on the ark. Dong-hoon asks him what the ark is because she thought that Jong-woo was referring to the helicopter. Jong-woo realizes that he didn't explain anything to Dong-hoon or Hyo-shin because they were just following him in the moment for survival. He explains that it is a system that protects against monsters and can only be used by rescuers, but he does not know how to use it because he has not seen it before. He will explain further once he has everyone in the ark. Meanwhile, the system announces the registration of the ark's passengers and asks them to choose. Rings appear above the heads of the crew. Jong-woo does not understand how he should choose someone as a passenger. The ring fills up. He realizes that he just needs to look above their heads and think about it. A purple body immediately envelops Sun-un, focusing attention on his hand, which is surrounded by a ring. The word human appears on his hand. Sun-un mentions the inscription on his hand and asks Jong-woo if this mark could indicate race. Jong-woo thinks that it may be related to the fact that he chose the word human as his nickname. The evaluation administrator confirms this. The hand will be marked with the nickname of the savior and will have the number of the ark. Jong-woo says that if the ark is the 30th in line, then there will be 30 lines. Jong-woo realizes that now he will be able to find out how many arcs a person has by looking at their passengers. In the future, he wants to hide his nickname just in case. He relays the information to Seong-woo and says that now the monsters will not be able to hunt him. Jong-woo says that this way, everyone will end up on his ark, but warns that he will now give them a choice. He offers 3 options. The first is to go with him and continue to infiltrate the monsters' lair as they did today, but the monsters will no longer be able to attack them because they are in the ark. The second option is to stay here as the new gate will not open, but their survival will depend on themselves. The third option is destruction. If anyone wants to go to the other world, they can tell Jong-woo and he will ensure a painless destruction. Dong-hoon asks him if they were expendable. If he leaves them here, they will only take up space in the ark. Jong-woo says that although she is right, he has realized something after the gate was closed. No matter what he does, people will always be left behind. He says that if they go with him, it will be their personal choice, and he wants them to show that they can take responsibility for themselves. In addition, Jong-woo promises to keep his word and not touch them if they stay here. He gives them a choice because they walked with him to the gates. Sung-woon steps forward first and says he is going with Jong-woo. He takes into account that Jong-woo is the highest ranking savior and was the first to close the gate. He thinks it is safer to follow Jong-woo, but mentally feels like an informer who is obliged to warn everyone. Sun-woon understands that if they follow an incompetent savior, they will be destroyed by creatures or other saviors because he himself has already encountered such people. Dong-hoon takes into account that Jong-woo is the highest-ranking savior and sees no point in disagreeing. Therefore, she goes with Jong-woo. Looking at Yeon-hoon, Jong-woo sees what he is thinking, but he understands that he needs Yeon-hoon no matter what. Jong-woo considers how broken he was when trying to close just one gate, and he is sure that Yeon-hoon will not last at this rate. But unexpectedly, Yeon-ho steps forward and, bowing, tells Jong-woo that he will do everything in his power. Only Hyo-shin remains, uncertainly wringing her hands and trying to give her answer. Already on the roof, Yeon-hoon says that he inspected the helicopter at Jong-woo's request and did not notice any signs that anyone had been there. Jong-woo says that now they must always be prepared for the possibility that the helicopter could be damaged while they are away. Looking at the others, he realizes that they will not have enough strength to protect the helicopter. Meanwhile, Hyo-shin stands where the gate was destroyed. She tells Jong-woo that she knows it is still dangerous here, but she cannot handle such situations. Jong-woo says he understands and gives her a gun, saying she will need it. He wishes her luck and thanks her for her work. Jong-woo's next target is the Cheongno-gu district, which could become criminal. Besides, leaving the helicopter behind means that someone will damage or steal it. The helicopter is incredibly loud. Jong-woo realizes that they are essentially announcing their arrival to everyone, so he wants to test something for the helicopter. He stands on the edge of the roof and instantly takes a step with his whole body, flying towards the ground. Sung-woo approaches Yeon-ho and asks what happened. Yeon says that Jong-woo jumped down. Jong-woo lands completely unharmed. Realizing that he is uninjured, he decides that he can jump from a greater height. Sun-woon and Yeon-hoon shout to Jong-woo to ask if he is okay. Jong-woo, meanwhile, wants to try jumping back up. Focusing on his legs, he makes the jump, but his essence only has enough power for 3 floors. To avoid falling, Jong-woo grabs onto a ledge on the floor and hangs in the air. He is disappointed in his abilities. Sun-woo is very impressed by what he sees. He finds it amazing that Jong-woo is still alive after so many falls. Dong-hoon is also impressed, but she notices that Jong-woo lacks the strength to jump back and says that even rescuers are not omnipotent. Sun-woon tells her that this is why Jong-woo hired her, to which Dong-hoon replies mockingly that this is obvious. Sun-woon is annoyed that she is having fun. He asks how she can be happy after everything that has happened. Don-hong apologizes artistically and asks her not to shout, and even more so, not to pretend to be big and dangerous. Sun-woon gets upset, but Jong-woo, who has returned from below, diffuses the situation. Yeon-hoon asks how things are going. He replies that he has tried various things and thinks that when they arrive in Gano, he will be able to jump out of the helicopter without crashing. Yeon-hoon is shocked and asks if he really wants to do that. Jong-woo says that jumping from the top is not a problem for him. The problem is jumping back. Jong-woo asks to move the helicopter to a safe distance until he is done, and asks Yeon-hoon if he can throw him out at a sufficient height. Yeon-hoon replies that he can if there is no strong wind. As soon as he wants to object, Jong-woo interrupts him, saying that everything will work out and to get started. Suddenly, Jong-woo asks him if he wants to take his ex-wife with him. Yeon-hoon is surprised and hesitates with his answer. Despite his reaction, Jong-woo says that they will stop in Gano and decide what to do next there. Yeon-hoon agrees. As they take off, Seong-yoon notices Hyo-shin in the window. She is walking alone in the empty space. Looking closer, Jong-woo notices that other people are slowly starting to go out onto the street. Sun-woon wonders if Hyo-shin can handle it on her own. Jong-woo hopes so, adding that she has a weapon and people should not threaten her. Jong-woo reflects that some people are scarier than wild animals, especially when anarchy reigns and law and order are absent. He understands that although they are not in a position to use force in holy places, they are obliged not to interfere. They could simply kill all the survivors or establish temporary rule by force, but Jong-woo considers both options to be bad. He begins to understand how the planet is now, especially when people have nothing to hold on to when their loved ones are no longer alive. The planet would prefer to perish than to exist alone in the universe, unable to save anyone. Therefore, they were given a chance to save at least someone from oblivion. Jong-woo knows that one way or another their survival depends on whether they, as a society, can restore order, and it is up to the rescuers to decide how fair this order will be. The helicopter shakes again. Jong-woo does not understand what happened and asks Yeon-hoon what the reason is. Yeon-hoon says that soldiers are fighting the black mist below. He assumes that they are U.S. soldiers from the Yongsan base and that some of them are still alive. Jong-woo realizes that the United States is also in chaos and that their soldiers are left on their own, simply trying to survive. Jong-woo asks Yeon-hoon if there could be fuel for a helicopter left at their base. When Yeon-hoon says it's possible, Jong-woo orders them to fly there. Yeon-hoon says that there is shooting everywhere and they risk coming under fire. He asks if it is worth it since they don't even have a shield anymore. Jong-woo tells him not to worry because the barrier is like the chi in martial arts movies. Once you master it, it stays at maximum power. He adds that as long as they don't get hit by cannon fire, they will survive, and they cannot leave fuel and other valuable resources to the mercy of fate. Jong-woo reminds Yeon-ho of what happened in Haenon as soon as the gates closed, with black fog destroying everything it touched. While the soldiers are holding the defense, they must take everything they can. But Jong-woo understands that the whole country knows that the first gate has already been closed. He wants to personally look at the gate in Itaewon because the best rescuers will be there trying to close it. During this time, they will release a lot of essence, and perhaps Jong-woo will be able to absorb it all. He understands that there is a possibility that there will not be enough rescuers at the site, and he will not have enough absorbed power to seal the gate. In that case, Jong-woo thinks about taking everything that is not nailed down from the base and taking off. Meanwhile, Yeonhong tells Jong-woo to prepare himself because the landing will be rough. The helicopter begins to descend. Yeonhoon suddenly asks Jong-woo if he knows what angels from the Bible look like. He says that unlike the usual images of humanoids with wings in the Holy Scriptures, angels are depicted as a bizarre accumulation of wings and eyes. Therefore, everyone who encountered them was frightened. Jong-woo does not understand what this means and asks if everything that is happening now is God's will. Jong-woo adds that all the creatures that have appeared are his apostles, and that people are fighting against the manifestation of God's plan. Yeonhoon says that he is a Christian and hopes that all these monsters have nothing to do with God. It just occurred to him that they are descending in a helicopter like angels, and Jong-woo is playing the role of a savior. Jong-woo says that he is more of a monster than a savior because saviors do not destroy everything in their path. He also says that as soon as they land, he will immediately go to inspect the gate in Itaewon, so he asks them not to attract unnecessary attention and to stay where they are. Sun-woo asks him if he really intends to go alone, warning him that there are still soldiers below. Jong-woo asks them to tell the soldiers that they have brought a savior sent by the authorities. He will not attack them, and the soldiers must protect them until he arrives. Just in case, Jong-woo reminds them about the gun in the backpack and says it would be better if the weapons and ammunition at the base were left untouched so they could be retrieved later. The helicopter lands. Jong-woo moves faster thanks to the essence. Dong-hoon is not surprised that with such abilities, he is more effective at killing people. In a moment, the soldiers point their weapons at them. They ask who they are and ask them to identify themselves. Sun-woo raises his hands but notices that even though the soldiers are speaking English, he still understands them. He realizes that this is how the translation ability granted by the essence works. Sun-un begins to explain why they are here. One of the soldiers gestures to the others to lower their weapons. He tells Sun-un to calm down because they are not threatening them, just asking them to identify themselves and the purpose of their visit. He also asks who just escaped from the helicopter in a certain direction. Sun-un says that they are an emergency response team. The government sent them here to assist the reserve army. The soldier is surprised that they are an emergency response team. He asks them which unit they belong to. Sun-woon does not expect the question. He wants to say that they were sent by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, but he is not sure if it is already searching for rescuers. Perhaps the ministry has created special rescue teams. Sun-woon panics and has no idea what to say to them. Meanwhile, seeing that he has fallen silent, the soldier points his weapon at him again and orders him to answer. Jong-woo continues to move quickly. He looks at the time and is not sure he will be able to return before dark. He hears a noise. Nearby soldiers are shooting at a farmer. Jong-woo realizes that they are doing better than he thought. In his opinion, even the farmers would hardly be able to withstand the barrage of fire. The soldier orders the others to get ready because the farmers continue to attack. They fall to the ground, suffering from nausea. Jong-woo assumes that they are falling to the ground to withstand the sounds of the farmers because this way they can continue firing even while choking on vomit. He realizes that thanks to their tenacity and bravery, he will have the opportunity to sneak behind enemy lines in a matter of hours. For Jong-woo, it is a sight that cannot be described. He believes that in the end, it was their destiny to die. Jong-woo thinks to himself that the government sent him to save them. One of the soldiers keeps his weapon pointed at the farmers until the very end. He stands behind the soldier and releases a powerful burst of energy at the farmers. The surprised soldier just opens his mouth in amazement. Jong-woo says that no matter how effective the countermeasures are, they cannot be the solution. The captain asks how much time has passed since the savior left. The soldier replies that it has been minutes. But the captain is annoyed that they cannot understand what is happening in the damn fog, but he is glad that no new monsters are appearing. The soldier asks if Jong-woo can be trusted. The captain says that the Korean government would have contacted them earlier to warn them about the sent rescuer and his team. He argues that if they had regular rescuers, they would first rescue their own citizens, not foreign soldiers capable of resisting on their own. The captain recalls how Jong-woo told him to watch over his people while he went to investigate the situation deep in the fog. He says it doesn't matter whether the government sent him or not. The main thing is that Jong-woo saved their lives. He adds that they are not capable of fighting the fog and the creatures on equal terms, so all they can do now is wait for Jong-woo to arrive. Meanwhile, another soldier runs up to them and says he has spotted some suspicious citizens nearby. The soldier says that they claim to have come with some kind of savior to help them, and that the savior has gone in their direction. They are tied up with ropes. The soldier asks the captain if they should be released. Yeon-hoon is indignant that they were not properly interrogated and does not understand what is going on. Seung-woon himself does not know, but hopes that they were released because they saw Jong-woo. The captain apologizes and says there was a misunderstanding. They shouldn't worry because the situation is now under control. Sung-woon shakes his hand, even though he thinks to himself that they have no idea that the situation is completely out of control. When Seung-woon wants to ask what will happen to the soldiers when he and Jong-woo fly away, Dong-hoon suddenly nudges him in the elbow, telling him not to even think about it. Yeon-hoon thinks Dong-hoon is right and that no matter how hard the soldiers try, they have no chance of surviving against the monsters, let alone closing the gate. Also, they won't be able to do anything to the savior if he needs the essence. The future that has emerged from the ashes of war with the fog of civilization is entirely in the hands of the savior. It is up to him alone to decide which of them we'll see tomorrow. Yong-hoon understands that it is not up to him because he is a small fly. But on the other hand, it is better this way because he will not have to live with the burden of the decisions made. Meanwhile, the soldier announces that Jong-woo is returning. All eyes are on him. The soldiers are impressed that Jong-woo was indifferent to both the monsters and the fog. That is why he is their savior. The soldiers ask if everything is over, but Seong-woon sees that the fog and resonators have not disappeared. This means that the gate is still open. This leads Sun-woon to conclude that Jong-woo was unable to close them. Dong-hoon tells Seong-woon to leave if she doesn't want to see the soldiers get destroyed. She understands everything and sees no point in staying. The soldiers don't understand why they left them and are talking about something. Then Jong-woo returns to them. They see that Jong-woo is using the object he used to destroy the monsters and don't understand why the handle is pointed at them. Jong-woo throws the essence at the soldiers. There is an explosion. The captain asks him why he did it and what for. He explains that the number has doubled overnight. Now more than 20,000 essences are needed to close the gate. The captain does not understand what Jong-woo is talking about, but a moment later, his body lies lifeless on the ground. Jong-woo tells the team that they don't have much time and that he needs to collect the essence of the remaining soldiers, and then they will go to Gano. Over time, Jong-woo collects the essence from the last soldier. The essence indicator exceeds 14,000, but this is not enough to close the gate. A day has passed since the first gate was closed, and the cost of closing the second gate has doubled. Jong-woo is unsure of the connection between the required amount of essence and time, but he thinks that soon he will need, if not hundreds of thousands, then 1,000,000 essences. He is glad that the pointer still points towards Gano, which is not so far away. In the event of a battle, Jong-woo will be able to take all the essence that remains afterwards. He thinks it would be good to run into another essence collector like himself in order to take his supplies as well. However, Jong-woo thinks that destroying other saviors is a bad idea. Although he was ranked first, he is not yet capable of sealing the gate himself. There will come a time when closing the gate will be more important than collecting essence, and Jong-woo does not know if he will be able to cope with this without the help of others. Jong-woo asks the evaluation administrator what will happen after all the gates in the region are closed. The administrator replies that each savior will be offered a choice. The first option is to stay, and the second is to move to another region. Jong-woo asks what will happen if he stays and the gates in neighboring areas are not closed. The evaluation administrator says that in that case, all life will come to an end. Jong-woo realizes that even if he survives hell and wins, the one gate that remains open will lead to the end of the world. Sung-woo recommends leaving because the farmers are gathering strength again and want to attack once more. Jong-woo tells Yeon-ho to prepare the helicopter and Dong-hoon and Seong-eun to grab as many resources as possible and get out quickly. Warning the others of his return, Jong-woo goes to the farmers. He is surprised that some soldiers without essence were able to defend themselves against some attacks. With one blow, he destroys all the farmers, but the fact that the soldiers are unable to use essence remains suspicious to him. Already seated in the helicopter, Jong-woo notices that despite the rush, they have stocked up on supplies to the brim. Yeon-hoon says that Gano is near Gwanghamun and Dongdaemun. He asks Jong-woo where to fly. Just as Jong-woo is about to give directions, he suddenly notices something strange below. He asks Yeon-hong to pay attention to the black cloud at 1 o'clock. Yong-hoon looks closer and realizes that it is not a cloud but a flock of birds. Jong-woo asks him not to take any risks and to fly around them at a safe distance. Dong-hoon says it's not a bad idea because the birds could get caught in the helicopter's blades. Jong-woo says that's not the point. The birds may possess the essence, and if they attack now, Jong-woo doubts he can protect them. He hopes that the birds have the same sense of duty as cats, but if they are more like the lions from the courthouse, then there will be trouble. Jong-woo thinks it's smarter not to provoke the birds and to keep the helicopter. They fly around them and look at the empty, destroyed area. Sun-woo is reluctant to land in this place, and Dong-hoon describes the atmosphere around them as unwelcoming. Jong-woo asks Yeon-hoon to pay attention to the building that is smoking. He does not think it is a fire and asks if Yeon-hoon can land on the roof. Yeon-ho agrees but warns them that the landing will be rough and tells them to hold on tight. Finally, the helicopter lands. Jong-woo suspects that everyone in the area has heard them and tells the others that they cannot be left here alone, so they go with him. They notice that there are survivors in the building. Jong-woo warns that they don't know who they are and that they may be awakened, so he will go first. Opening the door, the woman inside asks who is behind the door, but Jong-woo immediately intercepts her by putting a knife to her throat. She asks if he has come for food, while Jong-woo wonders what this place is. Yeon-hoon, who is still standing behind the door, says it smells like someone is cooking. Dong-hoon ironically says that it's impossible to work in public catering under such conditions. Sung-woon intervenes and says that the DS group also operated at the Gangnam Station, and that the situation with this restaurant may be similar. Jong-woo is surprised that the restaurant is still operating as usual. The chef standing behind him asks if he came here to fight. He adds that Jong-woo doesn't look like a cop, and that caution is the key to survival at a time like this, so he tells him to move on and not linger. Jong-woo is tense about the phrase, "don't linger," because no one has kicked him out in a long time. The cook seems calm to him despite the 3 essences. In addition, Jong-woo notices bruises on the girl and realizes that although the place looks like an ordinary restaurant, it arouses suspicion. He feels like he has stumbled into the pages of some action movie where a beautiful girl has been taken hostage by the mafia, and the chef owner does not want bloodshed. Jong-woo asks the chef what kind of place this is, how they work at this time of day, and whether all the local gangsters come to eat here. The chef asks him to introduce himself first, because if Jong-woo is not a cop or a soldier, then it's better not to meddle in things that don't concern him. Jong-woo doesn't understand why he is so fixated on cops. He says he just saw a bunch of officers and soldiers killed right before his eyes. The cook is shocked that the soldiers were also killed. Jong-woo notices his state, but does not understand the reason. Suddenly, a crowd of men enters the establishment. One of them asks Jong-woo if it is his helicopter on the roof. Jong-woo calls each of them awakened, because they all have an average of 700 essences, which they probably collected throughout the district. When the man asks if he is a cop, Jong-woo wonders if it would be better if the authorities showed up so they could help restore order. Looking at their numbers, Jong-woo realizes that he is being foolish because they had to break many laws to survive. But he doesn't realize how they managed not to destroy each other while having a similar amount of essence. The predator, or gang leader as Jong-woo calls him, asks if he is really offering them to cooperate with the law enforcement. He reminds Jong-woo of the boss of a Chinese restaurant. He has several scars on his body, but this is not surprising to Jong-woo because he himself worked in a similar establishment. At first, Jong-woo thinks that the woman is being held against her will, but now he understands that they coexist as a group. He is not afraid if she gets hurt because Jong-woo was not going to spare her anyway. One of the group runs away, but the leader strikes him and, grabbing his sweater, yells that he decided to change his mind, despite being promised his life would be spared. The victim says that's not the case. He just thinks Jong-woo is very dangerous given the number of essences he has. Jong-woo realizes that this man is a savior and is being held by force even though he is the only one who can influence the situation. However, they themselves are waiting for the authorities to arrive. The man asks him to let him go, and a moment later, Jong-woo destroys the leader, leaving his mangled body nearby. The woman picks up the meat cleaver that was left behind and, with tears in her eyes, cannot believe that her beloved is gone. The rest, realizing that Jong-woo has destroyed their leader, begin to attack, but at that very moment, they themselves suffer from the essence. The woman, armed with an axe, is a few centimeters away from Jong-woo and wants to attack, but Yeon-hong intercepts her and throws her to the ground. He understands that she has gone mad from the loss of her husband, but he is determined to stop her no matter what. Yeon-hoon raises the axe and strikes. After doing so, Yeon-hoon goes into shock. The cook, who has just witnessed the destruction, raises a knife above him and is about to harm him. But Jong-woo manages to intercept the attack and strikes the cook, who falls behind the counter. Next to Jong-woo, Yeon-hoon is still sitting, unable to come to his senses, holding the woman under him with essences scattered around. Another rescuer clutches his head fearfully and trembles with fear. Jong-woo asks if there are any other people like this, and if he doesn't know anything, it's okay. The man replies with a trembling voice that there are many such people here, but they are really good. Jong-woo is surprised that he called such people good, and wonders if he became attached to them while he was their hostage. He replies that this is not the case. Compared to other places in the area, it is relatively safe here. He also says that the Blue House has been taken over by bandits. Jong-woo asks him if he is really sure that the Blue House has been taken over. The man says he would not lie when a knife is held to his throat. The man hands over his business card and says he was the only one who managed to escape. He is a reporter for a local newspaper at the White House, and this morning he was at the president's residence. He asks for mercy, and in return he will help avoid dangerous people because he can see their essence. Just as the man is about to say that he is a savior, Jong-woo interrupts him and also announces his rank. The man notices 20,000 essences in Jong-woo and asks about his rank. He himself has 117 essences and is in 3,021st place. But since the information available to him is insufficient, it is difficult for him to judge his rank. But he thinks that Jong-woo is among the 5 strongest in the region. Meanwhile, a new gang arrives. They hear the noise and are outraged that everything here has been destroyed, threatening those who are in charge. Jong-woo asks the man if there are any other people who might come here. The man replies that there are not, as he does not know anyone else. In a moment, Jong-woo destroys everyone who came, saying that they will at least be in silence for a while. The man thinks to himself that he wasn't even this scared during his interview with the congressman. How lucky he is to have run into a monster like Jong-woo. But the man restrains himself. He understands that this is his chance because during this time he has learned that only the 5 best saviors have the option to close the gate. He realizes that if Jong-woo is so powerful, he will be able to learn more about closing the gate and what it means to be a rescuer. The man no longer wants to be a worthless observer because he understands that such a chance comes once in a lifetime. When you are given lemons, you need to make lemonade out of them. He asks Jong-woo to take him under his wing and he will tell him everything he knows. He sees no point in destroying him because he has little essence. Jong-woo says that 100 essences is indeed not much, but if he spares everyone, he will never reach the required number. When the man asks about Dong-hoon and Yeon-hoon, Jong-woo replies that the woman is a doctor and the man is a pilot. The man guesses that he must also be useful in some way. Jong-woo says that although the information about the Blue House is useful, He does not need him for that. The man bows his head and realizes that he needs to play his last card. He says he can arrange a meeting between Jong-woo and the president. Sung-woo cannot believe that the man has enough authority to arrange a meeting. Dong-hoon does not believe that a simple reporter has access to the president's location, and since the Blue House has been captured, it does not add up. The man replies that the president was taken away long before the Blue House was seized. The reporters were also supposed to be taken there. At least that's what they were told until some scumbag showed up. No one thought anything would happen because there were 10 of them, and more than 200 elite Blue House guards. The shots were of no concern to the unknown intruders. They protected themselves with a blue dome. When the shots subsided and a blue glow appeared at the tip of one of their fingers, all the guards were turned into mincemeat. Jong-woo and the man stand near the pigeons. The man says that the authorities lost the last of their control over the situation when the pigeons attacked. A wave of looting swept through the city, and those who survived the attacks of the pigeons and bandits formed voluntary alliances similar to those in the restaurant. Jong-woo now understands why those in the restaurant were so eager for the police and the authorities to arrive. But judging by the amount of their essence, there would be no great assistance from the police. He asks if the authorities took any other measures because Jong-woo thought that when the alert came to gather rescuers, the authorities had some kind of plan. The reporter says that there was no plan because the country's population was rebelling. No government would dare to shoot at its own citizens. Jong-woo recalls the DS who took full control of Gangnam, where everything was different. He guesses that a fight immediately broke out in the city. But this does not surprise Jong-woo because people get used to the lack of control. The reporter asks if everything will be okay with those in the restaurant, because they have little essence. Jong-woo replies that the block needs more than 1,000 essences, but he thinks they are safe because most of the region has been cleared. He mentions Yeon-ho and thinks he needs a break because he has to be ready when it's time to leave this place. The reporter points to the entrance to the Blue House and says that if they move along the foot of the mountain, they will reach the president's emergency response office. Jong-woo asks if he is sure. The man says that everyone who worked in the Blue House knows this information, and that in case of any incidents, everyone will be evacuated there. The reporter says that about 15 people have awakened, but he does not remember the exact amount of essence they have, but 2 of them have enough, at least 6,000. Even with 6,000, Jong-woo wonders how many people they destroyed to collect that much, and looking at the cut at the entrance, he realizes that it is not a grinder. Jong-woo believes it is something sharper than an essence thread. He has only seen such a thing in one person, his father. He tried to repeat how his father used it, but he couldn't do it. Jong-woo asked the system whether the method of using essence is chosen randomly or based on some personal characteristic. The system replies that the use of essence depends on the person themselves, and that people with similar personalities can acquire the same abilities. Jong-woo realizes that everything is individual, but he is curious if there is anyone with the same abilities as him. The reporter asks Jong-woo when he will meet with the president, and whether he intends to cooperate with the authorities. Jong-woo replies that he will if he deems it necessary, but first he needs to clarify a few things. The authorities know the location of the gate and the extent of the damage in the region. Jong-woo is curious to see what strategy they will propose, given that he is the top rescuer in the rankings. The reporter points to the secretariat where everything happened. He says that while running, he was able to collect several essences. Jong-woo recalls what he saw at the entrance, but the person with the string was not acting alone. They tried to catch the president in the basement, thinking it was a bunker. The reporter says that after the search, they went to the residence itself. He says to take into account that the Blue House is 2 and 7 million square feet, and it takes a long time to get there. Jong-woo does not understand what those who remained inside are still doing, but that is okay because they are all in the same building. He tells the reporter that he will go ahead and scout the situation and asks him not to delay. In an instant, Jong-woo disappears. They immediately point their guns at Jong-woo. He doesn't know what to do because he knows his father is among them and wonders if he can act according to his conscience. However, he still destroys those standing at the entrance. Jong-woo lowers his head, confused by the situation. He calculates that the weakest members of the group are standing around the perimeter, but even they have 400 essences and those inside have more. Jong-woo adds those who have 6,000 and the total comes to about 20,000, but he gets carried away with math and misses a blow to his hand, which is bleeding. He wonders if this happened because he was distracted by nonsense in his head, or because of his heightened senses due to his body's strengthening. Jong-woo knows that strengthening the body is not enough to stop a bullet, and that he would not have been able to do so anyway. He understands that in situations like this, even the smallest injuries can change the course of the battle, and such mistakes cannot be allowed. Fortunately, the bullet did not hit anything vital, and Jong-woo can still feel his arm. It does not hurt that much, but the bleeding is a problem. Jong-woo asks one of the attackers if he has anything to stop the bleeding. The attacker doesn't understand, and Jong-woo kills him. He crouches down next to the body and is about to check its remains, as many items can be used as bandages. Just as Jong-woo is thinking that finding a first aid kit would be a stroke of luck, a man sneaks up behind him and raises a weapon above his head. Jong-woo manages to cover himself with a shield, and the man, not understanding how this happened, asks him who he is. He remembers what reporter Moo-eun said about him, a man who uses essence in the form of a thread. Jong-woo doubts that the appearance of the attacker's essence is different, and that it is not similar to the one his father uses. Another man steps forward. Jong-woo realizes that the rest are not a threat, although they could be a good harvest. The sum of the two main attackers will be 12,000. The winning situation is on Jong-woo's side, but he does not want to rush. They notice Jong-woo absorbing 300 essences. The attacker turns to another man named Se-jun and warns that he is not so simple. Se-jun says that Jong-woo is just a regular guy and immediately goes on the attack. His partner tries to stop him, but it's no use. The man recalls how he tried to absorb many essences at once, and it was very painful, but Jong-woo didn't even blink. He thinks that Jong-woo has more essence than they do. At that moment, Jong-woo destroys everyone behind him, and Se-jun's weapon suddenly breaks in half. Jong-woo realizes that Se-jun's weapon was broken by his partner. Now it becomes clear who is using the thread. He asks Se-jun not to interfere and to try to negotiate with Jong-woo. Se-jun calls him a brother and does not understand how it is possible to negotiate here. Jong-woo thinks that they are relatives, and that is why Se-jun was saved by the thread. He does not understand how people still cling to such ties. The attacker suddenly kneels down and asks them to have mercy. Se-jun tries to intervene, but the attacker says that they will try to give Jong-woo everything he needs. Jong-woo is surprised that they are asking for mercy and asks them to introduce themselves and explain why they came here. The attacker says that they were arrested for robbery and interrogated at the police station. They robbed a jewelry store. He says that the whole situation started when they were being interrogated, and immediately after that, destruction took place at the police station. They are among the few who managed to survive and escape from there. Several other people who were in custody went with them. Jong-woo asks why they went to the Blue House and what they wanted from the authorities, because they do not seem like saviors. The attacker says he will only talk if Jong-woo saves their lives. Jong-woo says that's not how it works, and that they are all useless for now. The attacker replies that it doesn't matter how many essences Jong-woo saves, because they can be destroyed even in their sleep. He says that people must remain human. Se-jun is tired of listening to him pleading on his knees and gets up to destroy Jong-woo. But Jong-woo grabs him by the throat and slams him into a column. The second attacker asks him not to do it, but Jong-woo destroys Se-jun anyway. He sees Jong-woo collecting essence from Se-jun, who has just died, and cannot believe it. The attacker immediately uses the essence in the form of a thread and attacks. Jong-woo manages to cover himself with a shield. Mu-on's voice can be heard through the attack. He is a few steps away from the scene and calls out to Jong-woo. The attacker rushes towards Jong-woo, who is ready to attack, but the man bypasses him without using the essence and moves in the other direction. Jong-woo sees him jump sharply somewhere and then realizes that the man is aiming at Mu-on. Suddenly, the attacker's essence begins to blind him. Jong-woo assumes that he deliberately took the position of the sun into account, but Jong-woo realizes that if Mu-on dies, he will never find out what the authorities know. He uses the essence and decides to act blindly. A blue light engulfs the attacker, and in the end, only a crater and a few essence balls remain. Jong-woo asks if Kang Mu-yun is okay. He replies that he is probably not. He says that this thug was one of those who captured the Blue House. Mu-yun cannot believe that a man with such strength died so easily. Jong-woo recalls that the attacker never said why they had surrounded the residence. As soon as Jong-woo touches the essence, he is suddenly overcome by a wave of pain. It feels like he has been hit on the head with a frying pan, and he cannot move. Mu-on asks how Jong-woo is feeling when he notices that he has fallen to his knees. Jong-woo exhales cold air and says that everything is fine. Suddenly, Jong-woo realizes that he has absorbed too much essence at once. He remembers that the pain was like the sensitivity test. Jong-woo also realizes that in the future he needs to absorb the essence at the right moment, because if this had happened in battle, he would already be dead. The pointer points west. He realizes that there is no one else around Gano and Mount Bugak, and that there are no more awakened ones left in the Blue House that he cannot defeat. Jong-woo says to move to the second emergency response office because Mu-on has to prove that he was left alive for a reason. They reach Mount Bugak. Mu-in begins to feel the wooden signpost with his hand. Then he says to go in a certain direction. Jong-woo asks how he knows the way, as there are many forks in the road and there are no signs in that direction. Mu-yun says that the signs have braille. Since the president's residence is the most important facility, the guards need a hidden orientation system. The arrows are only there to confuse outsiders. Mu-yun asks how Jong-woo's hand is since he was trained in first aid. Jong-woo says he will live. Suddenly, a helicopter flies by. Jong-woo asks if it came from the direction of the National Assembly building. Mu-on says that it did, but there has been no one there since yesterday. But Mu-on says that it all started at 8 a.m., even though most officials' workday starts at 9 a.m. A state of emergency was declared in the afternoon. Considering all this, Mu-yun says that it is unlikely that most civil servants survived. Jong-woo wonders whose helicopter it is, so he decides not to guess but to find out. Suddenly, he notices that he hasn't heard any birds or insects for a long time. It is now the middle of summer, but for some reason, there are no cicadas chirping at the foot of the mountain. Jong-woo uses the essence and cuts the tree in half. Inside the trunk are wires. Jong-woo realizes that they are already in a protected area. Mu-on is surprised by the plastic trees and weapons are already aimed at them from the bushes. In an instant, Jong-woo and Mu-on are surrounded by soldiers with weapons on all sides. Jong-woo immediately covers them both with his shield. Mu-on says that these are the Blue House guards and asks to negotiate with them. Jong-woo says that since they haven't opened fire yet, They must be ready for dialogue. One of the soldiers orders them not to move, warning that any movement will result in gunfire. He asks them to identify themselves and the purpose of their visit. Jong-woo notices the camera and hopes it is working. He states that he is the top rescuer in the rankings and has come to speak with the president. The president's secretary watches this on TV. He asks Mr. Kim, who is standing next to him, if he is the top rescuer in the rankings. The soldier hands the phone to Kang Muon, saying that the president's secretary wants to talk to him. Muon replies that he is not a hostage and that there are only 2 of them. Muon is visibly nervous during the conversation with the secretary. Jung-woo takes the phone from him, saying that the secretary likes to talk nonsense, so they will do things differently. Jong-woo uses the essence and destroys almost all the soldiers with one blow. Everyone in the room with the secretary reacts with their mouths agape. The secretary says that they were already preparing for an emergency meeting, so he asks to prepare another seat in the conference room and invite Jong-woo. The surviving soldier cries for help and tries to escape, but Jong-woo destroys him too. Jong-woo sees a long tunnel in front of him and assumes that they have arrived at the emergency response office. Since most of the soldiers fled there, Moo-yoon says that this must be the case, as he was not there before. Muon notices that in the 2 hours since they met, Jong-woo's essence has doubled. He hopes that the decision to bring him to the president was the right one. He is curious to see how far Jong-woo is willing to go, hoping to see it with his own eyes. A man emerges from the tunnel. Muon recognizes him as the minister. He introduces himself as Jong Seong Kim, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. Jong-woo notices that Jong Seong speaks as if he is not a citizen of Korea. He thinks it is a habit because he communicates with foreigners. Jong Seong asks if he can come closer. Jong-woo does not object, but thinks that he is stalling for time because the president may have already been evacuated. He also notices that the minister is behaving very cautiously, but Jong-woo thinks that if a helicopter flies overhead, he will simply shoot it down. Jong Seon apologizes, saying that he was supposed to meet them personally and escort them, but there was a misunderstanding. Jong-woo replies that it's okay because he was the one who attacked their people in the first place, and asks if he can meet with the president. Minister Yoon replies that this is possible because an emergency meeting with the president is about to begin. He asks them to follow him. Upon entering the room, Jong-woo notices that they are following protocol, but does not understand how they can hold honorary meetings at a time like this. Jong Seong laughs, saying that they should consider it a manifestation of the little dignity they have left. The minister invites them into the conference room and says that the meeting will begin soon. Based on what Muon said, Jong-woo expected to see something different here because Muon said that only the president and a few officials had been saved. Jong Seon replies that they have sheltered about 1,000 people within their walls and have been trying to rescue as many citizens as possible since yesterday. Only Jong-woo notices that there are only members of high society and their families here. The minister says that many tried to get in but were unable to due to the brutal conditions outside. Everyone is waiting for the first rescuer in the ranking to speak. He also points to the man who called himself the first rescuer and has already taken his place. Seeing the number of essences in Jong-woo, the man bows his head and trembles with fear. Society is like ants that exist within the iron rules they themselves have created. Every ant does everything for prosperity. Only for ants are humans an inevitable cruel deity and a force that cannot be stopped even by bringing together several generations. Ants see humans as monsters who destroy their society for no meaningful reason other than entertainment. From the moment everyone received the message from Earth, the monsters that poured out of the gates after the announcement put humanity in its place. The man who considers himself the top savior thinks that now he has thoroughly and systematically put those who treated him like an ant in their place. After he got used to his role as a human, he contacted the authorities. Their conditions suit him, and he decides that the game is worth the candle, at least for now. He exaggerated his achievements a little, but he was chosen, and as long as they give, he takes. The man cannot believe that among all the people, it was Jong-woo, the leader of the rescuers, who showed up. After Jong-woo's appearance, the man feels like an ant again. The president's secretary thanks everyone present and asks them to pay attention to the screen. The situation turns out to be worse than hoped. Green areas are those where public order and government control remain. No one has any control over the gray areas. In the yellow regions, there is no public order or any control by the authorities. In the red areas, the presence of 3 gates has been confirmed. Everyone is frightened and outraged by the secretary's statements about the lack of public order and the presence of so many gates. They demand answers. The secretary says that, judging by the scale of the disaster, the authorities assume that everyone gathered in the hall is the last survivors in the entire country. Muon wonders whether it was worth disclosing all the information because, in his opinion, it will only breed chaos and confusion. Jong Seong says that the authorities are on their own and the National Assembly has been destroyed, so diplomatic channels are useless. However, the burden of the decisions made is too great. The minister continues that in order to relieve the pressure, they need outside help to weigh the pros and cons and adopt a ruling scenario for the development of events. Jong-woo believes that this is an excuse because they want to do it with a bunch of rich people acting as judges. The secretary says that resistance, even with the use of primary weapons, is futile. People who have been awakened by the essence control entire cities and districts of Seoul. Many self-proclaimed communities have broken away from the central government and declared their own sovereignty. The authorities believe that criminals who have defied the government cannot be considered citizens. The secretary reports that while they were looking for a way to solve the problem of losing control, the DS group contacted them. DS is ready to assist through its agents. The authorities believe that this will help them in the process of regaining control over Seoul and finding new saviors. Within an hour, a representative of the DS group is to visit them to discuss the terms of cooperation and the method of transporting citizens. Meanwhile, a vote is being held on whether everyone is ready to accept their proposal. Everyone is outraged that DS has no right to command the authorities. When Moo-eun asks Jong-woo for his opinion, he says it's not bad, but he talks about the taste of tea, which he hasn't enjoyed in a long time. Jong-woo does not think that the authorities should reject DS's proposal because they have no plan on how to deal with the situation. So for the authorities, this is a gift from above. For DS, this is an opportunity to turn the government into its puppet, because they probably already have some long-term plan for the government, as befits a huge transnational corporation. However, Jong-woo believes that DS and the authorities do not realize the gravity of the situation, so the main thing now is not survival, but the fact that in 40 days, the Earth will end. Jong-seong gives Jong-woo the documents. Among all the information, the most striking thing is that Korea is completely isolated. Jong-woo asks if Jong-seong has prepared a report. When he confirms this, Jong-woo says that compared to others, he seems pessimistic and asks why. Jong-seon replies that this is because there are no reasonable measures to assess the current situation on Earth, as this is not a military conflict or a war. Jong-woo notes that Jong-seong has the most accurate understanding of the danger because he expects the government to fall and new centers of power to emerge. But Jong-woo understands that even if they manage to prevent the end of the world, they will face famine, a shortage of resources, and the collapse of infrastructure. Jong-woo believes that Jong-seon Kim is predicting future events. Moo-won gives Jong-woo a ballot. The ballot asks voters to elect a president. Jong-woo does not understand how this can be all the options that the authorities can offer. No one understands how an auction can take place among such a large number of people. Jong-seon says that this will make it easier to find what Jong-woo needs. He says that when their own lives are at stake, people reveal themselves to the fullest. Jong-woo asks him who he would choose if he had to choose the most worthy person here. Jong-seon replies that it depends on the dire situation in the country. Minister Jong-woo clarifies the situation. What if all effective management systems collapsed and the country's population fell below 200? Jong-seon says that he is not sure that it is possible to survive in such a situation. The minister suddenly replies that they would need rice for that. He leaves. Moo-eun asks if Jong-woo wants to take Jong-seon with him. Jong-woo says that it is possible if he gives a satisfactory answer. Unexpectedly, Jong-seon brings in the Minister of Agriculture, Park Tae-wee. The minister says that he is one of the few who really has experience in his field. Jong-seon says that Park Tae-wee is their chance for survival. Jong-woo asks him how much land and people will be needed to sow the fields this year. Tae-wee considers that there are only 200 people, so it depends on the equipment and the condition of the land. Jong-woo clarifies that there is no civilized infrastructure left. Then Tae-wee says that it will be problematic to build a dam and a water supply system, so it will be unrealistic, which means that growing crops on dry land will be suitable. He suggests that if barley and legumes are grown at a specific consumption rate of 198 kilograms per person, 18 tons per year will be enough to support 200 people. 36 square feet will yield 9 kilograms of barley. Taking into account the possibility of crop failure, about 356,000 square feet of farmland will be enough. Ten-win adds that such an area can be sown by 20 or 30 people working daily for a week. Jong-woo sees that Ten-wei really knows what he is talking about, and that Jong-seong made the right choice. Suddenly, Jong-seon asks for mercy, and Ten-wei says that they will overcome the food crisis and build a better future. Jong-woo asks if he is sure because the road will not be easy. Jong-seong replies that he wants to live. Then Jong-woo asks them to stand back and begins. Suddenly, everyone is distracted by a noise. Jong-woo uses his essence and destroys most of the hall. Those who remain scatter in panic. Ten-wei yells at Jong-woo, asking what he is doing, but they are already being shot at. However, Jong-woo manages to cover them all with a shield. Jong-woo calculates that it takes 100 essences to block one bullet, and even with his 40,000, he won't last long. Thanks to generating the shield in only one direction rather than all around, less essence is wasted. Jong-woo realizes that if he had created the barrier earlier, he would have been exhausted. He assumes that the president has already been taken away, so he decides to hurry before the DS group's henchmen arrive. Jong-woo destroys most of the guards. One of the guards throws a grenade. Jong-woo realizes that if he switches the barrier to it, he will be exposed to bullets. And if he ignores it, the ministers will be destroyed. There is no choice. Jong-woo decides to cover the ministers with his body and then deal with the guards. He throws himself toward the grenade. The guards are destroyed by the power of the essence, and Jong-woo is thrown several meters away. In the end, only the essence remains of the guards. Jong-woo remembers that the last time he was on the verge of destruction was when he fought the purifier. After all, 40,000 essence is not that much. He realizes that in order to be sure of the integrity of the people he has chosen, he needs much more essence. Jong-woo orders Moo-won and the ministers to hide because it is easier for him to fight alone. Walking through the hall, he does not see a single person. But when he approaches the door from which some brown liquid is leaking, Jong-woo realizes where everyone is hiding. Meanwhile, behind the door, the president's secretary breaks a pot. The soil spills out from under it and becomes the source of the brown sludge. Another rescuer who is with the president and the guard behind the door laughs. This angers the guard and he asks why he finds it so funny. The rescuer replies that the situation is funny because even the president is embarrassed that it will all soon be over. The bodyguard takes out his gun and, out of anger, wants to shoot the savior. The savior says that now even a loser like the bodyguard will look down on him. The savior provokes him. He tells him to shoot, checking who will back down first because the guard only has 4 essences and he is just another ant. The president orders them to stop, saying that the rescuer is not the enemy here and that infighting will do no good. The president learns from the guard that there are 18 minutes left before the DS group arrives. He still has hope. The savior sees that the president has quickly calmed down and seems to be pretending that he is in charge here. The president hopes that their agents will detain Jong-woo. He orders the commissioner to buy more time and the director to check the evacuation route. The president turns to the rescuer, Dong-hui, and appoints him the official rescuer of Korea. Dong-hui is surprised. The president did not expect the top man on the list to be a maniac, so now the authorities will support and assist Dong-hui. But Dong-hui does not expect the authorities to support him, noticing that there are only 3 people left with the president. Suddenly, as soon as the guard touches the door handle, his essence power destroys him in half. Jong-woo has destroyed the door. Dong-hui did not think that Jong-woo would get there so quickly, so he takes a fighting stance. The president tries to stop Jong-woo. He says that with such abilities, Jong-woo can solve all the nation's problems. Dong-hui sees that Jong-woo is not attacking and is constantly muttering something under his breath. In a moment, he realizes that Jong-woo is talking to the system. The system informs Jong-woo that in the last 8 seconds, the rating has changed, and he is now in 2nd place in terms of strength as a savior in the region. Jong-woo does not understand who has overtaken him because since morning he has absorbed the essences of, if not hundreds, then thousands of people, and the number is no longer 12,000. He realizes that he spent some of it on closing the gate, but he didn't think anyone would be able to catch up with him in a few hours. Jong-woo is curious how much essence the first place has, but more importantly, tomorrow he will lose his leadership bonuses. Dong-hui tries to destroy Jong-woo, but he is protected by a shield. He realizes that Jong-woo probably has no weaknesses. Leaving his obsessive thoughts behind, Jong-woo realizes that he needs to deal with them first and uses the essence. Meanwhile, Seongki concludes that the team has a doctor, a pilot, and a hunter with unknown abilities. He asks what else he needs to know. Muon replies that he has only known Jong-woo for a few hours and finds it difficult to say anything else. Ten-Win is outraged that Minister Kim wants to be a member of the assassin team and how anyone could support his methods. Jung-seong says that in a way Jong-woo interests him because he destroyed some people and spared others. Ten-Win says that most likely these people simply impress Jong-woo. Minister Kim asks him if he doesn't find this strange. After all, what is the point of saving old people like them unless Jong-woo's predictions come true and the country's population decreases to 200 people? But Ten-Win interrupts him by banging his fist on the table. He does not understand how a civil servant like Jung-seong can even listen to Jong-woo. Jung-seong explains that a real disaster is happening on Earth right now, but they can't just sit idly by because something needs to be done. Ten-Win does not understand what can be offered here other than helping the mass assassin on his way. Minister Kim disagrees and suggests helping the people whom the mass assassin will leave alive. Jong-woo returns to them and says that there is no one left in the hall. He orders them to take food while he goes to meet with representatives of the DS groups. Jong-soo is curious about what will happen because Jong-woo has just reduced the Korean leadership to 0, and the meeting threatens to clash 2 opposing worldviews. He thinks that DS will try to either eliminate or hire Jong-woo, and the easiest way to do that would be to take his loved ones hostage. However, Minister Kim doubts that Jong-woo has any people close to him left at all. Meanwhile, Park Min-gu smokes his last cigarette and complains that you can't face the end of the world without alcohol and cigarettes. Following the map, Park Min-gu is at Sando Station, and he needs to head north to Noryangjin. He says that things are not going well in the east, but there should still be supplies and possibly cigarettes left in Noryangjin. A memory pops into his head where the system said that he needs to find and help the savior or take his role and start this journey himself. Min-gu doesn't understand who the savior surrendered to when the whole world is ending. However, he is curious if Jong-woo knows how to fix the situation since he is the savior. Voices can be heard nearby. 2 of the group are arguing about who should kill the tiger, but one is afraid despite having the essence. Min-gu does not understand how the boys are trying to corner the tiger as if it were an innocent cat. He assumes that they have a lot of essence, but since Min-gu does not know the exact amount, he decides not to get involved. He feels sorry for the tiger, but decides to leave before they notice him. Suddenly, a voice in his head stops him. It asks him for help. At first, Min-gu doesn't understand how he can hear the voice, but after a moment he realizes that it is the tiger speaking to him, saying that Min-gu is strong and can help. The gang notices Min-gu. They yell that he is following them and wants to attack them secretly. Min-gu is not happy about this, but decides that if he dies, it is his fate. He tells the boy that it is not worth angering the tiger because when he was young, his father told him that tigers are mountain spirits. DS receives no news. One of the agents says that if they don't plan to go in, it's better to retreat. Another says that the bunker was attacked as soon as they arrived and that Jong-woo may be negotiating with the authorities. The second says that the company is just messing with the authorities because it is actually useless. They finally see Jong-woo coming out of the tunnel and immediately attacking one of them. The second one is destroyed right after the first one. Meanwhile, Jong-woo counts the essence of each guard. In total, he has about 40,000. The guards recognize Jong-woo from the blue list and also realize that he destroyed their office in Gangnam. Jong-woo tells them that being called the best is nonsense and mentions that they want to take back Seoul. He doesn't believe that there is no one stronger. Meanwhile, Min-gu destroys a gang of guys saying that they still wanted to mess with the tiger. He asks the tiger why he was afraid of them and why his mountain spirit is so weak. He absorbs the essence but grabs his head. Min-gu feels as if a horse has landed on his head and suspects that it is because he has absorbed too much essence. The tiger tells him that he has become stronger. Min-gu is surprised that the tiger can see his essence, saying that he is lucky because he himself can only guess. Suddenly, he notices that the tiger is licking its paw and thinks that it has blood or a wound. As soon as he wants to approach, the tiger stands up on its paws and begins to roar. But it immediately becomes clear why the tiger did not want to fight the gang of boys, because he was protecting the body of his tamare, a girl, behind him. Jong-woo destroys the entire group. He learns from the leader that there will be no reinforcements, so he realizes that this is it. After collecting all the essences, the number reaches 90,000. Jong-woo has doubled his previous number, but somehow he is still second in the ranking. He does not understand how far behind the leader he is, but at any moment, Jong-woo could find himself in third place, losing the ability to close the gate. He is distracted by Jong-seong, who says that he has collected much more than expected at his request, and that it can all be put in a helicopter. Jong-woo asks to postpone the food because there is a lot of it. Weapons except for flashbang grenades, and be sure to take medical supplies. Sunwoon and Dongwoon, who stayed behind to wait for Jong-woo, scare people away. This is because they saw Sunwoon's hunter status. Yeonhoon says that Seongwon doesn't really look like a hunter and asks how that happened. Seongwon says he only has a guess. When the system asked what a person would do in 24 hours if they died, Sunwoon replied that he would destroy his boss. He notes that his boss was never nice to him, and when Sunwoon was about to finish what he started, he changed his mind. Jong-woo calls Sunwoon. He asks if everyone is okay and then tells him to pack his things and come to him. Jong-woo tells him to go east of the Blue House, where 2 helicopters will be waiting. But Yeonhong asks him to come to the helicopter's control panel. Yeonhoon asks him to look at the green panel that looks like a speedometer but without needles, and dictate the last 3 digits. As time passes, the helicopter approaches. Jungseon asks if it is a DS helicopter, and if the pilot is from there. Jong-woo says he used to be. Ten-Win is already thinking about how the pilot will see the pile of destroyed bodies of his colleagues, expecting him to be in shock. As soon as Yeonhoon gets out of the helicopter, Jong-woo asks how he is feeling. He tells Yeonhoon that he needs to load something and asks him to rest. Sungwoon asks what happened to the authorities. Jong-woo replies that he destroyed every last one of them. He also introduces them to the new people. Jong Song is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Park Tae-wee is the Minister of Agriculture. But Tae just snorts in response. Jong-seon has no idea what Tae-wee is thinking, believing that his rudeness is digging his own grave. Despite the fact that Jong-woo is needed, he wants to discuss manners with him. Jong-woo activates the essence and insists that Tae-wee not tempt fate, because one more stunt and he will walk. Tae-wee is frightened by the threats. Jong-woo leaves him and says that there is little time and they need to go to Itaewon. Everyone will get to know each other better in the helicopter. Already in the helicopter, Jungseon is shocked by what is happening in the city. Jung-woo says that if the authorities are unaware of what is happening, then they know even less. He adds that it seems as if an alien ecosystem has invaded Earth. In his mind, he draws a parallel with their flora and fauna. Jong-woo recalls that when he saw the cleaner gnawing on the corpse of a farmer, he imagined a hyena, which indicates that there is also a system outside the gate. There are alpha predators like lions and tigers, and the worst will begin when they enter the human world. Jong-woo is sure that this will happen someday, but for now he can only close the gate as quickly as he can and collect more essences. Suddenly, Jong-woo says he is leaving and opens the helicopter door. Jong-seong, who has not yet witnessed all of his abilities, is in shock. Jong-woo says that if anything tries to stop them, they should shoot. He jumps out of the helicopter. Jungseon does not understand what Jong-woo is thinking, because they are in the sky. Jong-woo is already moving from point to point at lightning speed. Jungseon's surprise knows no bounds. He realizes how powerful the first rescuer is and imagines that every country could have one like him. Jungseon thinks that if this is the case, then the saviors are humanity's last hope. He wonders what will happen if they get caught in the fog. Donghoon replies that it is better not to approach it, otherwise they will lose their minds. Jungseon asks if they have already encountered this, to which Donghoon replies that everyone except him has already been in the fog, albeit with Jongwoo's protection. When Jungseon asks why Jongwoo jumped, Donghoon says that this way he will get there faster and it is safer for them in the sky. Donghoon does not seem to appeal to Jungseon, but he understands that she completely trusts Jongwoo. He assumes that this is due to her past experience with him, as Jongwoo is clearly concerned about his subordinates. The helicopter shakes. Sanwong says it's because the gate is closing. Jongseon sees a bright blue glow and then all the buildings disappear, leaving only Jongwoo and emptiness in their place. He asks what happened. Seongwon replies that when the gate closes, everything around disappears except for the ground. Jongseon does not understand how Sunwoon can say this with a calm face, but then assumes that he has also been through a lot, which reminds him of Jongwoo. Jongseong also thinks that they are working together not only because they were colleagues. Jongwoo returns and says it is time to put them in the Ark. When Jongseon asks what the Ark is, Jongwoo replies that it is a sphere that protects everyone inside from monsters and ensures survival. Jongwoo says that with each gate closure, 10 additional places appear in the Ark. But if the savior dies, the Ark is cancelled. Now Jongseon understands why he mentioned 200 people. Jongwoo says that this is the maximum number of places available, and if he closes 20 gates, 200 people will be saved. Jongseon says that theoretically the number of survivors could be higher. Jongwoo adds that this is on the condition that the saviors do not destroy each other. He says that only the top 5 rescuers can close the gates and accumulate essence so that their chosen ones survive. Therefore, they are doomed to fight. Jongseong says that in this situation, it is clear that no one will consider a peaceful solution. He does not forget what will happen in 41 days. If the saviors were just thugs, it would be the end of humanity, but the saviors are the key to success. Jongseon believes that in order not to lose humanity, they need not just thugs, but thugs with a sense of responsibility. At first, Jongseong left Jongwoo in order to survive, but now he realizes that such a person will save them and that there is no more responsible executioner to be found. Jongwoo warns that when they enter the Ark, they will feel a little pain, but it will quickly pass. He says that the mark on their hands is a ticket to his Ark. Passengers on the second Ark will have 2 stripes. In general, the stripe shows the time of their entry, but the system shows that there are 7 passengers. Jongwoo knows that there are 6 of them, so he remembers Hyoshin, who, judging by the numbers, is still alive. The administrator said that when a passenger dies, their place is automatically cancelled. Jongwoo does not understand how Hyoshin has survived so long without shelter. But Jongwoo realizes that even if he fills all the seats in the Ark, the helicopter will not be able to carry so many people, and they will not survive without shelter either. Suddenly, Jongwoo remembers the Holy Land privilege, so he decides to return to first place and create a Holy Land. When everyone finds out that Jongwoo is no longer first in the rankings, Jongseong asks Tenwei if they need holy ground to save more people. Tenwei replies that it is obvious that this is the case, because they cannot move forever. Song Yun asks if Jongwoo will continue to collect essences. Jongwoo says he will, because it is unlikely that anyone else is counting on the Holy Land, but they need to ensure the survival of humanity. Dong-hoon intervenes. She says that although the topic is pedantic, they should think about reproduction. Everyone looks at each other in surprise. Dong-hoon says how they plan to make plans to preserve humanity without women. Tenwoo says that it is too early to think about this. Then Dong-hoon sarcastically remarks that his male dignity cannot bear many children. She continues by saying that even if they save the Earth, who will live on it? Since Noah himself took 2 of every kind onto the Ark for a reason. Don Hong argues for incest and what threatens the immediate offspring. Therefore, there are 2 options. Either find a partner to mate with, or take other people's children. Saving useful people is good, but completely pointless in terms of prospect. Tenwei does not like to hear Don Hong talk about reproduction and becomes enraged. Jongseong tries to calm him down and apologizes. Don Hong says that Tenwei is right and that she really does not like people, but she thinks it is necessary to say this so that Jongwoo does not miss such an important detail. Yeon-hoon doesn't see the difference between providing for offspring and doesn't care whether it's other people's children or his own that are being raised. Muon says it's like tourism. They dislike people in their own country but are happy to meet other Koreans abroad. He considers the approaching apocalypse and says that he will be happy to raise someone else's child. Tenwei agrees with him. When Jongseon asks what Jongwoo thinks about this, he replies that he really doesn't care. He says that it doesn't matter whose child he raises because he never really thought about what would happen to him after the destruction. Jongwoo says that until today, he only thought about how to survive and he would not say that he loves humanity very much. Having destroyed hundreds of people, it would be strange if Jongwoo started caring about others. That is why he took a team that is more humane than he is. Jongwoo asks not to take his opinion into account, because the government determines the direction of the nation's development based on the opinions of thousands of people. Jong Seon suggests thinking about how they will prepare the next generation. Don-hoon says that first they need to decide whether to add couples or children to the Ark. He says to vote for a quota system for the next generation, and to do so anonymously to avoid disputes, with the decision to be made by a majority vote. He clarifies that a minimum of 4 votes are needed to win. When Jongseong asks Jongwoo if he is against it, he asks him to forget about him altogether. Jongwoo notices that Jongseong is already taking on the role of arbiter, and that he will be a wise advisor to the community. Jongseong announces the time, distributes ballots, and begins voting on the question of whether to include couples or children in the Ark. Meanwhile, Mingu is dragging the tiger tamer along with him. He is outraged by the stupidity of the idea and does not understand why he agreed to help the tiger in the first place. In addition, the tamer has been dead for more than an hour. Mingu notices that, judging by the smell, the muscles have long since relaxed. In such heat, the body will decompose in a matter of days, so Mingu plans to get rid of the body as soon as possible. But he realizes that the tiger won't appreciate this and won't listen to reason. Mingu wants to try to leave to carry out his plan. He sees an air conditioner working nearby and realizes that someone is inside. He calls the tiger and they enter a room. Mingu thinks he can rest here because the room is cool, but a woman with scissors quietly attacks him from around the corner. Sensing danger, the tiger immediately attacks the woman, but Mingu manages to cover her with his shield, but the tiger breaks it with brute force. Mingu asks the tiger to calm down because he has his tamer, and he would remain reasonable in his place. During the vote, Jongseon sees that there are 3 votes in favor and 2 against. If the last ballot is against, the idea of quotas for the next generation will be rejected. The last vote is in favor. Jongseon concludes that, in addition to survival specialists, they will also include married couples and children in the arc. Moon says that some criteria regarding the number of places need to be established. For example, 20% of the places in the arc for the next generation. Jongseon says that this can also be voted on, so they will decide everything at once. They need some time to discuss all the detail. For Jongwoo, the democratic process is dragging on. The pointer points to the west in the opposite direction from the area ruled by DS. He understands that, on the one hand, he needs to resolve the issue with the DS, but on the other hand, returning to first place in the rankings is a higher priority. Otherwise, all their plans will go down the drain. Jongwoo needs first place, so he asks the others to take a break and move on. Jongseon sums up the situation. 30% of places should be allocated to the new generation, taking in pregnant women, their husbands, children under 10, and childbirth specialists. Jongwoo asks Yeonho if he has considered his proposal because they have completed all their business in Gano. Yonghoon says that even though they have separated, it is not about their plans for the future. He just wants to save her in any case. He says that the woman is in Shinsu. Jongwoo orders him to fly there because he needs to go west anyway. Meanwhile, at the DS headquarters in Seoul, they are digging up information on Jongwoo. The chief asks if he has any friends or family left. His assistant says they haven't found anything else because his mother died in a car accident a long time ago, and he and his father are not together, and Mingu seems even more indifferent to them. The chief wants to find Jongwoo's weakness, so he orders them to find his father. The assistant says that his GPS is turned on so they will quickly locate him. This news pleases the chief. He asks them not to delay with this case because they need at least one of them. Already in Shinsu from the roof of the building, Jongwoo sees hundreds, if not thousands, of dogs below. Moon thinks they reacted to the noise of Jongwoo's helicopter, but Jongwoo doesn't think so. Jongwoo says they have half an hour, so he takes the dogs on himself, hinting that Yeonhong should do his job. Jongwoo jumps down and, surrounded by a huge number of dogs, uses the essence and destroys them. Yeonhong enters the apartment. His wife opens the door along with her new husband. He notices that she is pregnant. Jongseon finds this strange because she broke up with Yeonhoon a year ago, which means the child is not his. Jongwoo mentally notes that their next generation quota has started on a very strange note. Yeonhoon congratulates the woman on her pregnancy, and her husband Seon Ho-kang immediately shakes his hand. Ho-kang says he has heard a lot about him from his wife, Seon-hee. Yeonhoon greets him in return. Seon-hee asks him why he came here, saying that the streets are full of wild dogs. But Yeonhoon suddenly starts shouting, asking them to listen to him because no one else will help them. He goes inside and says he has found someone who will save everyone. Ho-kang tells him that he cannot just break into their apartment like that. However, despite Ho-kang's request to take off his shoes, Yeonhoon opens the curtain, showing them Jongwoo as the person who will save them. At the same time, the dogs are thinking about how to destroy Jongwoo. They want to devour him even more. Jongwoo realizes that the dogs are angry at people and behave as bravely as cats in Hanggang. He thinks that the locals are unlikely to suspect their hatred. Ignoring thoughts of making a deal, Jongwoo destroys the dogs. Seon-hee, watching this, asks Yeonhoon how they can trust him at all. Yongho insists on the seriousness of the situation and says that Jongwoo is their only chance of survival and asks him to listen to him. Jongsung reminds them that they have 20 minutes left. This makes Yeonho nervous. Enraged, he grabs Seon-hee's arm and, shouting, apologizes and asks her to go with him. Seon-hee asks him to let her go. Ho-kang orders him to take his hand off her and throws Yeonhoon against the wall with all his strength. Yeonhoon hits his head and starts bleeding. Jongseon yells that they have no idea what is going on and how Yeonhoon risked his life to get here and give them a chance to survive. Ho-kang calms down and says that he didn't mean to. He was just afraid that Yeonhoon would hurt Seon-hee. Jongseon yells at Ho-kang to pick up Yeonhoon because he will die. He says that Yeonhoon is the most important person here, and if he dies, they and the child will die. At the same time, Mingu sees that the tiger has calmed down. He notices that there is no one else in the building and assumes that no one outside heard the noise. He tells the woman next to him that he is glad he brought the tamer with him, otherwise the tiger would have eaten them long ago. Mingu asks about the cult the woman mentioned, where they were looking for doctors in the area. The woman says it was at the Social Welfare Center, and they weren't the only ones they were looking for. She adds that they took everyone who seemed useful, and most of them were young people. Her son, a police officer, died defending people from these cultists. The woman asks her to take her with her if Mingu is going in that direction, as she knows that part of the city. Mingu reminds her that she herself said it was dangerous, and asks if she would agree to go there with a stranger. With fear in her eyes, she says that these scumbags won't let anyone go and will fight. But Mingu seems strong and will be able to avenge her son. The woman promises to watch over the tamer because the tiger is wounded and not paying close attention to its surroundings. Mingu agrees and suggests that since they are going together, they should at least get to know each other. He introduces himself and the woman says her name is Jong Hai-han. Suddenly, the tiger sniffs the tamer's leg and begins to growl. The tiger realizes that the tamer is dead. Hai-han, holding the girl's body, touches the tiger's paw and tells him that the tamer meant a lot to him, just as her son meant a lot to her. Jong-woo's essence count reaches 100,000. He returns to first place in the rankings. Having surpassed 100,000 essences, Jong-woo realizes that the former leader had about the same number of essences. Even if Jong-woo collects all the essences on Earth, he will not exceed 110,000. The difference is not that great, so his competitor may well catch up. Jong-woo realizes that he needs to increase the gap between them, so he thinks about how to do it, considering that the pointer constantly points west. He is curious about what is there because the pointer is pointing there from the blue house. Of all the places in that direction, he remembers Hongdae Park Hanan and the Olympic Stadium. Jong-woo realizes that there is no time to think, and that he needs to find out what the pointer is pointing to. He heads for the roof, seeing blood on the floor. Everyone is confused to see that Jong-woo has returned. Jong-woo in turn asks where Yeon-hong is and who the two people next to him are. He learns that Yeon-hoon has lost consciousness. Seon-woon reports that Dong-hoon and Jong-seon are looking after him. Jong-woo realizes that the child is not Yeon-hoon's and asks if he said anything before passing out. Ho-kang says that Yeon-hoon asked them to take them with them. This coincidence angers Jong-woo because he was going to accumulate essence, but Yeon-hoon decided to lie unconscious for God knows how long. He realizes that if he loses Yeon-hoon, there will be no one to fly the helicopter to take him to the gate. Jong-woo would gladly get rid of this pair for disrupting his plans, but he will have to take them even if Yeon-hoon dies, because they are part of the new generation quota, and everyone has accepted these rules together. If Jong-woo goes against the rules, he will prove their failure. In addition, no one else will take them seriously, so Jong-woo realizes that he will have to endure this. Jong-woo tells everyone that he will go alone. Ten-wai is indignant, asking what they should do then. But Jong-woo says that it is already getting dark and passersby are unlikely to notice the helicopter on the roof, and the residents of the building will not climb up to watch him and the dogs. Jong-woo says that this is the only way he can keep his privileges as leader until tomorrow. Ten-wai assesses Jong-woo's determination and asks if he is always like this. Seong-yoon replies that he is, thinking to himself that everyone is alive only because of Jong-woo's determination. Jong-woo moves quickly. He notices that with every kilometer he travels west, the needle deviates north, which means he is close to his destination. Suddenly, Jong-woo slows down. The pointer points either to the stadium or to Hongdae, and again the pointer jerks sharply in the other direction. Jong-woo realizes that the needle changed direction not because it was approaching the target, but because the target itself was moving. He remembers what the system said. It is impossible to know whether the needle points to a place or a container of essences. The needle would not jerk like that if it were a place or a group of people. Jong-woo realizes that he is chasing one person. If it is the savior, then he may try to hide, realizing that Jong-woo is hunting him. Therefore, Jong-woo wants to catch up with him as soon as possible. Jong-woo asks the system who else can use the pointer. The system replies that all potential saviors of the planet are capable of doing so. When Jong-woo asks if ordinary awakened people are capable of using it, the system replies that to some extent, yes. Jong-woo realizes that even if he is not the savior, he can still guess that Jong-woo is coming for him. He is in place. The arrow points to the building. Judging by the sharpness of its movement, Jong-woo thought that the person was running away from him. But the stranger simply walked into a barbecue restaurant. Jong-woo smells the aroma of kebabs and wants to try to get inside. He wants to see with his own eyes the person who threw a feast during the plague, and then Jong-woo will destroy the building. As soon as Jong-woo enters, he sees a man with 3 essences eating steak. He suddenly starts screaming for help. Someone behind Jong-woo tries to attack him, but he manages to cover himself with a shield. The stranger's attack is so strong that Jong-woo is gradually knocked off his feet. Jong-woo does not understand who this is and how he can hide behind people. Gradually, the stranger stops attacking. A trench has formed behind Jong-woo, and he does not realize whether the attacker is inside or outside. Suddenly, an essential spear flies at Jong-woo from above, but Jong-woo covers himself with a shield, realizing that the attack is very weak. However, this is just a distraction tactic by the attacker. Small blue balls form between his fingers, and he throws them at Jong-woo's feet. Jong-woo realizes that his opponent is much better at fighting than he is, and knows that direct attacks against him are useless, so he tries to break his focus. The opponent manages to reach Jong-woo and finally reveals his face. He does not destroy Jong-woo, but stands in front of him. The attacker turns out to be a predator with more than 50,000 essences, and he tells Jong-woo that he shouldn't have started a fight with a red player. Jong-woo is surprised that the predator fought him with only 50,000 essences, and realizes that if the numbers had been equal, Jong-woo would already be dead. Suddenly, the predator starts to run away. Jong-woo is not going to let him go, realizing that he will lose not only 50,000 essences, but also first place in the ranking. As soon as Jong-woo thinks about how to catch up with him, the predator suddenly turns back to him with an essence in his hand, telling Jong-woo that he has been caught again. But Jong-woo immediately cuts off his hand and holds the essence to his throat. He says that if the predator answers the question, the destruction will be quick. Meanwhile, Yeon-hoon lies on the roof with his head banded. Jung-seon thanks Dong-hoon for his help, but she says that Yeon-hoon miraculously remained conscious. Sun-woon realizes that it is good that they have such a talented doctor, and Dong-hoon fully justifies his place in the arc and will justify it again and again. Yong-hoon asks where Jong-woo is. Seong-eun replies that he will be back soon because he received a phone call when Yong-hoon woke up. Jong-woo immediately appears and asks about Yeon-hoon's well-being. Yeon-hoon replies that he will live but very poorly and apologizes for causing so much trouble. But Jong-woo is glad that he is safe and wants to quickly resolve one issue. He can put the couple in the coffin if Yeon-hoon still wants to. They still qualify for the quota, and when Jong-woo asks Yeon-hoon what he thinks about it, he clenches his fists and says he doesn't mind. Jong-woo asks the couple for their opinion, warning them that once they become passengers on the Ark, they will have to follow its rules. Ho-kong replies that they agree, so Jong-woo begins to register them. They ask what the marks on their hands mean. Jong-woo replies that it means they are one of them. He asks them to let him know if they see anyone else with the same markings. The system shows that there are 9 passengers, although there are only 3 men, a woman, and a child in the womb. The child is not counted because it has not been born. But Jong-woo believes that unborn children should be given priority in the system's understanding. Jong-woo asks the system if living beings need to have essence to enter the Ark. The system replies that they do. However, he does not understand how to give essence to an unborn child if monsters can come after it since it is not a passenger on the Ark. But Jong-woo figures out on his own that the child does not need to be placed on the Ark, as the monsters only hunt for essence. The monsters that come through the gate hunt only for essence, and it is distributed among all living beings on the planet. This was the main reason why a war for survival began on Earth. As a result, some were able to preserve their essence and take it from other beings. Jong-woo is one of them. However, he understands that on a global scale, even his essence will not be enough, so he needs more and quickly. Jong-woo asks how soon Yeon-hong will be able to fly the helicopter, but not by force, and when he will feel better. Dong-hoon replies that she would follow him for another half hour, but under normal circumstances, he is entitled to 3 days of rest. Yong-hoon says that he is fine and that they will take off in half an hour. He asks if they are heading east to DS, but Jong-woo replies that they will be heading southwest to Gwangmyeon. They will spend the night in the southern prison. The body of the tamer is left in the church. Min-gu asks Haehan if she really wants to go with him. Haehan replies that she has seen worse, assuring him that everything is fine. Min-gu must understand her as a father. Because of the scum from the community center, Hee-han will never be able to hug her son or hear his voice again, so she will go with Min-gu no matter what. Tiger sneaks up and says he will go with them too. Suddenly, Min-gu hears the sound of a helicopter. He doesn't understand how those in the helicopter don't realize how dangerous it is to draw attention to themselves right now, or if they are just very confident. Min-gu notices that it is a regular medical helicopter, and does not even have onboard guns. Sunwon wonders why no one has shown up yet, given the noise. Jungwoo says that all the guests here have probably already fled, especially after yesterday's events. After all, it is a prison. Jungwoo asks Muon if he knows how everything is arranged here, as he has probably been here before as a reporter. Muon replies that he has been here several times and knows roughly where everything is. Jongwoo asks Muon to find a safe place for everyone, preferably on a higher floor. He himself will look around. As the Predator in Hodai said, there are many Essence Masters in this area, and if something unpleasant happens, Jongwoo asks them not to fight and to wait for him. Tenwee and Jungseon think about where they could build their future. They understand that it must be a place with a gate so that Jongwoo can create a sacred land. As an option, Tenwee considers Yangpyeong because there is a gate there, so Holy Land will not be a problem. Most importantly, there is fertile land and a good place for a farm. Jungseon says that the land there may be good, but it is a cold region with harsh winters, and it is very inconvenient to travel in those parts. Tenwin says that it is difficult to travel even now, but Jungseon says that this is because monsters have invaded the Earth, and now they must look to the future. In Seoul or in industrial areas, there may be abandoned infrastructure buildings. They must secure transportation for themselves, even at the cost of farmland. Jungseon believes that if they want to preserve the infrastructure, Seoul is the best option, but it is also the most dangerous. The best place would be where they would be safe and able to gather resources in the surrounding areas, gradually expanding. Jungsung says that the best place would be Namyangju. Tenwee asks how it would be better than Yangpyeong in terms of transportation. Jungseon replies that it is more reliable because it is twice as close to Seoul, and there is a railway in Kuri nearby, so they can move quickly if necessary. Moreover, there is plenty of land for farming there. Tenwee says that this is generally true. Jongwoo returns. Seongwoo says that he was gone longer than usual. Jongwoo says that he didn't find anything nearby, so he went further. When Jongwoo asks how everyone is doing, Jongseon replies that the prison was indeed empty. But Muyoon doesn't understand how Jongwoo found nothing when his essence doubled. He doesn't understand how much he needs in general. Jongseon understands that Jongwoo is tired, but suggests considering options for where they could establish their first settlement. Jongwoo agrees, but asks for a brief explanation as he wants to rest. Jongseon repeats that the best options would be Namyangju, then Ikon and Busan. Jongwoo asks if Busan is connected to farming and fishing. But Jongseon says it's because of the gates, as they cannot be in the water. At least he has not heard otherwise. In addition, Busan has a DS office, which means it has the entire infrastructure. Jongwoo asks if he is saying this at such a late hour in order to make a decision quickly. Jongseon replies that this is true because there are no more seats in the helicopter, and the sooner they settle, the easier it will be to plan further actions. Jongwoo says that they will fly to Namyangju tomorrow morning before he loses his first place again. Also, everyone except him and the pregnant woman must take turns keeping watch in pairs. The last one can be alone because the ground will wake them up, even if they fall asleep. In the morning, a pixelated Earth appears in front of everyone. Ten Wei does not understand what it is, so Dong-hoon explains that it is a message from Earth. Now, Sun Wung understands what Jong-woo meant when he said that Earth would wake them up. It is exactly 8 o'clock in the morning. Earth says that the third day has begun and announces a number of updates. The gates in all regions have risen to a higher level, and the total number of essences has decreased by 5%. There are 40 days left until the destruction of Earth. Each regional leader can choose a privilege. Jong-woo recalls that on the first day, the number of essences decreased by 6%. This means that over the last 2 days, it has fallen by 11%, and will probably not return to Earth. Jong-woo thinks about which privilege to choose, given the circumstances. He chooses the privilege where the gate opens 30% more often. Jong-woo is glad that he is first again because someone else could have gotten rid of him because of the bonuses. And he himself would not give up the opportunity to eliminate the person in second place so as not to lose his position. Jong-woo chooses the individual advantage of the Holy Land so that tomorrow he can collect as much essence as possible to destroy the second place. The land reports that the leaders of each region have chosen individual skills, and according to the vote, the gates will open 30% more often. Jong-woo understands that most people agree with him and is curious about the consequences. Suddenly, surprised gasps are heard all around. Jong-woo is overwhelmed by familiar feelings, and he sees the title of agent appear above Sun-hoon's head. Yeon-hoon asks Seong-woon what this means. Jong-woo has never heard of an agent either, so he asks for an explanation. The system explains that Sun-woo has been re-evaluated and is now assigned the role of agent, and Sun-woo must carry out tasks on behalf of the rescuers. Sun-woo must wait for the decision of the chief rescuer. Jong-woo also receives notifications informing him that he has been assigned as an agent. The system says that if Jong-woo agrees to be an agent, he will have access to certain functions for controlling the Ark, which will allow him to remove and assign people to the Ark. Essence borrowing will allow the agent to borrow essence from the rescuer. If the rescuer approves the request, the agent will be able to take essence for a short period of time. Transfer. The savior renounces his title and transfers it, along with all his essence, to his agent. Will. Deliver the will to the agent in case of the savior's destruction. Jong-woo is outraged that he works to exhaustion and can simply transfer the title through destruction. But he understands that from Earth's point of view, it is logical because for her, they are all just instruments of salvation. However, Jong-woo wonders why it is Sun-hoon. Does Earth really believe that he can become a savior? But Jong-woo still trusts Earth's judgment. Jong-woo says he approves of controlling the Ark and borrowing essence. Seong-woon replies that he understands and looks at the screen. Sun-woon assumes that the first number is the amount of essence he can borrow and the second number is how long he can use it. He is shocked that he can borrow 280,000 because, although he guessed that Jong-woo had a lot of essence, he did not think it was that much. After analyzing the information, Jong-seon says that the agent is actually the manager of the Ark and the Holy Land. Jong-woo replies that it is something like that. He says that since they have an agent and have decided on a settlement in Namyangju, it's time to leave by helicopter. In the helicopter, Moo-yoon says that something is approaching them from the gate. Jong-woo says that these are new monsters from the third day and that they can fly. Because of this, Jong-woo asks Yeon-hong to play it safe and land, but the helicopter begins to shake because the monsters are hitting the shield. Yeon-hoon says he can't see anything and can't land. Jong-woo finds out that they are 100 feet above the ground and asks to make an emergency landing. Obeying, Yeon-hoon grips the steering wheel tighter and they prepare to land. After landing, Muon notices that it is very dark around them. Yeon-hoon reports that the control panel has shut down and suggests that it is due to the black fog like in Hanggang. Jong-seon says they are stuck and asks what to do next. Jong-woo replies that thanks to Seong-woon they can get out of this situation. Jong-woo says that Seong-woon will maintain the barrier while he deals with the gate. Dong-hoon asks if he can really do it. But Jong-woo tells her that Seong-woon should be able to do it now that he can use essences. He asks Sun-woon to lend him 80,000 essences, which will be enough for an hour and a half. Jong-woo has no doubt that he will succeed. Seong-woon lends him the essence. Jong-woo sees the amount of his essence decreasing, but he wonders what will happen to the essence if the agent dies before the timer runs out. The system responds that they will be lost. This means that the essence transferred by Jong-woo may not return. If the agent is destroyed, he will lose everything he has transferred. Sun-woon writhes in pain. There are 80,000 essences above his head. Jong-woo realizes that the body adapts to the sudden influx of essence and he will have to get used to it. He asks Sun-woo to make the barrier bigger and forget about protecting others and think about protecting himself. Sun-woo screams at the top of his lungs and still covers the helicopter with a shield. Jong-woo asks if he feels better, to which Sun-woo replies, "Just a little." Seon-hee grabs her stomach. Muon asks Sun-woo if anything can be done about the sounds of the blows. Sun-eun says how could that be done when he can barely hold the barrier himself. In his mind, Sun-eun asks Jong-woo to hurry. Jong-woo uses a burst of essence and closes the gate. The acne begins to flee. Jong-woo notices that they were rushing towards him until the gate closed. He asks the system why the acne suddenly stopped resisting and flew away. The system says that the enemy's goal is to take as much essence as possible to their world. The enemies dislike cities without gates because they cannot return to their home world, so most enemies instinctively prefer not to leave the gate area. Jong-woo only now learns that the monsters are taking essence to their world, so the decrease in essence in the notifications meant that the creatures were taking it with them. The larger the gate, the more monsters pass through it. He wonders if the gate gets bigger over time because the gate in Namyangju did not appear today. Jong-woo asks the system if the amount of essence needed to close the gate increases. The system replies that it does because the gate gets bigger over time. But Jong-woo was so busy running around on the first day that he completely forgot about the gate in Hassan, where it is now certainly very dangerous. He realizes that he must prepare for the worst. Jong-woo tells the others that the Holy Land can only be used once, meaning that this is his first and last attempt. He asks them to choose the location carefully. Jungseon says that there are mountains nearby and the land looks suitable for farming. For Jungseon, this place is good, so he suggests making the Holy Land here. Tenwei, for his part, sees no problems. After all, accessibility in this place is also acceptable, so Tenwei will take care of these issues himself. Jungseon asks Jong-woo for his opinion, but Jong-woo asks not to be asked, but wonders if they need an urban planning expert. With the increase in population, the question of building houses will arise, so Jong-woo believes that such a specialist will not be superfluous. Jongseon says that it would not hurt in the long run, but they need builders. Then Jong-woo begins to create holy ground. A powerful burst of yellow light rises into the sky. Everyone stares up in surprise, not understanding what is happening. Sun-woong realizes that the yellow light is a giant barrier. At the same time, everyone in the rescuers' chat is discussing the Holy Land. Jong-woo realizes that everyone has noticed and learned about the Holy Land, which suggests that the rescuers will soon find this place and people will rush here. All people are awakened and unawakened, but this will mean that they will all rely on Sun-eun, because the future of this place will depend on him. When Sun-woon asks if the barrier is giving away their location, Jong-woo replies that the barrier keeps monsters from the gate away. And as far as he understands from the description, outsiders cannot use essences here. Jong-woo says he will leave as soon as Dong-hoon and Yeon-hoon are ready. He says that Sun-eun's job is to watch over the Holy Land and decide who to take into the Ark and who not to, because Sun-eun is his agent. Jong-woo says that those who have come may be awakened, while others may be ordinary people or even children who do not fit into the quota for the new generation. Some people with good infrastructure may come and offer cooperation, but there are still limited places in the Ark. Jong-woo asks Sun-woon to choose carefully who to add, and if a problem arises that he cannot handle, to send a request for 44 essences. That way, Jong-woo will understand that it is a distress signal, and he will try to return as soon as he can. Dong-hoon asks Jong-woo if he is worried. He says he can only trust them, and if he does not see familiar faces when he arrives, he will destroy everyone. Yeon-hoon asks where they are going. Jong-woo replies that they are going to DS, and on the way, he will close all the gates he can. He says they need to hurry because the real battle is still ahead.